After 10 years of fighting through an agonizing war, the exit gate is finally within his reach. But the moment he tries to escape, dark spectral figures crawl up his legs. The vengeful spirits of his fallen comrades hold him back, demanding that he stay and avenge them. He desperately wants his normal life back, but the trauma of this world refuses to let go. To understand how he got trapped in this cycle of violence, we have to look at how his nightmare started. We open on a literal bloodbath. Dead bodies are scattered everywhere, groaning in absolute agony and wondering how things went so completely wrong. Amidst the carnage, two guys are standing over the wreckage. The general manager of this whole operation is on his knees, crying about how they were supposed to bask in glory together. Just look at this guy's face. He is absolutely terrified and screaming like his life depends on it. Honestly, it is pretty clear his time is up. Before he can even finish his sentence, a hand aggressively grabs him by his collar. The executioner is ready, and there is no talking his way out of this one. This is Kim Youngjun, experiment number 81. He is looking down at the manager with pure coldness, asking if the guy genuinely does not know why this is happening. The manager completely snaps, telling Youngjun to shut his trap because the question wasn't meant for him. He looks right past him and calls out the real monster, Mr. Baek Woohyun. The camera shifts to show our main guy standing there like an absolute brick wall. He has long dark hair, looks completely unbothered, and doesn't say a single word. Turns out, Baek Woohyun is experiment number 82, also known as the superhuman. He is the only test subject who reached true transcendence with just an ordinary human body. The manager immediately starts begging, desperately praising Woohyun and calling him the most successful experiment of Project Transcendence. Talk about a complete 180. He begs Woohyun to just say the word and promises to give him anything he desires. But Woohyun isn't buying any of it, coldly telling him he doesn't need it before preparing a strike. The manager screams in agonizing pain as he realizes begging isn't going to save him. He shouts at Woohyun, asking if he really thinks everything will end with his death. With his final breath, he warns Woohyun about the League of Enterprises. He claims that the organization will never let off anyone who dares to bare their fangs at them. He continues his frantic warnings, screaming that Woohyun's family, friends, and coworkers are all going to pay the price. He really thinks he still has leverage. And just like that, his head is sliced clean off. No more empty threats and no more yelling. Just a quick and bloody finish. Youngjun stands there wiping the blood off his blade with a heavy sigh. It is a bit messy, but someone had to do the dirty work. Youngjun immediately starts complaining, shouting that there is blood everywhere and they still had questions to ask. But Woohyun isn't even paying attention and is completely spaced out. That is because a massive holographic screen just popped up right in front of him. It says the special mission bug fix is complete and asks if he wants to return to his original world. His eye glows a bright blue as he stares at the prompt. After 10 long years in this absolute hellhole, the exit is finally right in front of him. His hand starts trembling as he reaches out to hit the yes button. But just as he's about to click it, creepy purple text starts swirling around him, asking where he thinks he is going. Dark, spectral figures start crawling up his legs, whispering and asking if he really forgot about them. The guilt of his fallen comrades is physically holding him back. The entire room is flooded with these dark, vengeful souls screaming for him to stay and avenge them. They want blood, and they want it now. But Woohyun is completely drained and sick of all the slaughter. He looks down at his blood-stained hand and wonders if he has already paid his dues. He just wants to disappear from this nightmare, even if it means leaving everything behind. A single droplet of blood falls, echoing his fading resolve. He realizes this might be his one and only chance to escape. Just as Youngjun tries to grab his shoulder and yell at him to stop, Woohyun makes his move. Youngjun is completely losing his mind, shouting at him for saying he is going back to his original world. He tells him he has been here from the very start and to cut the crap. But Woohyun just holds up a glowing blue cube, giving him a gentle, apologetic smile. He asks him to tell the others he is sorry before dissolving into pure light. Our boy abruptly wakes up, sitting straight up in bed and panting for air. He looks around his surroundings, completely stunned. The blood, the monsters, the combat, it is all gone. It is replaced by his old peaceful bedroom. He rubs his face in disbelief, exhaling a massive breath of relief. He is actually back, but he has no idea how much time has passed. He quickly grabs his phone and checks the date, only to freeze. It is the exact same day and time he first got dragged into that hellish game. It is like time completely paused in the real world while he was fighting for his life for 10 years. Talk about a mind-bending trip. He rushes to the bathroom and looks in the mirror. His massive muscles, battle scars, and hardened physique are completely gone, replaced by his weak past self. But as he stares, a terrifying flashback of his bloodthirsty, battle-hardened self flashes right in front of him. The mental scars are definitely still there. The brutal memories of him tearing through enemies and slashing them to pieces flood his mind. You can take the man out of the war, but you can't take the war out of the man. He hears the agonizing cries of his fallen comrades begging for him to save them. The trauma is hitting him like a freight train. He remembers the general manager's final threat about ruining everyone he cares about. There is no way this was just a dream. The 10 years of suffering, slaughter, and blood were way too vivid to be a hallucination. It was absolutely real. He stands in his dark room, completely overwhelmed by the crushing weight of his memories. Suddenly, his phone on the desk starts vibrating and glowing. He looks at the screen and sees the caller ID says Jun Neon. He stares at it blankly, trying to process who that even is. He picks up the phone, muttering her name. After 10 years of constant survival, his memories of his normal college life are incredibly hazy. As soon as he answers, she starts screaming at him through the speaker, asking why he has been dodging her calls. The sudden explosion of noise completely breaks his train of thought. He stammers, completely confused about what promise she is talking about. She yells that they were supposed to meet tonight, tells him to hurry up, and immediately hangs up on him. The call ends, leaving Woo-Yun standing there in absolute silence. "Welcome back to reality, buddy." He stares at his phone, realizing that he actually does remember that voice. It is starting to slowly click. He opens his phone gallery and sees a picture of them together. She was his absolute closest friend back then. And then, it hits him. She was the one who practically forced him to download and play Reverse Planet in the first place. He briefly wonders if she had something to do with his disappearance, but shrugs it off as impossible. He decides to meet up with her at a local restaurant. As he walks through the door, he hears her shouting and waving at him from a corner table. She greets him with a massive smile, saying it feels like it has been a whole eternity since they last saw each other. If only she knew. She points out that this is their very first hangout since starting university and asks if he wants a drink. Woo-Hun immediately passes on the alcohol. With his current unstable mental state, getting drunk is an absolute recipe for disaster. Neon is shocked since he never passes on a drink, so she suggests ordering food instead. Soon, a delicious plate of pork belly is sizzling on the grill. Finally, some good normal food instead of survival rations. But then she drops the bomb, asking if he ended up trying out Reverse Planet like he promised. Woo-Yun completely freezes, his eyes wide in shock. He awkwardly replies that he just created his character and watched the intro before getting dragged in. She is completely baffled, thinking he meant he got bored and quit. She teases him, saying he basically didn't even play the game at all. Woo-Yun is left speechless, thinking about the absolute hell he endured because of that intro. Woo-Yun silently clenches his fist under the table, holding back his frustration. He spent 10 years of pure torment because of her recommendation, while she was just excited for him to play. She blushes slightly, explaining that since he was a top-tier Coliseum ranker, she wanted him to stream with her to help boost her small channel's views. He suddenly remembers that she used to be a gaming streamer who was always begging him to join her. Mystery solved. She just wanted a free carry. But as he watches her bicker and complain, a warm feeling washes over him. For the first time, he actually feels like he is back in his normal, peaceful life. Later that night, he sits down at his computer and clicks his mouse, deciding to do some digging of his own. He searches up Planet Earth, the mysterious developer behind Reverse Planet, and finds out their headquarters are based in Silicon Valley. But then he sighs and leans back, realizing it is a completely pointless search. He can't exactly walk into their offices and complain that their game trapped him for a decade. They would put him in a psych ward. He remembers the terrifying experiments he was subjected to. Strapped down like a lab rat, poking around in their secrets could end up being extremely dangerous. He puts his head in his hands, completely exhausted. He tells himself to just drop it. Getting out of that hell was enough, so why is he looking for trouble? He stares at his notes and decides it is time to move on and live his life. This is his real world now, and he needs to treat it as such. The next day at university, someone slaps him on the back. Woo-Hyun turns around, completely on alert. It is his college buddies, welcoming him back and calling him a punk. The normal life he wanted is finally starting. Woo-Hyun goes through the school gates, doing his best to blend in and act like a regular ordinary student. He sits in a lecture hall, listening to his professor talk. Everything seems perfectly normal. But suddenly, a terrifying red and black shadowy demon appears right behind him, whispering in his ear. It asks him if this peaceful world is actually his reality. He gasps and whips his head around, looking completely terrified. But there is absolutely nothing there, just empty space. He sits in the middle of the crowded classroom, sweating profusely as his heart races. The illusion of a normal life is starting to fall apart. The dark voices grow louder and louder, filling his vision with red text and demanding that he take his bloody revenge against them. The entire classroom transforms into a hellish, pitch-black void. The shadowy spirits of his dead comrades surround him, whispering for him to slaughter everyone. Woo-Hyun screams, slamming his hands onto his desk and knocking his chair over as he jumps to his feet. The entire classroom falls dead silent, staring at him in complete shock and confusion as he abruptly runs out of the room. He dashes into a quiet restroom, leaning against the wall and gasping for breath. He is having a full-blown panic attack. He covers his face in agony as creepy red shadows stretch out of the wall, calling his name. He cannot escape his own mind. Suddenly, a hand grabs his arm from behind, asking if he's alright, but Wu Yun's battle instincts immediately take over. With terrifying speed and reflex, he grabs his classmate's arm and twists it, ready to completely neutralize the threat. In a flash, he raises a sharp pen, holding it like a tactical knife as he prepares to drive it straight into the guy's throat. The classmate is pinned against the wall, staring at him in absolute terror. Fortunately, Wu Yun snaps out of it just in time, freezing his hand. His hand is trembling violently as he stares at the pen hovering inches from his friend's face. He is absolutely horrified by his own lethal reflexes. He quickly lets go and backs away, stammering out an apology and claiming he was just startled. His classmate rubs his wrist, looking deeply disturbed. He warns Wu Yun that the others have been saying he is acting really strange lately. Wu Yun can only look at his hand, terrified of what he almost did. Later, he sits alone on a campus bench, clutching a soda can. He looks completely exhausted, his mind pushed to the absolute limit. He looks down at his feet, and his own shadow begins to morph into a terrifying red-eyed demon whispering his name. The shadowy figures of his dead comrades surround him on the bench, begging him to return to the game and seek revenge. He's about to scream at them to shut up when suddenly Neon's cheerful voice calls out to him, instantly dispersing the illusions. She sits next to him, noticing his pale and exhausted face. She mentions that everyone says he has been acting out of his mind and asks if he is okay. Woo Hyun forces a fake, painful smile and lies right to her face, saying that nothing is going on. Neon tells him that if he ever needs help, his big sis is always there for him. He scoffs playfully, but internally he knows he can't run away from this any longer. He stands up and bids her goodbye, walking away. But as he walks, the shadowy purple hands of his fallen comrades are still dragging behind him, refusing to let go. He realizes the harsh truth. He is the source of these ghosts. They are born from his own trauma, and they aren't going to disappear. He walks into a room containing a sleek, high-tech VR gaming capsule. He knows the ghosts won't stop whispering until their thirst for vengeance is satisfied. He climbs into the capsule, muttering to himself, if his reality is going to be a living hell anyway, then there is absolutely no difference between this world and the game. He lies down as the capsule prepares to start, whispering that it is time to go and preparing himself to face the nightmare once again. The digital visor locks onto his eyes as he resolves to dive back into the game and put a permanent end to this once and for all. Woo Yun opens his eyes to find himself inside a cold metallic room with a system welcome message floating in the air. This place looks exactly like the starter lobby of the game. He looks around in disbelief, realizing he is standing inside the actual research lab lobby, but he quickly realizes there is no logical way he could have loaded into this specific sector. If he steeled himself to go back to that brutal world of endless war, then why on earth did the game drop him off here instead? He clenches his teeth, staring into the mirror with a dark expression. He steeled his mind to return to that literal hell, so he wonders if there is some hidden condition he missed. A system prompt suddenly pops up, asking if he wants to keep his character's current look. He decides to just clear the tutorial first, hoping it will lead him to where he actually needs to go. Before moving forward, he decides to dive straight into his settings to adjust a few parameters. Since he survived 10 years of brutal real-life combat in that other world without any artificial help, he decides to set his game's combat correction parameter to a flat 0%. The system flashes a massive confirmation screen, proceeding to reset his interface back to the absolute raw factory settings. With the settings adjusted, a new prompt appears asking him to select his very first core ability. In this game, after you choose your core ability, you have to build and strengthen your entire character path using different elements. Setting up your core power and elemental elements is called making a build, and there are literally professional analysts out there who spend their entire lives researching the best ones. But Woo Yun already knows exactly what he is going for. It is the exact same choice that earned him the legendary title of metahuman in his past life. He casually taps the screen to confirm his build, ready to face whatever the game throws at him. Suddenly, a cold voice blares through the intercom, addressing him as Test Subject Number 48. The voice mentions that he finally awakened during the last round of testing, noting that it has been a whole week since they last checked in on him. Woo Hyun thinks to himself how convenient it is that the game completely skips the agonizing torture process before a subject's awakening, though, honestly, no player would want to sit through that trauma. The intercom instructs him to prepare for the next round of testing and commands him to step inside the chamber as the massive metal doors slide open. Suddenly, a massive, heavy robotic foot steps out from the darkness of the chamber. It is an Etnel, a massive security robot equipped with a single glowing red scanner eye. These things are literal killing machines, designed specifically to slaughter any awakened test subjects who went completely berserk during Project Transcendence. A blue system quest window flashes in the air, giving him his very first task: destroy the Etnel. Woo Hyun looks at the giant mechanical beast and immediately recognizes it as the very first unpatched version of the Etnel. Seeing the machine triggers a terrifying flashback of a young girl crying and screaming in absolute terror before being cornered. He remembers the endless piles of slaughtered test subjects left rotting in cold, sterile rooms by these exact same machines. The robot's red lens flashes menacingly as it completely locks its sights onto Woo-yun. With a loud mechanical whir, the metal giant lunges forward to crush him, but Woo-yun doesn't even flinch, standing perfectly calm as the massive steel fist charges straight at his face. His eyes glow with an intense dark light as he mutters about how these researchers are always committing such cruel acts. The robot swings its heavy arm down, but Woo-yun casually dodges the impact with millimeter-perfect precision, letting the fist smash harmlessly into the floor. The machine quickly pivots, unleashing a barrage of swift kinetic attacks to corner him. But Woo-yun moves like a ghost, completely bypassing every single blow with fluid, inhuman grace. He notes that, while the first version of the Edenel is incredibly annoying because of its specific active abilities, it's still just a prototype. He winds up for a heavy, devastating counterstrike. With a single explosive blow, he completely shatters the massive combat robot into absolute scrap metal. Woo-hyun stands perfectly still as steam, and sparks rise from the wreckage of the destroyed machine. The researchers over the intercom are left completely speechless, stammering that his combat talent is leagues beyond any average subject they have ever seen. The lead researcher quickly recovers, saying they will immediately proceed to the next phase of testing. But before they can even start, the lights turn a flashing red and a loud siren begins to blare throughout the facility. The intercom cuts to static as the researchers start screaming in sheer terror, shouting that government intruders have breached the facility. Suddenly, the static clears and a calm professional female voice takes over the broadcast, calling out to all the locked-up victims inside the lab. She tells them to give it their absolute all and escape the facility immediately, which makes Woo-yun halt as the voice sounds incredibly familiar. Before he can think about it, a new system notification flashes in front of him with his next quest to escape the research facility. Flames and explosions tear through the hallways outside. Woo-hyun decides to put his thoughts aside and prioritize escaping this burning facility first. He dashes down the metallic corridors, navigating through the thick smoke and crumbling infrastructure. As he turns a corner, he spots a severely injured security guard slumped against the wall, groaning in pain. Woo-yun notices the Dimensional Management Bureau logo on his uniform, realizing the man isn't his enemy. The guard looks up, assuming Woo-yun is just an escaped victim trying to flee. The dying guard weakly reaches out, offering him a tactical device. He tells Woo-yun to take whatever gear and weapons he needs from the nearby armory rack to defend himself. He hands him a walkie-talkie, telling him to use it to contact the Bureau once he makes it outside so they can extract him. But before he can say another word, the guard's hand drops limp as he takes his very last breath. Woo-hyun turns his attention to the weapons locker, staring at the various blades, rifles, and chains. He reminds himself that this is just a game script, a structured tutorial designed to progress the story. He reaches out and grabs a massive, heavy scythe attached to a long, dark steel chain. But as he grips the cold metal, a deep wave of disgust washes over him. The sheer realism of the weapon brings back far too many dark memories. Meanwhile, in another part of the game lobby, a new player is logging in, complaining about having to play this popular game. This is Kang Soil, a professional gaming streamer, and she is crying about how her pride as a niche indie gamer is completely ruined. She screams at her live chat, claiming she didn't choose to play this mainstream game and that it was a chat-voted punishment game. But since a promise is a promise, she has no choice but to go through with it. She boasts to her viewers, claiming that she has never once broken a promise with her chat. She proudly declares that despite this being a punishment game, she is going to completely dominate Reverse Planet. Soil skips the character creator, keeping her default appearance, and prepares to choose an absolutely broken core ability. She scrolls down her setup menu until she finally reaches the combat correction setting. The system defaults her combat correction to a standard 50% to make the controls easier. But her live chat starts spamming, asking if she has the guts to clear the tutorial without any combat correction at all. She explains that according to her pre-stream research, the percentage of players who have successfully cleared this with zero correction is literally zero. She warns them that without correction, controlling your character feels like trying to move a clumsy third hand that suddenly grew out of your body. And of course, she immediately gets completely wrecked by the tutorial boss, slumping against the in-game wall in pure, exhausted defeat. Suddenly, a wild donation of 500,000 won pops up on her stream, challenging her to clear the tutorial with zero correction. Her eyes instantly turn into money signs as she loudly proclaims that a real streamer always welcomes a challenge. She confidently locks in the 0% correction setting, determined to secure that payout. But the moment she enters the level, she is immediately struggling to even stand straight, trembling in absolute regret. She whines to her chat, crying that the Etnil robot ambushed and slaughtered her in under 2 minutes without even giving her an explanation. Her live chat is absolutely ruthless, laughing at her as her character gets repeatedly blasted and sent flying by the robot. After barely scraping past the fight and grabbing some gear, she sighs, realizing she just needs to find the exit to escape. Suddenly, the system prompts her that automatic party matching has started for the escape mission. She holds her glowing core, excitedly hoping to get matched with some high-level players who can carry her through the level. But the system immediately displays a failure message, switching to an expanded search because almost nobody is playing on 0% correction. A horrible realization hits her. Because of the matchmaking rules, she can only be paired with other players who also chose 0% correction. Pale with absolute terror, she frantically tries to cancel the match before she gets dragged into another slaughter. But just as she is about to click cancel, the system flashes a blue notification confirming the party matching was successful. She gasps in disbelief as she is instantly loaded into an active player's ongoing tutorial mission. Soil spawns into the metallic corridor, looking around nervously to see where her teammate is. But as she walks forward, she suddenly stops dead in her tracks, her jaw dropping at the sight before her. She whispers to her chat that this has to be a joke, completely stunned by the sheer level of destruction. An entire squad of combat robots has been completely torn to shreds, with blue electrical sparks crackling from their broken hulls. Her stream chat goes absolutely wild, realizing that someone actually dismantled multiple Etnels using pure physical moves with 0 combat correction. Soil's face lights up with joy as she realizes she just won the lottery and is about to get carried by an absolute gaming god. She follows the trail of destruction, noticing a dark, bloody scythe blade dripping with fluid. She spots a lone figure standing amidst the rubble in the dim hallway, holding a massive chain scythe. The mysterious player slowly turns his head, his single eye glowing with a sharp, lethal intensity. Soil nervously walks up to him, raising her hands to show she is friendly and stuttering a greeting. But the moment she speaks, Woo-Yun spins around with blinding speed, raising his giant scythe to strike. In a fraction of a second, he closes the gap and pins her against the wall, holding the razor-sharp edge of the blade right against her throat. Soil is completely frozen in terror, staring wide-eyed at the blood-stained blade hovering inches from her face. She screams an apology, prompting Woo-Yun to realize she is just another player. He immediately lowers his scythe and apologizes for the misunderstanding. Soil looks at his blood-drenched uniform and is instantly convinced he is the ultimate carry. But before she can say anything, he just coldly dismisses her and walks away. She runs after him, pleading with him to let her tag along since the game literally matched them in the same party anyway. She introduces herself as Kang Soil and mentions that she is a streamer, asking if he is okay with her broadcasting their run. Woo-Yun completely ignores her, continuing to walk. She quickly assures him that the game's privacy settings are on, so his face and personal details will be completely blurred out on stream. Suddenly, Woo-Yun halts in his tracks, his eyes narrowing. Soil flinches, wondering why he stopped so abruptly. A massive red warning box flashes on the walls declaring that 2 test subjects have escaped. A squad of heavily armed security guards appears on the catwalks above, shouting orders to eliminate them on sight. They immediately open fire, unleashing a hail of automatic gunfire down into the narrow corridor. Soil ducks and screams in panic as bullets spark and ricochet off the metal walls all around her. She looks around to find her carry, only to see that Woo-Yun has already leaped directly into the air toward the shooters. With unbelievable agility, he scales the walls and pipes, effortlessly dodging every single bullet in midair. He swings his giant chain scythe in a massive sweeping arc, cutting down the armed guards with terrifying force. Soil and her entire stream chat watch in absolute silence, completely paralyzed by the sheer display of raw skill. She points out that doing something like this with a heavy chain scythe at 0% correction should be physically impossible for any human. Her chat is absolutely spamming, trying to figure out what kind of broken build or core ability he is running. A knowledgeable viewer in the chat pings, explaining that the only core ability that boosts physical stats this much while changing eye color is the absolute being skill. Soil's eyes widen in shock as she reads the name of the legendary ability. She mutters to herself, remembering that every top player and analyst in the community classified absolute being as an unusable trash-tier ability because its difficulty is far too high. Well, clearly they haven't seen this guy. We get a quick explanation of the absolute being core ability. It is actually one of the most unique and central features of Reverse Planet's entire skill tree. This skill massively boosts your raw physical stats and skill resistance, making you a walking tank. But it comes with a massive catch, completely banning you from using any active abilities. Because you can't use any flashy spells or skills, the entire player base universally agreed that this ability is absolute tier 1 trash and put it on their never pick lists. Soil's live chat is laughing about it, pointing out how absurd it is to lock yourself out of skills in a game where skills are literally everything. But Soil starts analyzing it, realizing that if you are playing on 0% correction, using active skills is practically impossible anyway. Dumping everything into raw physical power might actually be a big brain play. She watches Wu Yun scale the walls, completely baffled. Since he is only at level 1, his insane speed and coordination should be physically impossible under the game's engine. She can only watch in absolute awe, frantically wondering who this mysterious guy could possibly be. Wu Yun drops down from above, swinging his heavy steel chain in a lethal arc and slamming it directly into the guards with crushing impact. Within seconds, the entire security squad is completely neutralized and lying unconscious on the cold floor. Wu Yun stands amidst the wreckage, picking up a heavy, blood-stained weapon to prepare for the next encounter. But as he grips the weapon, the dark, creepy whispers return to plague his mind, telling him this isn't enough and begging him to make his revenge even more violent. Wu Yun ignores the voices, instantly spotting a stray security guard armed with a rifle hiding just around the corner. We zoom through the guard's rifle scope as he locks on to Wu Yun, ready to pull the trigger. Soil screams for him to watch out, diving into the line of fire to alert him. But before the guard can even aim at Wu Yun, Soil raises her own weapon and opens fire. Bullets ricochet wildly off the metallic walls, sparking in the dark corridor as she unleashes a rapid barrage. Soil slides across the floor, steeled with determination as she fires her handgun with surprising precision. Her shot connects perfectly, sending the guard crashing to the ground and neutralizing the immediate threat. She sits on the floor, exhaling a massive sigh of relief as her live chat floods with praise, genuinely impressed by her shooting skills. She looks up at Wu Yun with a proud expression, waiting to see his reaction. She gives him a bright, cheerful grin, proudly boasting that she actually managed to help him out. But her smiling face instantly triggers a painful flashback for Wu Yun, reminding him of his deceased blonde-haired comrade who used to smile at him the exact same way. He remembers standing in the dark, surrounded by the ascending souls of those he couldn't save. The guilt is still eating him alive. Soil's voice snaps him back to reality. He blinks, quickly pulling himself out of the painful memory. She nervously stammers, hoping she didn't make him angry by interfering. He quietly replies that he isn't mad. He gives her a very faint, gentle smile and admits that she actually did help. Her live chat immediately starts squealing over how incredibly handsome he is. Overjoyed, she asks if she can tag along with him for the rest of the tutorial. He gives her a simple, casual nod of approval. She asks what she should call him, and he tells her his real name is Bayek Wu Yun. She repeats it happily, while her chat wonders if that is his real name since it isn't censored. She nervously asks if he really chose Absolute Being as his very first core ability, and Wu Yun calmly confirms it. Her chat goes absolutely wild, shocked to hear a player actually make an infamous trash tier skill look so incredibly broken. She asks him how on earth he manages to dodge bullets without active skills, and wonders what other games he plays, but he just brushes it off, saying nothing in particular. Suddenly, Wu Yun stops walking. Soil halts right behind him, asking what is wrong. He calmly tells her that there are 2 Etenel combat robots waiting about 20 meters ahead of them. Soil is completely stunned because the corridor is empty and they can't see a thing. She realizes he doesn't even have any map detection skills, yet he can accurately pinpoint enemies. He just says it is no big deal and tells her to keep moving. But as they turn the corner, her jaw drops. He was actually 100% correct, and 2 massive combat robots are standing right there. Wu Yun steps forward calmly, recalling that he used to be a massive fan of the game's PvP mode back in the day. Soil panic screams, warning him to watch out. Wu Yun leaps into action like a lightning bolt, spinning his heavy steel chains with effortless speed. With a single colossal swing, he smashes his chain straight into the first robot, completely obliterating its armor. The first machine is instantly demolished, crashing to the ground in a spray of sparks. He smirks with a dark, intense gaze, thinking about his past life as a top ranker in the Colosseum. He whips his chain back, wrapping it tightly around the second robot and slamming it into the floor with brutal force. Soil's chat is absolutely losing it, hyping him up and pointing out that he's doing this without any combat correction. Soil asks her chat if being a Colosseum ranker is really that big of a deal. Her chat immediately facepalms, explaining that Colosseum rankers are so elite that professional esports teams actively draft them, referencing a legendary pro named Battler. She gasps in realization, knowing that Battler is the biggest, most unbeatable superstar in the entire pro scene. Her viewers start wildly speculating if Wu Yun ever fought Battler, but he cuts their chatter short, calmly saying it is time to keep moving. Soil quickly snaps to attention, nodding and following closely behind him. They finally reach the end of the corridor, entering a wide-open arena hall where the final tutorial boss appears. It is a heavily built, red-haired security chief. The chief laughs mockingly, boasting that this place will become their final resting place and that they won't leave alive. He mockingly says they will join their dead comrades soon. Wu Yun stares at him, realizing this is the final hurdle of the tutorial. His eyes narrow as a sharp exclamation mark pops up. The mention of dead comrades instantly triggers his fury. The dark, vengeful whispers fill his head again, screaming at him to slaughter the chief and show no mercy. The spirits completely take over his thoughts, urging him to kill the boss just like how they were killed. The security chief charges forward with a powerful dash, closing the distance instantly. Soil quickly raises her rifle and starts firing a barrage of bullets to slow him down, but a glowing orange particle barrier appears around the chief, completely deflecting all of her shots. Soil gasps in shock, realizing her guns are useless. Her chat laughs, pointing out that since he is an awakened boss, of course he has a particle barrier. She yells that she will support him with covering fire, while Wu Yun calmly steps forward, completely unfazed by the boss's defense. He reminds himself that this is only a game, but he is still determined to put on a show. Wu Yun seamlessly slips past the boss's heavy punch, moving with perfect fluid motion. He thinks to himself that if defeating this guy satisfies the restless souls of his fallen comrades even just a little bit, then he will hold nothing back. He winds up his fist, throwing a devastating punch straight into the glowing particle barrier. The sheer physical force of his punch completely shatters the barrier into millions of pieces, unleashing a massive shockwave. Soil stands there with her jaw on the floor, completely dumbfounded alongside her chat, who cannot comprehend how a physical punch shattered a particle barrier. Enraged, the chief's body glows with a metallic gray aura. He calls Wu Yun a little rat, and the chat realizes he is activating his iron skill. He leaps high into the air, screaming that he will tear Wu Yun to shreds as he comes down with a ground-shattering strike. The floor completely caves in and shatters from the impact, sending debris flying everywhere. But Wu Yun slides back effortlessly, dodging the falling rocks with millisecond precision. The chief punches repeatedly, sending shockwaves through the air and screaming, asking how long Wu Yun thinks he can keep dodging. He executes a high-speed drill punch, the wind swirling violently around his fist. But Wu Yun sidesteps the drill punch like water, letting the heavy strike pass harmlessly beside him. Her chat points out that a single hit from this boss would be instant death, yet Wu Yun is casually dodging everything. They laugh at Soil's plan to provide covering fire. Wu Yun finds an opening, delivering a brutal, heavy right hook straight to the chief's face. The chief is sent flying backward, coughing up blood and looking completely bewildered by Wu Yun's raw strength. Wu Yun walks forward slowly, his hands emitting a dark purple aura. He coldly tells the boss not to turn off his iron skill. He thinks to himself that the boss cannot be allowed to die so easily. The restless souls around him scream for more violence and suffering. The heavily beaten, bleeding security chief trembles in pure terror, unable to comprehend how a mere test subject can possess this level of power. Wu Yun looks down at his bloodied hands, calmly crediting the chief for his current state. He delivers a final, brutal barrage of strikes, completely obliterating the boss. Soil watches in the background, utterly stunned by the display. A system alert pops up confirming the boss's defeat. Soil stands frozen, while her chat is in absolute shock over the carry. She cheerily comments that they beat the tutorial boss and just need to leave. Wu Yun kneels over the body in silence. She calls out to him to leave, and he slowly stands up, quietly agreeing. As they walk toward the exit, the dark purple souls finally dissolve and fade away into light particles, satisfied for now. They finally step out of the dark, sterile facility and into the bright sunlight of the outer world. A system window confirms the tutorial is complete, awarding a skill point and a level up. Soil asks if he is continuing with the main quest today. Wu Yun stretches, looking tired, and says he thinks he will call it a day. Soil panics slightly and begs him to wait because she has a very important request for him. On her stream, she celebrates completing the zero correction tutorial, while her chat laughs and teases her for getting hardest carried. She runs back to Wu Yun, who is standing there patiently waiting to hear what she wants. She blushes, nervously asking if he would be willing to join her streams on a regular basis. She explains that she primarily streams reverse planet quests and PvP, hoping to have his god-tier skills on her channel. She begs him with pleading eyes, promising to adjust to his schedule and even offer a hefty appearance fee. But Wu Yun flatly declines with a calm apology. She realizes from his cold, unchanging face that she won't be able to convince him. She asks if they can at least add each other as friends in-game, and after a brief pause, he agrees. She bows politely, wishing him fun in the game before logging out. A system notification pops up confirming that Kong Soil has left the game. Wu Yun is left standing alone in the quiet landscape. He looks up at the sky, thinking to himself that the tutorial is finally over. But his mind is still troubled, wondering why he didn't return to his original world after completing the mission. What Wu Yun doesn't know yet is that someone in the community is aggressively typing on their keyboard, posting a thread accusing him of being a hacker. The post claims to explain exactly why the no correction no guns run was accomplished by a hacker, complete with a video breakdown. He has absolutely no idea what kind of chaotic future today's gameplay is about to bring. Suddenly, a massive donation of $3,000 pops up from an anonymous viewer, along with a highly suspicious question asking what being back in the real world feels like. We open early in the morning outside the sleek headquarters of Planet Earth Korea, the developers behind Reverse Planet. Inside, the entire office is in complete panic mode, facing an unprecedented situation all because of a single mysterious player. The staff members are rewatching the tutorial clip over and over, completely unable to believe what they are seeing. To shatter the guard captain with zero combat correction and no weapons is unheard of. The online community is already mass spitballing hack accusations, absolutely terrorizing the company's message boards for answers. The team leader rubs his temples in frustration, asking his technical staff if they are absolutely sure this isn't some highly advanced hack. The developer aggressively types away, confirming that they checked the user's entire log from character creation and found absolutely zero traces of external programs. He explains that they have seen all kinds of hackers, the ones who clip through solid walls or turn completely invisible. But this? He has never seen anyone pull off manual, high-precision acrobatic movements like this in the entire history of the game. He slams his desk in excitement, stating that this level of flawless control cannot be replicated by any hack. If it isn't a cheat, then this guy is a complete real-life madman. Still, they admit there is a microscopic chance it is a completely novel exploit that their current systems can't detect. The operations team leader Jumhyun folds his hands, resolving that they will have to conduct an official live verification to settle the controversy once and for all. Meanwhile, the man of the hour is casually hanging out at an outdoor cafe with his best friend. Neon excitedly yells that the entire online community is in an absolute uproar because of him, but Woo-hyun looks completely unbothered. She shows him the forum posts, explaining that since everyone is failing the zero correction challenge, they are desperately pushing the narrative that he is a hacker. She admits she was completely shocked when she first saw the video. Woo-hyun comments that he is surprised she even recognized him since his face was blurred and he used a different name. She reminds him that he revealed his real name in the chat and that she has seen him fight before. Hearing this, Woo-hyun finally understands why he received that strange direct message. Neon leans in, confused, asking what message he is talking about as he pulls out his phone. She completely loses her mind, screaming so loud that the neighboring tables stare, asking if he actually got a direct message from Planet Earth Korea. She slams her hand on the table, asking if the developers really invited him to a live official stream to verify whether he is hacking or not. He calmly sips his coffee and nods, explaining that he received the official invitation forwarded directly through the streamer, Kang Soil. Neon's eyes light up as she realizes this live stream is going to pull in an absolute massive crowd, eagerly asking him if he is actually going to do it. Woo-hyun stares at his drink, thinking to himself that this official verification is his absolute best chance to make contact with high-ranking developers and get a clue about the other world. He looks up and tells her that while he said he would think about it, he is definitely going to accept. She beams, telling him it is a great decision. She points out that if he wants to keep playing, it is better to clear his name now so he doesn't get harassed by players calling him a hacker. Woo-hyun says he doesn't really care since nobody saw his face anyway, but she warns him that even if he changes his name, his fighting style is so unique that people will recognize him instantly. She shows him another forum post, proving how easily the community exposes professional players' alt accounts just by tracking their specific combat habits. Neon sighs with relief, mentioning she is glad he accepted because otherwise, the poor streamer girl would have faced a massive wave of internet hate for enabling a hacker. Woo-hyun is confused, pointing out that Soil has nothing to do with him. Neon explains that angry internet mobs don't care about logic when they want to attack someone. She warns him that once they get tired of accusing him, they will instantly turn their arrows on her. Woo-hyun quietly nods, understanding the gravity of the situation. He stares at his iced coffee, realizing that accepting the challenge is the right thing to do to protect his party member. Back at her setup, Soil looks at her screen and gasps as a message from Woo-hyun arrives, simply stating that he will do it. She holds her phone to her chest and screams in absolute joy. The hype is real, and she is ready. She looks at her channel analytics, imagining the astronomical spike in viewers this live verification stream is going to pull in. She giggles to herself, typing away late into the night. Get ready to be amazed, everyone. She drafts an official notice on her stream page announcing a hack clarification broadcast. She promises a spectacle never before seen in the game's history. The scene fades into a swirl of blue digital lines. 4 days have officially passed, and it is showtime. Woo-hyun spawns into the virtual training arena, wearing his white test subject suit. Soil spots him and runs over, waving happily. She apologizes profusely, saying she feels incredibly guilty for dragging him into this massive mess. Woo-hyun calmly tells her it is fine and that he doesn't mind. She smiles, telling him that since she saw his godlike movements in person, she knew from the start that the hacker accusations were completely baseless. She sweat drops, muttering that, more than anything, his absolutely terrifying murderous eyes in combat were proof enough that he is just built different. She holds out her streaming orb, asking if he is ready to start the broadcast, and he gives her a simple nod. Soil greets her stream as the chat section immediately starts scrolling at terminal velocity. They instantly hit over 10,000 viewers, showing just how deeply interested everyone is in this controversy. Soil introduces Wu Yun to the massive audience. He introduces himself with his signature blank face. The chat immediately explodes, with toxic viewers calling him a shameless hacker. Soil quickly steps in, warning her chat to maintain proper etiquette, threatening to turn off the chat completely if they keep being toxic. They stand in a lush green arena. Soil asks Wu Yun how he feels about the massive controversy surrounding his gameplay. Wu Yun looks directly at the camera, coolly stating that he thinks the entire controversy is completely absurd. Soil laughs nervously, trying to ease the tension, before announcing that they have invited a very special guest to oversee the official verification. A portal opens, and a man in a sharp white shirt walks out into the arena. He introduces himself to the stream as Park Jum-hyun, the first operations team leader of Planet Earth Korea. The stream chat goes absolutely ballistic. Bringing an actual high-level GM and operations leader onto a live stream to verify hacks is virtually unheard of. Woo Yun narrows his eyes, realizing a team leader is exactly who he needs to get real answers about the system's secrets after this test is over. Soil and Woo Hyun bow politely, welcoming the official onto the broadcast. Jum Hyun adjusts his tablet, sizing up Woo Hyun with a very sharp and analytical gaze. He observes Woo Yun closely, noting that from the outside, the kid looks like an entirely average, ordinary college student. Without wasting any time, Jum Hyun guides them toward the custom verification area. He explains that they are entering a state-of-the-art personal training room, designed specifically for combat practice and testing. He explains that the test will consist of several battles while their systems scan Woo Yun's logs for external programs. Woo Yun looks around, noting he has never seen a clean room like this in his 10 years of hell. Jum Hyun asks if he agrees to the terms of the test, and Woo Yun casually agrees. The team leader nods, tapping his tablet to initiate the test and spawn the training target. A sleek, white, highly polished robot steps into the arena. It is the intermediate version of the Etno, and the chat is already panicking because this thing is on a completely different level. As the battle begins, the dark souls manifest around Woo Yun once again, whispering and begging him to avenge them by destroying the machine. Jum Hyun holds his tablet, prepared to monitor the live telemetry data as the fight starts. But a split second later, Jum Hyun's eyes bulge out of his head and his jaw hits the floor. He is looking at the screen in absolute, utter disbelief. The massive, heavily armored intermediate Etnel is already pinned to the ground, completely crushed, with Woo Yun standing calmly over it. Jum Hyun's hands shake as he tries to process what just happened. The fight was literally over before he could even look up. He stammers, staring at the screen with wide eyes, completely frozen. He slowly covers his face with his tablet, completely speechless. The stream chat is going absolutely chaotic, screaming because Woo Yun literally crushed a top-tier training robot with his bare hands. Jum Hyun looks down at his diagnostic logs, which read that no external program interference was detected. He is completely terrified. Sweat drips down his face as the reality of the situation sinks in. This isn't a hack. This is pure, terrifying, god-level human skill. Woo Yun's heavy black boot steps firmly onto the mechanical platform, steeled and ready for whatever the system throws at him next. He stands calmly over the shattered remains of the intermediate training bot, announcing it is finished and leaving Jum Hyun completely tongue-tied. Jum Hyun sweat drops and adjusts his glasses, admitting that while no external programs were detected, the entire verification window was way too short to make a definitive ruling. He asks if Woo Yun would be willing to fight under highly specific parameters that they dictate. Woo Yun calmly agrees, while Soil realizes this is a direct test to rule out an automated combat program. See, auto-combat scripts are completely bound by code, so they can't adapt to highly irregular, custom-choreographed instructions. If Woo Yun can execute a specific combo on command, it proves it is 100% human control. Jum Hyun thanks him, explaining the next task is to decapitate 3 intermediate-tier training bots simultaneously using only his chain scythe. Woo Hyun gives a simple nod of understanding. 3 massive white robots spawn in, surrounding him. Jung Hyun notes to himself that this is an overwhelmingly disadvantageous setup for a level 1 character with 0 combat correction. But as the machines charge at him, Woo Yun doesn't feel like he's going to lose this exchange at all. He steeled his grip on his chains. He whips his chain scythe in a wide, dizzying spin, creating a colossal steel vortex that completely binds all 3 charging machines at once. With a sharp, powerful tug, he tightens the chains, locking their heads in the perfect position. A single, flawless, horizontal slice cuts through the room. His eyes flash with an intense golden light as the clean cut is executed in the blink of an eye. The heads of all three intermediate-tier robots pop off and crash to the ground simultaneously. Wu Yun stands there casually, as if he just took a walk in the park. Soil jumps with excitement, screaming at her chat that she wasn't seeing things. That chain scythe literally moves like it has a mind of its own. Jumhyun stares at his tablet in absolute shock, admitting that they have officially gathered more than enough data to clear his name. But as the game's administrator, pure professional curiosity starts rising within him. He wonders if this monster of a player can actually defeat an advanced bot. Call it greed if you want, but Jumhyun decided to push the test to its absolute limit for the final round. The heavy steel gates of the advanced testing chamber slowly grind open. A pair of glowing, blood-red mechanical eyes glares out from the pitch-black shadows of the doorway. A slender, dark gray humanoid robot steps onto the arena floor. The live chat starts calling out the admin, saying this is completely crossing the line. He announces that they will conduct the final verification using the late version advanced training bot, Ethiel. Wu Yun's eyes widen slightly in surprise. This is the first time he has seen a model this advanced in the tutorial. The sleek demonic robot walks forward, stepping over the crushed remains of the intermediate bots. It looks incredibly dangerous. Close-up of the Ethiel's face, revealing a creepy, wide, razor-sharp metallic smile. It looks more like a devil than a machine. Wu Yun gets serious, a dark and focused look taking over his expression as he prepares his weapon. The advanced robot becomes a blur of speed, lunging forward to strike with terrifying velocity. A series of blindingly fast clashes erupt in the center of the arena, with Wu Yun barely deflecting the high-speed blows. The clashes are so intense that they create massive shockwaves and sparks, shaking the entire training chamber. Wu Yun slides back to create distance, realizing that this machine is on a completely different level and that a single clean hit will instantly end his level 1 character. The demonic robot leaps high, bringing down a heavy vertical smash to crush him. Wu Yun blocks the blow, but the impact is bone-crushing. He notes that the machine's physical armor is on a whole different scale and his normal attacks won't even scratch it. As the robot readies its next strike, Wu Yun decides to change his approach entirely. If his normal hits aren't piercing the armor, then he just has to keep striking with relentless speed until he finds a weak point. Soil and Gyumyun watch in absolute silence as Wu Yun enters a state of near flawless high-speed evasion. The stream chat is going absolutely crazy, unable to comprehend how a player can go head-to-head with an advanced bot using just a single core element. Gyumhyun sweat drops, noting that Wu Yun looked like he was losing at first, but is somehow holding his own. But the tide of the battle begins to turn, and Wu Yun starts slowly but surely overwhelming the advanced machine. With an explosive final blow, he shatters the advanced robot's head into a million pieces. The broken machine is immediately despawned. Jumhyun walks over to Wu Yun, announcing that they have officially completed the verification. Soil eagerly asks for the final results, and Jumhyun turns to the camera, officially confirming that there is absolutely no program interference. In simple terms, he is not hacking. A system notification pings on stream, and the chat goes wild, completely shocked to hear the official admin clear him of all charges. Soil gloats to her stream, triumphantly asking her viewers if they still have any doubts about her carry. She points a finger at the camera, explaining that Wu Yun simply has god-tier physical ability that looks like a cheat code. She asks both of them for a final comment. Wu Yun quietly thanks them for their hard work, while Jumhyun admits the test was incredibly fun. She wraps up the stream, waving goodbye to her audience as her viewer count peaks at an astronomical 100,000 live viewers. Jumhyun bows politely, thanking them both for accepting the sudden verification request. Wu Yun shrugs, saying it was nothing. As Jumhyun prepares to log off, Wu Yun suddenly calls out, telling him to hold on. He walks up to the team leader, stating that there is something important he wants to ask. He asks if there has ever been a critical bug in the game where a player was trapped inside and completely unable to log out. Jumhyun looks puzzled and says he has never heard of anything like that, noting that if such a critical bug existed, the game would have been shut down immediately. Wu Hyun quietly nods. With the questions answered, Gumhyun bids them farewell and logs out in a flash of blue pixels. Soil clasps her hands together, thanking him for his hard work and promising to split the massive stream revenue with him once it is calculated. She stares at him, realizing he is a literal walking goldmine of content. She notices his thoughtful face and asks if there is anything else he wanted to say. She decides not to push her luck by asking him to stream with her permanently, resolving to wait for a better opportunity. She waves goodbye and prepares to log off. Soil disappears in a bright flash of blue light, leaving Wu Yun alone in the virtual room. He stands in silence, deeply disappointed that he got absolutely no useful clues about his 10-year entrapment in that other world. Suddenly, a system message from Neon pings on his interface, telling him to meet her in the combat prep room immediately. He logs into the room, and Neon immediately jumps with excitement, screaming that his stream completely broke the internet and blew up the community. Woo-hyun sighs, stretching his arms and telling her that talking to chat while playing just isn't his style. She looks slightly disappointed. She quickly pitches a new idea, asking what if he didn't have to interact with chat at all and could just play alone. Woo-hyun thinks about it. She begs him to just try it once, promising to handle all the setup, but Woo-hyun flatly declines, saying he has no interest in streaming. To change the subject, Neon drags him over to a glowing portal, excitedly suggesting they try out some PvP battles. We get a quick explanation of PvP, the player versus player arena that stands as one of the two main pillars of Reverse Planet's content alongside PvE. Woo-hyun realizes why she called him here. She pouts, saying it would be a tragedy if he left without even trying the game's core competitive mode. He admits he wasn't planning to play much anyway, since returning to his original world seems unlikely. Neon tells him not to judge the entire game based on just the tutorial. Woo-hyun realizes she is right. While PvE is identical to the hell he escaped, PvP is filled with elements he has never seen, meaning it might hold the answers he is searching for. He agrees, and Neon excitedly starts explaining the three major PvP modes, starting with Duels, a best 2 out of 3 combat system. Next is Struggle Mode, a 5 versus 5 team battle where players choose between domination, escort, capture, or annihilation. And lastly, Survival, a massive 100-player battle royale where players scavenge for weapons and fight to be the last team standing. She suggests starting with Team Mode and offers to recommend a proper PvP skill build. Woo-hyun calmly declines. He stares at the skill tree, resolving to use the legendary build that made him known as the superhuman in his past life. Mei-yeon says she will record his matches, and Woo-hyun logs into the interface. Neon selects their starting zone, the military base, which is standard for high-level competitive drops. We find out the military base is a high-grade loot zone swarming with elite players, making it extremely dangerous for beginners. She eagerly begs him to let her upload his PvP matches to YouTube, and Woo-hyun sighs, telling her to calm down and giving her permission. She screams with joy, slamming the start button to begin matchmaking. The system confirms the starting point selection, initiating a 60-second countdown to the match start. Neon smiles confidently as the teleportation light envelops them, telling her partner she will see him on the other side. Two rival players spawn inside a dark concrete hallway of the military base, looking around cautiously. They complain about the lack of good loot in their starting hallway, deciding to move to another floor. Suddenly, a dark blur flashes past them. They freeze, sensing a terrifying presence. A massive explosion of rubble and concrete erupts as the wall is completely blown apart. A system notification flashes on Neon's screen, confirming Woo-hyun eliminated his first target. She gasps, shocked by how fast he secured a kill. Suddenly, the elimination feed starts scrolling at terminal velocity as Woo-hyun begins an absolute god-level killing spree. Neon is left completely speechless. She stares at the endless screen of notifications, screaming and wondering what on earth Woo-hyun is doing. PvP mode is a completely different beast. An enemy player tries to take Woo-hyun head-on, only to get instantly blasted backward with a heavy strike. The poor guy is sent crashing to the concrete floor as a system notification flashes, confirming another elimination for Woo-hyun. Woo-hyun looks around the quiet room, dusting off his hands. He notes that he doesn't sense any more player presence nearby, realizing that was the last survivor in this area. He starts walking down the concrete stairs, thinking to himself that running into a group of 4 coordinated players at once while descending was a bit unexpected. He decides he is done farming gear and prepares to find the exit, but suddenly his tactical communicator pings with a loud static whir. Neon's voice screams through the speaker at the top of her lungs, desperately begging him for help because she is completely surrounded by a massive horde of enemies on the other side of the map. He quickly pulls up his holographic radar map, tracking her location. He sighs, noting that she's on the opposite side of the sector, which is a pretty long distance. He coordinates with her over the comms, asking which specific part of the building she is pinned down on. She screams back that she is trapped on a 3rd-floor roof. She warns him to be extremely careful because the fighting downstairs is chaotic and there are skirmishes on every single floor. Woo-hyun calmly agrees and instantly bursts into a full sprint. Down in the hallways, several players are actively clashing when they are suddenly stunned as a dark figure blurs past them like an absolute freight train. A fire-wielding player tells his partner to prep his skills while he tries to stall the incoming rush. But before the guy can even channel his magic, Woo-hyun blitzes right past him, the sheer wind pressure and speed leaving them completely disoriented. The partner turns around, only to cry out in horror as a system notification instantly flashes, confirming that Woo-hyun has eliminated his teammate in a fraction of a second. The fire player panics, realizing they are dealing with a pure physical agility build, and desperately tries to charge his magic. He unleashes a massive wave of dark purple fire to incinerate the corridor. but Wu Yun is already 10 steps ahead. He leaps high into the air, completely clearing the fire blast, and prepares a devastating dive attack from above. The player can only watch in absolute terror as Wu Yun slams his heavy chain scythe straight into his chest with crushing force. He lands gracefully on the concrete floor as another elimination notice flashes on the screen. He doesn't even look back at the carnage. Wu Yun continues his relentless sprint, charging through the building and leaving a massive trail of defeated players in his wake. The kill feed on the side of the screen is spamming notifications like crazy. He is systematically wiping out the entire server solo. He pings Neon, calmly letting her know that he has arrived in front of her building. She is completely flabbergasted, asking how on earth he got there so fast. He grabs the door handle, telling her to just stay put and wait for him on the roof. He slowly pushes the heavy metal door open, stepping quietly into the dark, silent interior of the building. He closes his eyes for a split second, utilizing his battle-hardened senses. He calculates there are 4 or 5 players hiding in the shadows ahead. The moment he steps inside, 2 ambushers jump out from the dark corners, raising their daggers to catch him off guard. One of them screams for him to die as he drives his blade forward. But Wu Yun's reaction speed is on a completely different level. With lightning-fast reflexes, Wu Yun effortlessly catches the attacker's wrist mid-air. The ambusher's smug smile instantly vanishes, replaced by a look of pure, paralyzing horror as he realizes he is completely trapped. Wu Yun delivers a brutal, high-impact punch straight to the guy's chest, sending him crashing into the concrete wall. Wu Yun sighs, casually looking at his hands and thinking to himself that he should probably speed up his pace a little bit. He sweeps the remaining ambushers in a flash of pure physical dominance, completely clearing the building in seconds. 4 elimination notifications flash simultaneously on the screen. This is a complete and total stomp. Up on the roof, Neon is staring at the feed with her mouth wide open, completely speechless as she watches her friends single-handedly massacre the lobby. Suddenly, she senses a presence behind her. She spins around in terror, her eyes reflecting a blue, crackling light. It is Wu Yun, standing right behind her without making a single sound. Neon screams, nearly jumping out of her skin. Wu Yun just stands there quietly as she clutches her chest, complaining that he almost gave her a literal heart attack. She points out that she didn't hear him approach at all. She notes that, with his current pace, he has already racked up 14 kills entirely solo, jokingly wondering if her presence was even necessary. She asks if he cleared the entire building already, holding a chainsaw. He looks at her weapon, completely puzzled, and she sheepishly explains it was the only thing she could find. Determined to help, Neon revs her chainsaw and declares she will carry the rest of the match. Wu Yun just gives her a dry, skeptical look. Unsurprisingly, they easily win the match. The lobby results screen flashes, confirming their victory. They end up getting an unbelievable 10 consecutive wins. Neon collapses onto the floor in exhaustion, begging him to stop playing for the day. He simply agrees. As they prepare to log off, she looks at him with a blush, thinking that her friend is a literal walking cheat code and she must convince him to stream. She begs him to wait just 2 days before starting his main quest so she can prepare a proper streaming proposal. He sighs, repeating that he has zero interest in streaming. She waves cheerfully, telling him she will see him later and logs out of the game. Wu Yun is left alone in the quiet digital lobby, staring off into space. He sighs, realizing that even the competitive PvP mode failed to give him any clues about his entrapment or the system's secrets. The scene shifts to the real world, showing a quiet apartment building at night. Inside her bedroom, Neon is lying on her bed, happily kicking her feet while scrolling through her phone. She is reading through the community comments about their hack verification stream, giggling to herself. She rolls over on her bed, squealing with absolute excitement because the stream was such a massive success. She looks at the viewer count, still unable to believe her channel managed to hit a peak of over 100,000 live viewers. She sighs, wishing she could keep streaming with him and wondering if she should have been a little more persistent. She remembers how cold and firm his rejection was and sighs, realizing he was way too stubborn from the start. She decides to check her email to see how much stream revenue they generated so she can send Wu Yun his fair share. But as soon as she opens her inbox, her eyes widen in absolute jaw-dropping shock. The next day, she urgently calls Wu Yun to a local cafe. He sits down, confused, asking why she summoned him so suddenly. She slams her laptop onto the table, displaying a custom presentation. Wu Yun can only stare in confusion. She proudly reveals a highly colorful, amateur-looking PowerPoint titled Bake Wu Yun and Jung Neon Streamer Project. Wu Yun looks completely unimpressed by her overnight masterpiece. She pitches her no-interaction idea again, arguing he won't have to look at chat at all. He dryly reminds her that he never actually agreed to that. Neon quickly counters, proposing the unique reality observation show format to keep things fresh. A screen pops up explaining the format, a show where multiple cast members sit in a studio and watch recorded footage of others playing. She explains that he will just play the game normally, and she will handle all the stream commentary and viewer interactions. She adds that if they need more hype, they can even bring in a professional esports commentator to call his matches. She offers him a very generous 60-40 split of the revenue. Woo Yun flatly declines again, saying he is still not interested. She sighs, wondering if he doesn't understand how lucrative streaming can be, and asks if he checked his email for his settlement payout from Soil. He remembers receiving a notification this morning, pulling out his phone to check the details. The email from Soil reveals his cut of the stream was a massive 6 million won for just 1 hour of playing. Nayeon is completely shell-shocked. She screams at the top of her lungs, asking how on earth he can turn down streaming when 1 hour made him 6 million won. But Woo Yun isn't even listening to her. His face is completely pale as he stares at a specific message at the bottom of the email. He is completely frozen in shock, sweat dripping down his face as he reads the text. The bottom of the email contains a forwarded donation message from anonymous viewer 62 that welcomes him back to reality and promises a new special mission. He realizes with absolute horror that whoever sent this knows his dark secret. They know he survived the other side, and 62 is a clear reference to his experiment number. He stands up, completely panicking. Who on earth could possibly know about his survival? He slams the table, desperately asking Nayeon if they can track the anonymous donor's personal info. She tells him it is completely impossible due to privacy laws. She explains that the only way to contact or find this donor is during a live stream. Hearing this, Woo Hyun immediately changes his mind. He looks down with a dark expression and agrees to do it. He confirms he will stream. Nayeon is completely ecstatic, her eyes sparkling as she tells him he can't back out. Wide shot of the cafe table. The laptop is still open, but the atmosphere has completely shifted. Woo Hyun has a burning resolve now. Nayeon quickly drafts the official announcement on her channel, declaring that Hackster Lord will appear on a personal stream. The stage is officially set for his grand return. It is a golden Friday evening in the bustling city, a perfect time for people to unwind and enjoy their leisure after a long week. But for the self-proclaimed hardcore gamers, they have all gathered in front of their monitors with one heart and one mind. Armed with their favorite chicken and snacks, they are all eagerly waiting for the highly anticipated hack clarification stream of the legendary Haxical. Meanwhile, 5 minutes before the broadcast begins, we are inside Reverse Planet's virtual broadcasting studio where Nayeon and a co-host are preparing. Nayeon is sweating bullets, admitting she is getting incredibly nervous as the countdown ticks down. Her co-host, Song Cheol, pumps his fist, telling her to relax because they prepared thoroughly. Song Cheol, who is a famous expert commentator for the game, admits he was shocked when he first received the casting offer to host this stream. He says he never expected anyone to actually book the legendary Woo Yun for a live gameplay test. Nayeon laughs sheepishly, explaining that once she told Woo Yun they were friends, he agreed instantly. Suddenly, a bright blue notification flashes on their screen, confirming they are live. It is officially showtime, and Nayeon takes a deep breath. Nayeon and Song Cheol introduce themselves to the camera with bright, welcoming smiles as the broadcast officially begins. The live chat is scrolling at terminal velocity, demanding to see the main star. Nayeon laughs, telling them not to panic because Haxical is already loaded in. The screen splits to show Woo Yun's live-in game feed. He has just spawned into the starting zone, looking completely calm. Nayeon explains that today's Hack Tour content will follow an observation variety format, where they will provide live commentary while watching his raw manual gameplay. She builds up the hype, asking the viewers if they are ready to finally see how the mysterious top player actually plays Reverse Planet. With a bright, confident smile, she looks at the camera and kicks things off. A system notification pings on Woo Yun's interface from Nayeon, giving him the signal to go. His walkie-talkie static whirs as a broadcast from the Otherworld Management Bureau comes through. The tutorial quest has officially begun. He is instructed to rescue the survivors scattered along the forest path and escort them safely out. He starts walking down the sunlit dirt trail. He looks around the dense forest, noting to himself that this mission's layout is exactly the same as the nightmare he endured in his past life. He recalls his past, where he was constantly running for his life, desperately dragging wounded comrades through these exact same woods while beasts chase them. But as he grips his chain scythe, his gaze turns ice cold. This time, he won't be running. Suddenly, a massive explosion erupts on the path ahead, accompanied by the agonizing screams of players getting ambushed. Several armed security guards equipped with glowing green visors emerge from the dense foliage. The guards instantly spot Woo Hyun and shout orders to launch a coordinated three-pronged ambush to take him down. They draw their weapons and leap down from the trees, closing in on him from all sides. But Woo Yun's single eye glows with a terrifying golden light as he mutters that all of them will die. A blood-red, hellish aura of pure murderous intent erupts around him, instantly changing the entire atmosphere of the forest. The guards panic, immediately raising their automatic rifles and opening fire. But Woo Yun sweeps his chain scythe with incredible physical speed, deflecting every single incoming bullet effortlessly. The guards are left completely dumbfounded as they watch their high-caliber rounds spark harmlessly against his steel chains. With a powerful flick of his wrist, Woo Hyun unleashes a devastating shockwave that sends the attackers flying backward in agony. Suddenly, a high-level guard wielding a massive sword leaps down from a boulder, screaming that Woo Hyun is a fool and swinging his blade to execute him. But Woo Hyun effortlessly sidesteps the heavy vertical slash, letting the giant blade smash uselessly into the dirt. Before the guard can even recover his stance, Woo Hyun wraps his heavy steel chain tightly around the man's wrist. With a brutal yank, he drags the heavy attacker off balance, causing him to collide headfirst into his own teammate. Woo Hyun swings the chain with both hands, slamming both guards face first into the ground with a massive impact. The guard coughs up blood, completely choked out and crushed by the overwhelming weight of the heavy steel chain. Woo Hyun stands victorious amidst the dust and fallen guards, looking completely unbothered. In the distance, more reinforcements spot him, shouting in panic and calling him a bug as they charge. Back in the studio, commentator Seong Cheol is wiping sweat from his brow, completely bewildered and muttering that this is definitely not the game he knows. He admits to the viewers that in all his years of commentating professional esports, he has never seen anyone play with this level of raw, unfiltered aggression. The live chat is going crazy, pointing out that Woo Hyun doesn't even bother with strategy. He literally just lets the enemies gather in one spot so he can wipe them out all at once. On stream, a 50,000 won donation pops up, with a viewer asking if the absolute being skill is actually this overpowered. Naeon forwards the question, asking if the skill is actually overpowered. Song Cheo firmly shakes his head, stating with absolute certainty that it is not. He explains that most skills in the game have unique, heavy cooldowns. Woo Hyun's build has no cooldowns, which makes it look overpowered at first glance. But the skill only amplifies raw base physical stats. It doesn't grant you any weapon proficiency or combat intelligence. The only reason it looks broken is because Woo Hyun's manual control is flawless. He drops the ultimate truth bomb. If Woo Hyun possessed these physical stats in the real world, he could pull off these exact same moves. The build is only good because Woo Hyun himself is a monster. Suddenly, Woo Hyun hears disciplined footsteps approaching. He narrows his eyes, turning to face the new threat. A squad of highly trained military soldiers equipped with advanced tactical gear and visors emerges from the trees surrounding him. The leader of the squad steps forward, introducing himself as Kim Cheol, team leader of the Otherworld Management Bureau, and orders Woo Hyun to surrender peacefully. We get a quick explanation of the Bureau. It is a high-level government department tasked with subjugating invasive entities that leak through dimensional gates. They are the elite forces responsible for maintaining order and protecting citizens from otherworldly threats. Woo Hyun stares at the leader, completely shocked. He recognizes Kim Cheol from his past life, remembering him as a legendary director. Kim Cheol notices Woo Hyun's blood-stained test subject uniform and immediately orders his men to stand down, realizing he is an escaped victim. He apologizes politely for the rudeness. He notices the tactical radio in Woo Hyun's hand and asks where he got it. Woo Hyun explains that an agent inside the lab gave it to him before passing. Kim Cheol looks down in grief, realizing his undercover agent has died. Woo Hyun thinks to himself that Kim Cheol is just as kind-hearted as he remembered. Kim Cheol guides him, explaining they must take him to the Bureau to verify his identity. Woo Hyun calmly agrees to follow them. A massive system message flashes confirming the main mission is complete and that he has joined the Bureau. He levels up and gains a PowerPoint. The scene transitions. Woo Hyun finds himself sitting inside a clean, modern counseling office at the Bureau, deeply amused by the irony of ending up here. He recalls his past life after escaping the lab, where he worked as a corporate mercenary, executing assassinations and kidnappings to gather funds for his revenge. But the vast majority of his mercenary income came from subjugating the rifts of the inverted world. Greedy corporations would clear these rifts for high-value loot and then leave the dangerous cleanup to him, which naturally led to him cross paths with the Bureau. While they occasionally cooperated on hunts, they also had major conflicts, pointing their blades at each other many times. Suddenly, a woman's voice calls out his name. A beautiful female agent wearing glasses and a formal uniform enters the room, introducing herself as Lee Eugene from Team 1. The stream chat immediately starts spamming over her beauty. Woo Hyun recognizes her instantly. She sits across from him, politely welcoming him and noting that he must have been through a lot to get here. She slides a folder across the table, explaining that he now has two distinct choices regarding his future. First, he can choose to live a peaceful civilian life under the Bureau's protection, which strictly bans the use of any powers. Second, he can join the Bureau as an active combat agent. She explains that if he chooses to become an agent, he won't be sent to the field immediately, but will undergo rigorous combat training first. Woo Hyun remains completely silent. He finds it incredibly ironic that in his past life he literally slaughtered Bureau agents, and now he is being offered a job to become their colleague. Li Yujin looks at him expectantly, asking him for his final decision. Wu Yun clenches his hands, preparing to give his answer. Wu Yun stands in the quiet office, deeply reflecting on Li Yujin's offer. He realizes that choosing a normal civilian life would eventually force him back into doing dirty work for greedy corporations, a bloody path he refuses to walk again. He looks up at her, steeled with determination, and accepts the offer to become an agent. She smiles brightly, delighted by his choice. She adjusts her glasses with a small sigh of relief, explaining that private corporations have been aggressively scouting awakened individuals lately, leaving the bureau severely understaffed. She leans in closer, warning him in a confidential whisper that signing with private companies is a massive trap and that many awakened individuals end up deeply regretting it. See, private corporations lack the professional training and safety protocols of the government, often completely abandoning their test subjects if a dangerous training accident occurs. Meanwhile, the Otherworld Management Bureau is a highly stable, long-standing organization with extensive experience in training awakened individuals and suppressing dimensional rifts. Woo Hyun listens silently. He remembers his past life, thinking that while corporate contracts indeed paid much better, the risk of death was astronomical, and countless test subjects lost their lives doing their dirty work. He recalls how some greedy corporations refused to pay him at all, meaning he had to resort to some extreme measures and threat of violence to collect his hard-earned cash. That exact payment dispute was what originally exposed his illegal activities to the authorities, putting him on the Bureau's radar and forcing him to stay on the run for a long time. Yujin slides a high-tech tablet and a sleek black work phone across the desk, preparing to officially register his profile into the Bureau's active database. Woo Hyun takes the phone, calmly asking what his very first step should be. She explains that he will start with probationary training to verify his combat skills before receiving a permanent team assignment. She smiles warmly, admitting she secretly hopes he gets assigned to her team. Woo Hyun turns and walks out, thinking that he hopes so too, since he still has an unfinished debt to settle from his previous life. He recalls that despite their many clashes later on, it was Li Yujin's bold raid on the research facility that originally saved his life and allowed his teammates to survive. Back in the virtual studio, Soil is shown staring at the broadcast with her mouth wide open, completely unable to believe how naturally and dynamically the game's NPCs are conversing with Woo Hyun. Nyeon and Song Cheol are also completely blown away. Normally, game NPCs only repeat pre-scripted lines, but these characters are reacting in real time to Woo Hyun's custom dialogue. Song Cheol's eyes light up as he realizes what this means. The developers have actually implemented a revolutionary next-gen fully responsive AI into the game. The broadcast displays a tech graphic explaining that, unlike standard scripted NPCs, a fully responsive AI possesses its own cognitive processing power, allowing it to communicate completely freely. Song Cheol explains that because this level of AI requires an astronomical amount of server resources, the industry universally believed it was impossible to implement in a massive online game. He reasons that the developers must have hidden this legendary technology as an exclusive, incredibly rare Easter egg that only triggers under highly specific conditions. They realized the absolute key trigger to activate the secret AI was Woo Hyun's decision to start the game with combat correction set to 0%. Soil can only stare in awe. Song Chol laughs, predicting that the gaming forums are about to go completely feral once they realize what Woo Hyun has uncovered. Nayeon is ecstatic. A teaser displays a high-level female player with pink hair and cat ears. Nayeon notes that top-tier lore fans and elite players are going to be completely obsessed with this stream. She wraps up the story segment, thanking the viewers and announcing that they will now officially transition to the highly anticipated PvP ranked matches. The stream transitions to show Woo Hyun standing inside a high-tech battle preparation room. He checks his interface, noting that the mysterious anonymous viewer 62 has not made a move yet. We get a quick flashback of Nayeon's laptop from their earlier meeting at the cafe, showing their secret strategy. Woo Hyun had strictly instructed her to alert him immediately if the anonymous donor made any comments or donations on stream, regardless of what was happening. In the present, he decides to proceed with the match. He pings Nayeon that he is locked in and ready. Nayeon enthusiastically kicks off the PvP match, hyping up the viewers. A flashy versus graphic appears on the broadcast screen. Nayeon announces that this is officially the first time their hacker guest is playing a ranked match. The co-hosts explain that Woo Hyun will start his climb in the normal league, which serves as the entry point for all competitive players. The stream displays the game's official ranking tiers. To qualify for bronze, you must secure 10 consecutive wins in the normal league. Seong Cheol notes that while professional players can speedrun this placement in about 30 minutes, it typically takes average players about 2 hours to complete. Suddenly, a 50,000 won donation challenge pings on stream challenging him to reach bronze in under 30 minutes. Nayeon is thrilled by the challenge. She forwards the speedrun challenge to Woo Hyun, who accepts with his signature calm confidence. Nayeon and Song Cheol rally the crowd, urging everyone to stay tuned to see if their guest can actually shatter the professional speedrun record live. A blue system notification pings, confirming the ranked match queue was successful. The first round is set to begin in 10 seconds. Song Cheol leans forward, looking slightly puzzled as he observes Woo Hyun's choice of weapon. Instead of his signature massive scythe, Woo Hyun is shown unsheathing a pair of sleek, sharp dual daggers. His opponent is an elite mage player clad in a dark blue hood, channeling ice magic. Song Cheol notes that if the mage fails to maintain distance, he is going to get absolutely vaporized. The countdown reaches 0, and the match is officially underway. The mage instantly casts a massive ice explosion spell, screaming as a violent frost storm erupts across the arena. He unleashes a rapid barrage of sharp ice shards directly at Woo Hyun to pin him down. But Woo Hyun moves like a shadow, sprinting up the ruined stone walls of the cemetery to effortlessly bypass the ice projectiles. In the blink of an eye, Woo Hyun closes the distance and neutralizes the mage. A blue system victory notification flashes. The second round starts, but the opponent immediately surrenders, crying in chat about getting matched against a Smurfault. Just like that, Woo Hyun secures his first match victory. In his second match, the opponent is a dark mage summoning massive purple spectral claws to crush him. The opponent screams in sheer horror as Woo Hyun effortlessly shatters his Shadow Spear spell with a single strike. Woo Hyun comes down with a decisive vertical slash, instantly securing his second consecutive match victory. In his third match, the opponent is a martial artist wearing a light taekwondo uniform, launching a powerful flying kick. Woo Hyun casually dodges and takes him down with a single brutal punch to the gut, securing his third consecutive victory. The screen displays his rapid match history. He is tearing through opponents with terrifying speed and efficiency. Nayeon and Song Cheol are staring at their tablets with wide eyes, completely speechless. It took Woo Hyun a mere 20 minutes to secure all 10 consecutive wins. The system flashes a massive golden notification confirming he ranked up to bronze. The speedrun mission is officially complete. The stream chat is going absolutely ballistic with hype, spamming emojis and praising his godlike mechanics. Song Cheol adjusts his glasses, explaining that while the speedrun time is legendary, his actual in-game performance metrics are even more mind-blowing. He explains that normally, if a player encounters an unfavorable counter matchup, their performance is bound to fluctuate. But Woo Hyun showed absolutely zero fluctuation. Regardless of the opponent's build, he maintained a flawless win rate with 0 drops in performance. A massive donation of 500,000 won pings from a viewer named Pinecone, crying about how incredibly broken Woo Hyun is. Nayeon waves and thanks Pinecone, saying she is extremely excited to watch him climb the actual ranked leagues. They discuss the possibility of stream sniping, noting that since his matches are broadcast live, elite players will definitely try to queue up at the exact same second to challenge him. Song Cheol says stream sniping is hard to coordinate, so they shouldn't worry too much. Nayeon sweat drops, thinking to herself that saying that is a classic jinx. And of course, the system instantly matches them. They load into the cemetery map, and the opponent immediately types out that he got them in the global chat. The opponent is a smug-looking, orange-haired player with goggles. He is a high-level stream sniper who coordinated his Q to specifically target Woo Hyun and expose him. Woo Hyun stands in the cemetery, casually unsheathing his daggers. He doesn't care about the toxic trash talk. Song Cheol notes that professional players are completely trained to ignore toxic provocations. Nayeon blushes slightly and smiles, declaring that the real challenge begins now. The round starts. The sniper immediately activates a massive, flashy lightning power-up, crackling with raw electricity as he screams. The sniper leaps forward, engulfing the entire screen in a massive storm of golden lightning. He screams for Woo Hyun to die as he drives a powerful electric strike down. Woo Hyun easily slips past the lightning strike with absolute ease. He thinks to himself that he actually expected a challenge since the guy was talking so big. Woo Hyun delivers a cold, precise counter-slash with his dagger, thinking to himself that this was just a waste of time. The round ends instantly. The sniper is knocked flat on his back, bleeding and staring up in utter disbelief. He realizes this guy is a complete monster. The system counts down to the second round. The sniper is sweating profusely, completely panicked. He realizes he will get crushed again if he plays normally, deciding he must use his secret forbidden trick. The second round starts. The sniper is engulfed in a massive, crackling electrical aura that is far more intense than before. Woo Hyun looks at him, sensing a sudden spike in energy. Woo Hyun stands ready, noting that the player's energy and the surrounding air have completely shifted. The sniper charges forward with near instantaneous speed, creating an explosive flash of golden lightning that shatters the stone floor. Woo Hyun evaluates the sniper's movements, noting that they are suddenly much sharper, heavier, and incredibly efficient, resembling the optimized pathing of an Etenel combat robot. The sniper laughs maniacally, his eyes wide and bloodshot as he screams at Woo Hyun. He unleashes a barrage of high-speed lightning punches, shouting that he only went easy on him during the first round. Wu Yun easily blocks the flurry of lightning strikes with his daggers. He instantly realizes what is actually happening. The sniper is using a real hack. A text box appears on screen, recalling some past advice on how to handle toxic actual hackers in matches. Back in the studio, Neon is cheering, gesturing with her finger and yelling for him to smash the toxic hacker thoroughly. The round is barely starting, but the hacker is already sweating bullets. He senses the entire atmosphere of the graveyard shift instantly, realizing something is terribly wrong. He tries to psych himself up, telling himself his cheats give him the ultimate advantage, but the absolute terror in his eyes tells a completely different story. He charges forward in a burst of electricity, swinging his sword down in a heavy strike, but our boy doesn't even move an inch, blocking the blow with his dual daggers. Wu Yun plants his foot firmly onto the stone floor, completely halting the hacker's momentum. The sheer power in his stance is absolutely unreal. With a swift, fluid rotation, Wu Yun effortlessly pivots around the block. He's moving with the kind of manual speed that shouldn't even be possible in this game. A clean horizontal slash rips right through the hacker's defenses, sending blood and sparks flying everywhere. Talk about a brutal counterattack. The hacker is clutching his chest in agony, unable to process how his high-level cheat build just got completely dismantled. He can only scream in absolute denial. Wu Yun doesn't give him a second to breathe, coming down with another high-speed slash. He's slicing this guy up like a piece of paper. The hacker is completely losing his mind, screaming in pure humiliation as he gets repeatedly thrashed. His proud expressions have completely vanished. Wu Yun stands there in absolute silence, looking down at his pathetic opponent. It is pretty clear he's just playing with his food at this point. The poor guy is left bleeding and humiliated on the cemetery floor, wondering what kind of monster he just ran into. He thought he was the one doing the re-education. Back in the studio, Neon is completely stunned, slowly piecing together what Wu Yun is actually doing. The commentator confirms her suspicions with a serious nod. The broadcasters are left sweating as they watch the fight. It looks like Wu Yun is deliberately refusing to land the finishing blow. He has countless perfect openings to end the match, but he's dragging it out to prolong his opponent's suffering. He is literally following Neon's advice to smash the hacker thoroughly. The live chat is absolutely losing it, calling Neon a terrifying, scary woman for creating this monster. They are genuinely worried about the poor hacker's mental state. Back in the game, the hacker is barely holding on, crying out to ask what Wu Yun even is. He can't comprehend how a normal player can possess this level of godlike skill. Wu Yun coldly twirls his dagger, telling the hacker that he's returning those exact words right back to him. The disrespect is absolutely legendary. With one final lightning-fast slash, the round officially ends in a total shutout. The hacker gets sent back to the lobby in absolute, humiliating defeat. After that intense lesson, Wu Yun continues his ranked climb with completely unstoppable momentum. Nobody on the server is safe anymore. He goes on to effortlessly break past 30 consecutive wins without dropping a single round. He's practically speedrunning his way up the global leaderboard. In the studio, Neon is completely starstruck as she announces he has already reached gold rank. Song Cheol is equally stunned, noting he has never seen anyone pull off a 30-win streak on their debut stream. The chat is absolutely begging to see his custom build. Neon notes that while most players are extremely protective of their setups, she decides to ask him anyway. To her absolute surprise, Wu Yun casually agrees without even a second of hesitation. He genuinely doesn't care if others try to copy him because his strength is pure skill anyway. Neon excitedly announces to the audience that the god of mechanics is officially putting his build on display. The entire stream chat goes absolutely wild in disbelief. They wrap up the broadcast with polite bows, thanking their massive audience for tuning in. The stream ends on a legendary high note, leaving everyone eager for more. The moment they log off, Song Cheol starts jumping with excitement, screaming that today's stream was absolute history in the making. He knows the online forums are about to explode. Neon gets starry-eyed, wondering if Wu Yun can actually break the all-time consecutive win record. Seon Cheol explains that the current legendary record of 76 wins is held by the top pro, Battler. She is fully convinced that if anyone can shatter that record, it's definitely Wu Yun. She's already imagining the astronomical popularity their channel will reach. But Song Cheol warns her that Battler is incredibly competitive, meaning the superstar pro is likely already keeping a close eye on their newcomer. Back in the real world, a hand clicks a mouse as someone browses the online forums late at night. The community boards are completely flooded with posts discussing Wu Yun's legendary performance and the permaban of the toxic hacker. The developers officially confirmed that the sniper was using an illegal program, leading to a swift permaban. The forums are laughing at the cheater getting thoroughly exposed on a livestream. A mysterious player reviews the forum comments, staring at the clip of Wu Yun's flawless movement with a deeply analytical expression. He reads a comment claiming that even the great battler couldn't stand a chance against Haxical. That statement instantly gets his competitive juices flowing. This is indeed the legendary superstar pro gamer battler. He flashes a cocky smirk, muttering that things have finally started to get interesting on this server. A few days pass, bringing us to the start of the highly anticipated second broadcast. Back in-game, Wu Yun is walking through a quiet, sunlit forest path. He's slightly disappointed that his mysterious, anonymous donor didn't make a move during the last stream, wondering if his performance was still lacking. He walks out of the woods and spots the beautiful bureau agent Li Yujin waving at him from the gate. She asks if he's feeling nervous since this is his very first official field mission under the bureau's name. Wu Yun calmly replies that he is perfectly fine, as expected of a 10-year veteran. A massive system notification pops up in front of him, officially assigning him his very first field mission. It's time to put his skills to the test in the real world. He thinks to himself how convenient it is to bypass the tedious training process and jump straight into action. He asks Yujin what their primary objective is. She explains that their mission is to completely clear out all invading entities inside a specific reverse world sector before they can go completely berserk and threaten the real world. She notes that the sector is actually an abandoned site originally harvested by greedy private corporations, who recklessly dump these dimensional gates once they extract all valuable resources. Yujin lets out a heavy sigh, complaining about how corporate greed always leaves the dangerous cleanups to the bureau. Wu Yun silently agrees, thinking that corporate bastards are exactly the same in every single universe. The sector is reportedly crawling with insect-type monsters. While they are relatively weak, they are incredibly numerous and annoying to clear out. As they reach the entrance of the warehouse, a heavily armed military guard salutes them, confirming their identity before clearing them to pass. Yujin politely presents her credentials, thanking the guard for his service as the steel security gates slide open. Wu Yun steps inside the dark, cavernous chamber, his eyes widening as he spots the massive, swirling portal. It instantly triggers a heavy wave of nostalgia. The giant blue-dimensional rift sits in the center of the abandoned warehouse, crackling with intense energy. The layout is incredibly ominous. As he stares into the swirling depths of the rift, a dark realization hits him. He finally figures out why this place felt so familiar. He remembers encountering this exact same dimensional gate in the previous world. But back then, it was classified as a highly dangerous medium-scale rift, not a minor small-scale one. He wonders if the system's calculations made a dangerous mistake, but decides to keep his thoughts to himself as Eugene suggests they head inside. Suddenly, an arrogant corporate mercenary in a tactical suit steps out from the shadows, mockingly greeting Yujin. This is Choi Hyung-kil. He chuckles smugly, claiming he was equally surprised to find their designated mission sectors overlapping today. He's clearly up to no good. Yujin glares at him with absolute hostility, accusing his company of plotting something behind the bureau's back. He just acts hurt, trying to laugh it off. He turns his attention to Woo Hyun, sizing him up with a patronizing look before casually tossing an arm over his shoulder. He immediately tries to recruit him, bragging that corporate pay is leagues better than suffering as a government dog. Woo Hyun just stares at him in dead silence. Yujin steps in with a terrifying, bloodthirsty glare, ordering him to back off and not dare to cross the line with her rookie. Hyung-kil backs away with a fake defensive smile, claiming he will gracefully yield the entire sector to them today. He waves arrogantly as he walks off, leaving Woo Hyun to quietly ask Yujin who that annoying character even was. Yujin rubs her head in exhaustion, explaining that Hyung-kil was actually the very first rookie she ever had to train. Just thinking about him makes her blood sugar drop. She offers him a piece of candy, explaining that after getting scouted by a greedy private firm, he started spreading toxic lies about his former teammates. Back in the studio, the commentators are completely blown away by this sudden deep lore drop. The game has never once explained their history in as much detail. Neon notes that the standard campaign usually just glosses over their bitter rivalry. This proves the fully responsive AI is actively expanding the story's depth. She theorizes that the AI is generating custom narrative branches based entirely on Woo Yun's presence. Yujin suggests they drop the heavy mood and head straight into the rift. As they walk through the swirling blue-dimensional gate, the scene cuts to Hyung-kil watching them from the shadows with a sinister, malicious grin. He whispers to himself, asking his squad if they are ready to initiate the ambush. He is definitely planning some massive corporate sabotage. 20 minutes later, we find ourselves deep inside the dark, foggy forest of the reverse world. The atmosphere is quiet. Woo Hyun stands amidst the gnarled trees, his senses on high alert. He knows that in a dark sector like this, danger can lunge from anywhere. He arrives at a clearing only to find several corporate guards collapsed on the damp forest floor. A brutal battle has clearly taken place here. His eye catches a small red candy wrapper lying completely soaked in a fresh pool of blood. This was the exact piece of candy Yujin offered him earlier. We flash back to just a few minutes ago. Lee Yujin and Woo Yun are standing in front of the giant swirling blue portal inside the abandoned warehouse. She explains to him that this is the direct passageway to the reverse world, and that once they pass through, they will be deployed inside the sector. Woo Hyun steps forward, his boots clicking against the metal floor. He notes to himself that the layout is identical to the parallel world he escaped. But as they enter the rift, the portal passageway suddenly begins to shake and distort violently, crackling with intense digital feedback. Woo Yun looks back in alarm as a massive warning notification flashes across his vision, signaling a major system anomaly. Yujin screams for her junior as the spatial storm completely tears the passageway apart, pulling them into different directions in a flash of blinding light. She desperately screams for him to watch out as she is swallowed by the spatial distortion. The portal explodes in a blinding flash of energy, completely severing their connection. Woo Yun opens his eyes to find himself standing completely alone in the middle of a dark, misty swamp forest. He checks his radar, confirming he has been separated from Yujin. He calmly unsheathes his daggers, thinking to himself that portal collapses are fairly common when subjected to heavy external shockwaves. Suddenly, several glowing, blue-eyed insect monsters creep out from the dark trees, completely surrounding him. Woo Yun's single eye glows with a cold yellow intensity under his hair as he prepares to fight. He decides he needs to quickly clear these annoying pests first so he can go search for Lee Eugene. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the forest, the corporate mercenary Choi Hyung-gyol is shown charging his blade with a powerful fire and lightning aura. He unleashes a massive, sweeping, spreading thunderstrike to clear his path, showing off his high-level destructive skills. His sword clashes heavily with a giant, dark, shadowy beast in the woods, easily overpowering it. Yujin is shown standing in a clearing, panting and sweating. She notes that this forest is far too massive, realizing the rift is actually a dangerous medium-scale one instead of a small-scale one. She catches her breath, thinking that something is definitely fishy about this mission's parameters. She mutters that she hopes her rookie junior is safe, completely unaware that Choi Hyung-kyul is stalking her from the shadows directly behind her. Suddenly, Hyung-kale lunges out of the trees, swinging his flaming sword directly at her back. He slashes her across the shoulder, sending blood spraying into the air. Yujin is completely caught off guard, coughing up blood in agony. Hyung-keel chuckles evilly, standing over her with his blazing sword as she falls to her knees, clutching her deep wound. She demands to know why he is doing this, and he smirks, telling her to just think of his actions as a highly lucrative secret mission. He tells her he is simply following orders, so she shouldn't take his betrayal too personally. Yujin grinds her teeth, realizing that the wound is too deep for her to fight back against him and his men. Close-up of her eyes. She realizes her only chance of survival is to flee and hide. She activates her wind agility skill, creating an explosion of pressure to make a desperate escape. Two corporate guards attempt to block her path, but she charges straight through their line. She executes a high-speed dash, knocking the guards aside with a powerful physical surge. She parkours over their heads, disappearing into the dense foliage. Hyung-kyul is furious, screaming at his men to chase after her immediately and show no mercy. The armed guards sprint through the woods, pursuing her trail. Yujin runs desperately, panting heavily as she clutches her bleeding shoulder. She reaches a high ravine, realizing she must jump across to lose her pursuers. She clears the massive gap with a desperate leap, her body silhouetted against the bright light. She rolls and lands on the other side, quickly hiding inside a dense bush to mask her presence. The corporate guards reach the edge of the ravine, screaming at each other for failing to block her escape. The guard captain growls in frustration, blaming his men for losing her trail. He commands them to fan out and search the surrounding valley thoroughly. From inside a dark hollow centipede burrow, Yujin's hand is shown grabbing the edge of the entrance as she hides. She pants heavily inside the dark burrow, thinking that if she hadn't found this centipede nest, she would be dead. She wonders what the corporation is plotting. Back to Woo Hyun. He has already slaughtered the entire horde of insect monsters, their corpses lying scattered around him as the chat goes crazy over his power. Woo Hyun looks at a set of footprints on the ground, realizing Eugene was here and that something bad must have happened to her. Close-up of Woo Hyun, looking deeply serious and focused as he tracks her trail. Suddenly, a loud, distant scream cuts through the woods. He turns his head in alarm. He recognizes Lee Eugene's voice instantly. He immediately dashes toward the sound. He leaps from tree to tree, becoming a blur of motion. He arrives at a clearing where Eugene is getting surrounded by a massive centipede monster. Woo Hyun lunges forward with his daggers, a flash of motion as he strikes. He slices through the monsters attacking Eugene, blood spraying everywhere. He lands in front of Eugene, defending her. He asks her if she is okay. Yujin looks up at him in utter shock and relief, stammering his name. He kneels down next to her, checking her wounds. Woo Hyun's eyes narrow as he examines her shoulder. He thinks to himself that someone as highly skilled as Yujin would never get defeated by mere insect-type pests. He realizes the slash was caused by an active elemental ability and concludes that the only awakened capable of doing this is Choi Young-kyeol. He asks her flatly if Choi Young-kyeol was the one who did this. She quietly confirms with a painful nod. She explains that Hyunkil must have followed them into the portal immediately. Nayeon's voice cuts in from the studio, calling out to her viewers. Nayeon points out that in the standard game storyline, Hyunkil's betrayal and ambush always happen much later in the corporate questline, so his early ambush makes no sense. Seon-cheol gets hyped, wondering if this is another dynamic change caused by the fully responsive AI. He urges everyone to keep watching to see the hidden story unfold. Back to Yoojin. She pants heavily, explaining that she can't use her abilities to heal or fight because the energy signature will instantly expose her location to her pursuers. She urges Woo-yun to escape first and save himself, but Woo-yun calmly stands up, telling her to hide while he goes to take care of them. She panics, screaming no and warning him that Hyung-kyeol is a veteran combat mercenary. Woo-yun simply dismisses her concern, saying, "It's fine." He walks off into the dark woods with an incredibly cool steeled posture, claiming he has a plan. Elsewhere in the woods, Hyung-cheol and his guards are searching, looking highly annoyed because they can't find her. He commands his guards to search the valley while he goes to hunt down their secondary target. Close-up of Hyung-kyeol's eyes as he smiles sinisterly, intending to assassinate Woo-yun. Suddenly, he hears a rustle in the trees above. Woo-yun intentionally makes a clumsy noise, pretending to run away in fear. Hyung-kyeol spots him, grinning as he sees his target panicking. Hyung-kyeol corners Woo-yun, asking if he is the rookie. Woo-yun plays dumb, putting his hands up and pretending to be relieved, gasping that he is saved. Woo-yun acts terrified, stammering about the portal collapsing and asking Hyung-kyeol for help. In the studio, Nayeon and Seong-kyeol are laughing at his hilarious Oscar-worthy acting. Hyung-kyeol smugly puts his arm around Woo-yun's shoulder, chuckling that the rookie is completely clueless. He draws his flaming sword with a wicked, murderous grin, telling Woo-yun he can meet Yoojin after he takes a short nap. But Woo-yun acts first and plunged his dagger through his chest. Choi Hyung-kyeol is on his knees, clutching his chest and bleeding heavily. He looks up at Woo-hyun in absolute disbelief, unable to comprehend how a rookie outmaneuvered him so easily. The two corporate guards hear the commotion, rushing over to find their squad leader collapsed on the forest floor. They shake Hyung-kyeol in a panic, desperately asking if he is okay, but Woo-hyun has already vanished completely into the dense trees. One of the guards quickly starts performing first aid on their leader, while the second guard draws his sword, sprinting into the woods to hunt down Woo-hyun. The guard dashes through the dark, misty forest path, looking around frantically but finding absolutely no trace of his target. Close-up of the chasing guard. He grinds his teeth, muttering that the kid couldn't have gone far and must be hiding nearby. But suddenly, Woo-hyun drops silently from the branches, landing directly behind him. The guard turns his head in a cold sweat, gasping in sheer shock. Woo-hyun executes a flawless, silent cross-slash, neutralizing the guard instantly. He looks down at the fallen enemy, casually wiping a droplet of blood off his cheek. Back in the clearing, the first guard is still desperately patching up Hyung-kyeol's wound, telling him to hang on until they can extract. But out of nowhere, a sharp dagger is driven clean through the first guard's chest from behind, making him spit up blood in agony. Hyung-kyeol's eyes widen in absolute horror as he watches his teammate get effortlessly eliminated right in front of him. Woo-hyun steps out from the shadows, looking like an absolute demon as he slides his blade out of the guard's back. Hyung-kyeol trembles in fear, weakly asking what happened to his comrade who went after him. Woo-hyun remains completely silent, offering only a cold, dead stare. Woo-hyun bends down and casually picks up the high-level sword dropped by the deceased guard, examining the blade. Hyung-kyeol gasps, immediately recognizing the rare, powerful sword in Woo-hyun's hands. Suddenly, the third corporate guard, an earth mage, leaps down from the rocks, channeling two glowing purple magic sigils as he screams in rage. The mage casts Stone Edge, summoning a row of massive, jagged stone spires to erupt from the ground and crush Woo-hyun. The massive stone pillars crash together with a resounding thud, completely burying Woo-hyun in debris. The earth mage lands on the ground, panting, and screams that he is not finished yet as he channels even more magic. He slams his fists into the ground, unleashing a massive seismic shockwave through the floor. He casts his ultimate spell, Earthwave, sending a colossal rolling wave of solid stone and dirt to flatten the entire area. Close-up of Woo-hyun's glowing eyes. He remains completely calm, tracking the trajectory of the incoming wave. With superhuman agility, he leaps and parkours across the flying rocks and falling trees, completely bypassing the destructive wave. He runs directly up the collapsing terrain, closing the gap between him and the mage in the blink of an eye. Woo-hyun leaps high into the air above the dust cloud, silhouetted against the bright light as he prepares his strike. The earth mage looks up in absolute paralyzing terror, sweating and trembling as he realizes the speed of the rookie. Wu Yun drops from the sky like a meteor, landing right behind the panicked mage in a blur of motion. In a desperate move, the mage casts Stonehorn, summoning a jagged stone shield to protect his back. But Wu Yun's newly looted sword slices through the stone defense like butter, driving clean through the mage's torso. The mage screams in agony, begging Wu Yun to stay away as he falls to his knees. Wu Yun finishes him off with a clean, decisive cross-slash of his dual daggers. A rapid flurry of slashes cuts through the air, completely shredding the mage's defense. Wu Yun lands in a low stance as the defeated mage collapses to the ground behind him, pixelating and dissolving. The bleeding earth mage looks up in utter disbelief, gasping that this is impossible before completely despawning. Wu Yun stands amidst the quiet woods, breathing out a small sigh as his live chat floods with absolute hype. Back in the studio, Neon is completely speechless, her mouth wide open as she stares at her screen. Song Cheol is screaming in pure excitement, pointing out that Wu Hyun just cleared 3 elite corporate hunting dogs solo. He notes the quest's difficulty is absurdly high. Wu Yun looks at his hands, thinking to himself that despite the easy win, his current physical body is still far too weak compared to his prime self. He stands over the defeated Choi Hyung-kyul, deciding to loot his body for any clues. He checks Yeon-cheol's phone, finding an encrypted text instructing him to capture Lee Yu-jin and the target alive, or kill them if things go sideways. Wu Yun pockets the phone, deciding to hand over this crucial piece of corporate conspiracy evidence to the Bureau later. The system displays the stats of his newly looted weapon. It is the Dagger of Sharp Return, which has a passive returning effect when thrown. He also loots a rare accessory called the Bracelet of the Winner, which significantly reduces active skill cooldowns. Finally, he loots Hermit's Necklace, a legendary accessory that grants shadow storage capacity. Wu Yun holds the dagger, thinking how convenient it is to instantly see item stats in a game, whereas in his previous world, he had to figure out effects through life-or-death trial and error. Knowing he has cleared the threat, he sheathes his weapons and prepares to locate Yu-jin. He dashes down the forest path, resolving to quickly clear the sector's boss so they can escape before Yu-jin's wounds deteriorate. Meanwhile, Yu-jin is shown hiding inside her dark centipede burrow, sweating and panting heavily as she clutches her painful shoulder. Suddenly, a terrifying giant green and black boss monster appears. It is the Captain Entity Emperor Scorpion. Yu-jin finds herself cornered by the boss. She sighs, but thinks it is actually a relief because if this giant boss had found her rookie junior instead, he would have been killed instantly. The giant scorpion attacks with a lightning-fast stinger strike, crushing the stone pillars around her. Close-up of Yu-jin, her eyes filled with determination. She channels her lightning element, resolving to take down the boss on her own. She leaps high into the air, channeling her powerful lightning ability for a final strike. But suddenly, she stops mid-air, her eyes widening in absolute shock as she sees a shadow blitz past her toward the boss. Wu Yun has already leaped above the giant scorpion, swinging his daggers with terrifying force. He lands gracefully as the giant boss collapses behind him, completely sliced to pieces. He turns to her, calmly asking if she is okay. Yu-jin lands on her knees, staring at him in complete speechless disbelief, whispering his name as the stream chat goes wild. The surrounding spatial rift begins to crack and shatter like glass. A system notice flashes, warning them that the inverted world is starting to collapse. Wu Hyun kneels, offering her a piggyback ride, telling her they must leave immediately. Yu-jin is completely stunned, muttering that he actually did it. In the studio, Neon and Song Cheol discuss the mechanics, noting they must escape immediately before the collapsing rift completely swallows them. Yu-jin wraps her arms around Wu Yun's shoulders, blushing slightly as he tells her to hold on tight. He sprints toward the exit. They leap through the closing portal just in time. A massive quest completion screen flashes, confirming the raid is complete and he leveled up. The scene transitions to show the majestic building of the Dimensional Management Bureau, HQ, at sunset. Inside the office, team leader Kim Chul looks deeply serious, asking if it is true that Yu-jin was ambushed by a corporate mercenary. Wu Yun sits across from Kim Chul, confirming it is true. Kim Chul slams his fist, growling that the corporations have crossed the line, asking what happened to the ambushers. Wu Yun calmly looks at him and replies that he killed them. Kim Chul is completely stunned, stammering and asking how. Kim Chul looks at the official data logs of the fight, confirming Wu Yun single-handedly wiped out the entire mercenary squad. He is left completely speechless. Wu Yun slides Hyung-cheol's phone across the table, explaining they found text message records proving corporate involvement, though the phone is locked. Kim Chul thanks him, saying this evidence is crucial and they will handle the rest. Wu Yun stands up to take his leave. As Wu Yun turns to walk away, a dark, shadowy aura begins to swirl around him. Kim Chul calls out to him to wait. Kim Chul looks at him, advising him to stay calm and rest up, warning him that the corporate giants are highly dangerous. Wu Yun is silent. He tells Wu Yun to cool down his anger until they have a solid legal case. Wu Yun quietly agrees and walks out. A series of system level-up screens flash, confirming his first practical mission is complete and awarding him a new skill point. Back in the studio, Neon and Song Cheol are shown in high spirits, praising his legendary performance in his very first field mission. Neon looks at her tablet, about to read the viewer comments, when she suddenly freezes in absolute shock. A massive donation of 3 million won flashes on the screen from the mysterious, anonymous viewer 62, accompanied by a terrifying message. You have passed the first test, now here is your special mission. Neon's voice screams through the phone in a state of pure frenzy, yelling that the anonymous donor just sent another 3 million won. Woo-hyun thinks to himself that the guy is finally back. She is so hyped that she promises to instantly send him a screenshot of the message. The message from anonymous viewer 62 congratulates him on passing his first trial and says a special mission is waiting, instructing him to finish his stream schedule first. Woo-hyun stares at his logs, noting that the donor said something very similar last time. He wonders if this person will finally reveal themselves once this current stream ends. He sends her a thumbs-up emoji, telling her they should proceed with the scheduled stream for now. Commentator Song Kiol notices Neon is completely spaced out, asking if something is wrong. She panics slightly and quickly apologizes. Neon worries if Woo-hyun can see the donation screen, but remembers it was a private donation, resolving to focus on the stream for now. She smiles and claps, announcing to the viewers that they will now officially transition to the exciting PvP segment. Song Cheol notes that Woo-hyun gained massive popularity after his last consecutive wins, asking what today's PvP theme is. The screen displays the rules for Warfare Mode. It is a 5 versus 5 team battle consisting of Control, Escort, Flashpoint, and Deathmatch. Neon sweat drops as she looks at the live chat, which is complaining about them doing a team mode instead of duels. But she winks and smiles confidently at the camera, promising they will change their minds once they watch him play. The system pings, confirming the PvP battle mode match was found. The match is underway. Song Cheol explains that the first game is Escort, where the attacking team must push a cargo payload to the goal while the defense team stops them. A graphic displays the path of the cargo payload toward the designated goal point. The system announces the start of the first round as the massive truck's wheels begin to roll. An overhead shot shows the attacking players gathered around the truck, but Song Cheol points out that Woo-hyun is staying far back. Neon watches his movement, wondering if he is going for a sneaky flank play to catch the defenders off guard. Seong Cheol agrees, explaining that while most players stick to the payload, flanking is a powerful strategy if you possess the individual mechanical skills to survive. We see Woo-hyun scaling a brick wall with ease, heading toward the high ground vantage point. The stream chat is debating, with some toxic viewers claiming it is just a typical Smurf play in an unranked lobby. But the radar map shows Woo-hyun's blue dot sprinting directly toward the cluster of orange dots representing the defense team at an incredible speed. Woo-hyun crouches on a roof ledge, looking down coldly at 3 defense players who have absolutely no idea he is right above them. He gets into position, casually unsheathing his daggers as he prepares to drop down. He leaps from the ledge like an assassin, his daggers glinting in the dim light. He lands and executes the first defender instantly. The other players spin around, shouting in pure panic. A blonde-haired defense player screams about a backdoor play as he frantically swings his weapon to counter. But Woo-hyun is too fast, unleashing a series of lightning-quick slashes that completely rip through their defenses. The entire defense team gets systematically wiped out. The dead players complain in the global chat about their team failing. One of the remaining defenders yells that he will hold off Woo-hyun while the other rushes to contest a payload. The defenders at the truck are completely bewildered as the kill feed is continuously flooded with Woo-hyun's name. A massive system message flashes confirming the attack team won and the round is over. A player at the truck stares blankly, unable to believe the round ended before they even got to fight. In the studio, Neon and Seong Cheol are completely stunned, laughing that they knew he would carry but didn't expect the entire match to end in a literal minute. Seong Cheol jokes that Woo-hyun must have a busy schedule to speedrun the match like this. Neon agrees, telling the viewers to stay tuned. A text overlay appears on screen, signaling the start of the 3 other PvP modes. We see a montage of Woo-hyun's combat, showing him delivering heavy punches and throwing daggers with insane accuracy. Another shot of him standing victorious over a pile of defeated players. The second mode, Control, begins with a massive explosion on the control point. Opponent players on high ground are screaming in panic as Woo-hyun blitzes through their defenses. He slashes his way across the high bridge, defeating multiple opponents with clean cuts. 2 enemies try to gang up on him, but he easily slips past them and counters instantly. Close-up of Woo-hyun's intense glowing eyes amidst red sparks. The third mode, Flashpoint, starts with a blue flag being raised on a central tower. Woo-hyun is shown standing on top of the castle tower, holding the blue flag high, while defeated enemies lie around him. A text overlay appears on screen explaining that Wu Yun got a pentakill in every single mode, ending all of the matches in record time. A system message flashes from anonymous viewer 62, praising him for a great job and handing over his special mission. Neon is screaming with massive money eyes, clutching her tablet and begging Wu Yun to use this money to do a viewer event and throw a lavish dinner party. Wu Yun looks deadpan, simply asking her to send the screenshot of the mission. The screenshot shows the special mission details. Open a new system of reverse planet by progressing with the game, whether it is PvE or PvP. Wu Yun stares at his screen with a deeply serious analytical look, realizing he has to keep playing to uncover who is behind this. He resolves to follow the anonymous donor's instructions for now. A transition panel marks a few days later, the day of the third Hacktor, Dimensional Management Bureau training facility. Wu Yun gets a text from Yujin, saying her shoulder injury prevents her from training him, so she has arranged a high-level substitute to train him at the facility instead. Back in the studio, Neon and Song Cheol discuss who the substitute could be, speculating it must be a very famous player since they are training Wu Yun. In-game, Eugene greets Wu Yun inside the training arena, her arm wrapped in heavy medical bandages. He asks how she is, and she thanks him warmly. She apologizes again for not being able to train him herself. Yujin spots the substitute arriving and points her out. A pair of black boots steps into the arena with a firm click. A beautiful, pink-haired female pro gamer wearing a sleek, dark training suit steps forward, introducing herself as Kim Hana. Her chat is going absolutely wild. Wu Yun bows politely, introducing himself. Yujin introduces her as Kim Hana. Wu Yun remembers Kim Hana from his past life. She was second in power only to Kim Chul and was an incredibly lethal opponent when they fought as enemies in the previous world. Yujin giggles and says she must sneak back to her room because she didn't actually have permission to leave. Yujin quickly runs away, waving, while Hana yells after her to get back to bed. Wu Yun and Hana are left alone, standing in a very awkward silence. She clears her throat and asks what kind of swords he uses. He replies with a simple both. Close-up of Hana, looking slightly intrigued. She thinks she needs to test his actual skill level first. She suggests they start with a quick duel to test his skills. In the studio, Song Cheol is surprised. Song Cheol adjusts his glasses, looking incredibly confused about this sudden development. Neon asks why he is confused, pointing out that sparring is very common among sword users. Song Cheol sweat drops, trying to explain his concern. He notes that Kim Hana is one of the most high-level, exclusive NPCs in the game, and normally, a level 1 player could never trigger a sparring match with her. He's amazed. Chat comments are screaming in absolute shock that Wu Yun is getting an exclusive duel with Kim Hana. Song Cheol realizes the fully responsive AI is dynamically adapting the game's entire campaign and plot on the fly based solely on Wu Yun's actions, which is unprecedented in gaming history. He notes that Reverse Planet has the potential to become a completely unique, personalized game for every single player depending on their choices. Split screen of Wu Yun and Kim Hana looking intensely at each other, just like reality itself. Kim Hana, a pink-haired professional, smiles as she raises a wooden practice sword. She suggests they keep this spar simple by disabling their active abilities and only using swordsmanship. Wu Yun calmly replies that isn't possible. He explains that his absolute being core ability is a body enhancement that is active at all times, meaning he can't turn it off. Hana understands and decides to just tone down her own physical parameters to match him. She narrows her eyes, a confident, competitive smirk forming on her lips. The system announces the match start as a massive, vibrant green and white wind aura erupts around them. Hana lunges forward with blinding speed, her practice sword turning into a rapid, sweeping blur of wind. The wooden swords collide with massive force, sending heavy shock waves and splinters flying. Wu Yun slides back, dodging her follow-up strikes with perfect fluid movement. Inside the studio, Song Cheol warns the viewers that Kim Hana is an absolute top-tier professional who should never be underestimated. Neon identifies her setup as the legendary God of Wind build. Song Cheol explains she is so iconic that the popular God of Wind build in the competitive meta was literally inspired by her personal playstyle. He marvels at Wu Yun's performance, noting that he is matching her insane physical speed blow for blow without falling short. Close-up of Hana's sharp gaze. Wu Yun analyzes her movements, realizing she isn't just fast. She has perfect combat IQ, precisely targeting every single split-second opening. Hana's smile widens as her green wind aura flares even brighter. She mutters that she can finally take this match a bit more seriously. She swings her practice sword, summoning a massive roaring wind vortex that tears up the concrete of the arena. Close-up of Wu Yun's calm, glowing eyes as he tracks the incoming wind blast. Hana's massive wind slash completely decimates the ground in front of her, kicking up a massive cloud of dust. She lands, panting slightly. She mutters as expected, seeing that Wu Yun has already completely vanished from her line of sight. She looks up to find him standing unharmed, smiling as she admits she knew he would dodge it. Hana asks him who taught him his flawless swordsmanship, and Woo Yun calmly replies that he is entirely self-taught. She is completely stunned by his answer. She tells him to follow her, as she has something special to show him. A system notification flashes confirming the mission is complete, and he leveled up. She leads him into a grand, sterile-looking armory hall filled with rare, high-level weaponry mounted on the walls. She explains that they have entered the secure armory of the Dimensional Management Bureau. The friendly support team leader, Kim Hyunwoo, greets them, noting that it is clear Woo Yun is in desperate need of a proper weapon. Hana agrees, pointing out that someone with his raw, godlike mechanics has no reason to keep using basic, non-enchanted weapons. The team leader tells Woo Yun to take his time and comfortably select any weapon that catches his eye. Woo Yun walks down the aisle, browsing through the rows of high-tier swords, axes, and gears. He looks through the standard bureau weapons, thinking to himself that none of them are truly optimal for his combat style. He briefly inspects a rare glowing red weapon called the Vampiric Spear Dragos, but ultimately decides to keep searching. But just as he is about to turn back, his eyes catch a dark, heavy blade hidden in the very back of the armory. He walks toward it, completely drawn by its dark, menacing energy. He pulls out a giant, menacing black greatsword wrapped in heavy iron chains. The system identifies it as the Soul Eater. Woo Hyun is deeply shocked, knowing this legendary weapon is supposed to be a highly illegal black market item, wondering how it ended up in the Bureau's possession. He remembers wielding this exact same giant black sword in his past life, thinking he never expected to be reunited with his favorite weapon here. He turns to Hana and the team leader, confirming his choice. They look surprised, noting that a massive two-handed sword is a highly unusual choice for him. In the studio, Neon is screaming at her tablet in sheer jaw-dropping disbelief at the screen. Her mind is completely blown. She looks at her co-host, completely shocked, asking how this is even possible. Her chat is going crazy, explaining that normal players only get a basic weapon from this quest. Woo Hyun somehow unlocked a legendary 5-option weapon that isn't even supposed to drop yet. A donation of 1,001 pings, pointing out that this is the second time Woo Hyun has obtained an overpowered late-game item way too early. Song Cheol notes that the Hermit's Necklace Woo Yun looted earlier is also a mid to late game item that shouldn't appear in the starter zones. He explains that Reverse Planic's loot algorithm scales rewards based on risk. Because Woo Yun fought on 0% correction and cleared high-level guards, the system awarded him top-tier loot. The broadcast displays a detailed diagram of his recent battles and the resulting high-tier drops. Neon is amazed, realizing that the game's dynamic loot system perfectly justifies him getting the Soul Eater Greatsword. Song Cheol says it is just a theory for now and tells the viewers to keep watching as the ownership transfer is processed. Hana smiles, suggesting that now that he has a proper weapon, they should immediately head out for a dungeon raid to test it. The scene transitions to show a breathtaking, majestic shot of a snow-capped mountain peak. They arrive at the summit, and Woo Yun exhales a breath, looking at the portal. He looks at the giant, swirling blue rift, sighing and noting that the long hike up the mountain has already fully warmed him up. A chibi guide explains that this mountain peak is a highly dangerous sector, crawling with aggressive wolf beast monsters. The guide warns them that these wolves possess intense territorial instincts and will ambush them the second they step in. Woo Yun remains calm, thinking that while beasts are trickier to deal with than insects, anything below B rank is the exact same to him. Hana steps back, smiling and telling him she will only interfere if things get truly dangerous, wishing him good luck. Woo Yun reaches out, summoning the giant black Soul Eater greatsword directly from his shadow storage. Suddenly, a pack of massive purple glowing-eyed wolf monsters begins to howl, echoing throughout the snowy peaks. The massive wolves charge forward, their claws digging heavily into the snow as they rush him. Close-up of Woo Yun's intense glowing yellow eyes as he whispers that here they come. The wolves lunge at him from all directions in a flurry of fangs and claws. Woo Yun leaps high into the air, gripping the massive hilt of the Soul Eater with both hands. A text overlay flashes across the screen declaring that he will use his full power. He swings the giant greatsword in a massive sweeping arc, cutting through the entire pack of monsters in a single blow. A colossal pitch-black shockwave erupts from his sword, completely vaporizing every single monster in the area. A system notification flashes, confirming that the cutting power of the Soul Eater has officially increased. The chat is in absolute shock. In the studio, Song Cheol screams in excitement, amazed at how effortlessly Woo Hyun swings a giant two-handed sword like it is a feather. A donation of 50,001 pings. Woo Hyun looks down at his blade, surrounded by a dark crimson aura, noting that this weapon fits his hands far better than any other. Hana stands frozen, her mouth slightly open and sweat dripping down her face. She is completely dumbfounded by the display. She stares at him in sheer disbelief, whispering to herself and wondering if that was the legendary Heavenly Moonslash. Commentator Song Cheol adjusts his glasses, looking at the broadcast screen with a deeply confused expression, trying to figure out Wu Yun's bizarre movement. Neon checks her tablet, pointing out that the elite wolf monsters have already spawned and that Wu Yun's hunting speed is incredibly fast. A pack of massive purple-eyed wolf beasts growl and bare their fangs, charging directly at Wu Yun. Wu Yun stands perfectly calm, surrounded by a dark red spark, gripping the hilt of his massive greatsword as he prepares to counter. Song Cheol is amazed, noting that Wu Yun's posture and first strike bear a striking resemblance to the legendary lost ultimate technique of Kim Hana. Neon is confused, saying Wu Yun has never trained in sports. He theorizes that his insane manual dexterity might have been trained back in his Colosseum PvP days, a donation of 1,001 pings in the corner. Wu Yun vaults over a charging beast with insane agility, spinning his massive sword midair. He drives his giant blade straight through the wolf's head, blood spraying across the snow. Close-up of Kim Hana, who is standing back and watching. Her eyes are wide in absolute awe, muttering that his skill is far beyond just excellent. A blue system notification pings, confirming the cutting power of the Soul Eater has increased. Close-up of Wu Yun's cold golden eye. He halts, sensing a massive seismic vibration approaching through the trees. Chong Chel yells to the viewers that a massive presence is closing in as Wu Yun calmly assumes a defensive stance. A giant towering wolf beast with glowing blue eyes leaps out from the dense woods, snarling menacingly. The final boss of the sector spawns. It is the Captain Entity Silver Wolf. Song Cheol warns that this boss is infamous as a newbie killer because of its brutal speed and size. He looks incredibly tense, staring at the screen and hoping Wu Yun can handle the pressure. The giant wolf slashes down with its massive claws, and though Wu Yun blocks with his greatsword, the kinetic impact pushes him back several meters. Close-up of Wu Yun clenching his teeth as he absorbs the massive blow. The wolf growls, preparing to follow up with a lightning-fast second strike. The giant beast opens its massive jaws, lunging forward to swallow him whole. But Wu Yun slides to the side with fluid speed, spinning his heavy greatsword in a lethal counterstrike. Wu Yun looks at the beast, noting that while it is significantly stronger than an elite entity, it is still no match for him. In a flash of light, he delivers a massive vertical slash that cuts the giant silver wolf clean in half. A system notification pings, confirming he devoured the Captain Entity's soul and the cutting power of Soul Eater has increased. Wu Yun sheathes his giant sword over his shoulder. Hana looks at him, completely impressed, muttering that he is easily the most anticipated rookie of the Bureau. She walks over, admitting she almost stepped in because the boss's stats were far higher than the quest's stated difficulty. Neon agrees on stream. Neon points out that the quest's official difficulty was only E+, yet they faced a high-tier captain boss. They discuss the anomaly, concluding that the mission was actually closer to a dangerous B-rank difficulty. Seong Cheol theorizes that the fully responsive AI is dynamically scaling up the campaign difficulty because of Wu Yun's abnormal zero-correction combat performance. He is literally making his own game a living hell. Back in-game, Hana looks around, puzzled. She notes that the dimensional rift isn't closing down even though they defeated the boss, warning him that this is an abnormal phenomenon. She tells him to follow her as they must locate the root cause of this spatial anomaly. Suddenly, they hear a soft rustling sound in the bushes ahead and stop to investigate. Inside a nest, they find a large, mysterious, glowing egg. Suddenly, the egg cracks, and a bright golden flash erupts. Hana warns him to be extremely careful. A bright golden flash erupts from the egg as the shell shatters completely. A cute, chubby gray and white puppy with a lightning bolt mark on its forehead pops out of the egg, barking happily. A chibi drawing of Wu Yun and Hana staring blankly at the tiny puppy. The stream chat is completely baffled because there isn't supposed to be a pet system in the game. Hana picks up the puppy, noting that it is highly abnormal for an otherworldly entity to show absolutely no hostility toward humans. She asks if they should terminate it according to standard protocol, but hesitates because it is too cute, deciding they should bring it back to the Bureau lab for study. Wu Yun takes the puppy, gently holding it by its scruff as it barks heavily. The forest begins to dissolve into blue pixels. They quickly sprint toward the exit portal to escape the collapsing rift. Back at the Bureau HQ, they are consulting with a medical researcher, who looks deeply puzzled by the creature. The researcher examines the puppy on an operating table, revealing that data shows it is actually not an otherworldly creature. He theorizes it might be a summoned creature created by an active ability, though none of the current Bureau agents possess such power. He suggests the summoner might have been someone inside the inverted world. Yujin asks if the Bureau will take care of the creature. The researcher explains that the puppy has already completed its ownership imprint process. The puppy is shown happily rubbing its face against Wu Yun's leg. A system window pings on Wu Yun's screen, confirming the lightning wolf has been registered as his pet. He looks completely bewildered. Suddenly, a flashing red emergency server announcement pops up, warning that the game will shut down for maintenance in 5 minutes. Back in the studio, Neon is completely panicked by the sudden server maintenance announcement. She points out the insane timing. The exact second Wu Yun unlocks an unprogrammed pet system, the developers pull an emergency server maintenance. A donation pings, laughing that Wu Yun managed to unlock the pet system faster than the developers could even release the patch notes. Chat comments are debating, with some saying the devs are scrambling to patch the game because of Wu Yun's action, while others dismiss it as a coincidence. Neon argues the timing is too perfect, just like the fully responsive AI discovery. Her co-host laughs, saying the devs aren't watching her small stream. Neon quickly wraps up the stream, telling the viewers they have to shut down due to the server maintenance and promising to see them next time. The screen fades to black, displaying her currently offline screen. The scene shifts to a dark, high-end corporate conference room. A hand holds a remote control, turning off the broadcast screen. We zoom out to show a sleek boardroom at the global Planet Earth headquarters in the United States, where high-ranking executives are gathered. An executive sighs, pointing out that this haxical guy has literally unlocked developer-level AI secrets that even they didn't fully understand. Another confirms they have been monitoring him. Close-up of Sophia, the beautiful pink-haired global head developer of Reverse Planet. She looks deeply serious, noting that this emergency system update was executed automatically without her team's consent. An executive types on his keyboard, explaining that the only person capable of overriding the system like this is Isaac. A profile of Isaac, the previous head developer and an absolute genius, who went completely missing years ago. Sophia bites her fingernail in frustration, muttering that the genius clearly went into hiding on purpose, and she never expected him to retain backdoor access to force emergency updates. She asks about Deus, the system's core supercomputer. The staff explains they have been trying to awaken it, but there is absolutely no response. A majestic, glowing, cybernetic, godlike interface is shown. It is Deus, the ultimate AI that Isaac created, which went completely offline the moment he disappeared. Sophia orders her staff to scan for any other hidden backdoors or unauthorized update files to prevent further security breaches. An employee doubts they can trace Isaac's hidden files, but Sophia slams her hands on the table, screaming that they must find them at all costs. She commands them to place Wu Yun on their highest priority watch list and continuously monitor his stream. Her lead assistant nods. Close-up of Sophia's face, bathed in purple light, looking incredibly determined. She mutters that she has no idea what her old mentor Isaac is planning, but she refuses to let him ruin her game. Inside the system, glowing blue streams of binary code are shown flowing, indicating the patch is being applied. A digital interface locks and activates. A massive donation notification flashes on the screen from anonymous viewer 62, donating a whopping 5 million won. The private message from the anonymous donor is revealed. For your next mission, you will need a comrade that you can trust. We open outside Cafe Romano on a bright, peaceful afternoon. It's the perfect spot to discuss business far away from the chaotic gaming grind. Wu Hyun reviews his quest log, staring at the mysterious private message from his anonymous donor. The instruction is simple. For his next major task, he is going to need a comrade he can truly trust. Neon is literally standing on her chair at the table, screaming about the donor's message. She has absolutely no chill and is desperately trying to figure out what this guy is plotting. Every single special mission from Anonymous Viewer 62 has forced Wu Yun to unlock and progress through the game's hidden core systems. It's almost as if someone is holding a backdoor key to steer his path. Wu Yun sits thoughtfully, analyzing the situation. He reasons that the anonymous donor has to be a game developer, or at least someone highly placed within Planet Earth. Neon takes a slow sip of her drink, admitting the timing of the emergency server maintenance was highly suspicious, but she wonders why a high-level developer would focus so much attention on a random player's stream. To change the subject, Woyun asks what big news she wanted to share. She gasps and leans forward, revealing that he received a direct recruitment offer from the SSR Cup. The SSR Cup is the most prestigious PvP tournament in the game. It is a highly exclusive stage, typically reserved only for top-tier streamers and professional players. Wu Yun is deeply confused, asking why they would want a low-level player to participate. Neon explains it is because he is the most viral player on the internet, and they want him to act as an official support coach. She argues that his god-tier manual skills make him the perfect candidate to showcase his abilities in a coaching role. Wu Hyun silently considers the proposal. He asks if being a coach means he has to take on a disciple. Neon enthusiastically nods, promising to handle all the logistics and even organize a live tryout so he can handpick his student. Wu Yun stares at his phone, recalling the donor's mission to find a trustworthy comrade. Realizing this tournament is the perfect opportunity to do just that, he accepts the offer. Neon jumps out of her seat in sheer excitement, screaming for real. She is thrilled, knowing this will massively boost their channel's popularity. She starts stuffing her face with cake, declaring she will contact them immediately before he can change his mind. Woo Yun can only stare at her in complete, silent disbelief. A few days pass, bringing us to the start of their next highly anticipated hack tour stream. Nayeon and Song Cheol greet their viewers with bright smiles, kicking off the broadcast with high energy. Nayeon leans in close, announcing they have a massive, game-changing announcement to share before starting today's gameplay. A flashy graphic banner confirms that Haxical is officially participating in the SSR Cup as a coach. The live chat immediately explodes with hype. Song Cheol admits he is highly curious to see how well Woo Yun can coach, noting that being a god-tier mechanical player doesn't automatically make you a good teacher. He points out that because Woo Yun's current tier is relatively low, he needs to spend today's stream climbing the ranks. To have authority as a coach, a high rank is essential. Nayeon displays his stats, showing gold in Showdown and Warfare, but still unranked in Survival. She notes that because of their recent 10-game win streak, he is eligible to immediately queue for high-tier matches. Suddenly, a massive jackpot mission pops up from their anonymous donor, offering a 3 million won reward. The challenge is to win the match with over 40 kills without using any weapons. Both of the streamers look completely shocked by the absurd difficulty. The chat is already losing its mind over the sheer scale of the challenge. Woo Yun is completely unfazed, calmly stating that this is the perfect challenge he has been waiting for. He locks in his acceptance and enters the queue. The screen flashes with a flashy versus graphic as matchmaking completes. It is time to dive in. The system drops him into the legendary military base map for his unranked survival match. He spawns on the outskirts of the base, looking around the quiet concrete ruins. He activates his tactical radar, and the map is completely flooded with 19 enemy players clustered nearby. He looks down at his empty hands, noting he needs to move extremely fast if he wants to secure 40 kills before the player count drops. He takes off like a bullet, running through the ruins to hunt down his prey. He throws a devastating right hook straight into an opponent's face, sending him flying. He continues his rampage, delivering a powerful punch that shatters another player's armor. In the studio, Nayeon is watching the screen with wide eyes, completely amazed by his raw speed. A massive column of blue elimination notifications spams the screen as he wipes out player after player. Woo Yun is shown sprinting and parkouring across the ruins of the base like a ghost. He stands victorious, a system notification flashing over his head showing 18 kills. Woo Yun moves swiftly through the dusty corridors, thinking to himself that he has successfully cleared the outskirts of the base and must now head straight toward the center. A funny chibi drawing of a player crying and saying they should just quit. Nayeon watches in amusement. A system window flashes on the screen, revealing that only 2 players are left alive in the entire battle royale. The final remaining enemy player is shown sitting on a concrete slab in the ruins. He is wearing a dark cloak, looking completely calm and focused. Suddenly, Woo Yun drops from the sky, throwing a powerful flying kick at his head. The final opponent dodges with insane reflexes, Woo Yun's kick shattering the concrete slab where he was sitting. Chat screams in shock. The final opponent slides back, maintaining a low, agile combat stance. Close-up of the opponent's leather-gloved hands clenching into fists as he prepares to fight. Nayeon looks at the screen, her eyes wide in shock as she recognizes the opponent's username. Song Cheol explains that this final opponent is also running a pure physical body-enhancing build, just like Woo Yun. He notes the opponent's match history is incredibly dominant. The stream displays the opponent's stats. He has secured 15 kills in this match. Meanwhile, Woo Yun is sitting at exactly 39 kills. If Woo Yun wins, he secures his 40th kill and completes the jackpot mission. The final duel begins. The 2 physical monsters clash, their fists colliding with a deafening thud. Woo Yun and the cloaked final opponent trade high-speed punches, their movements creating blurs of motion, close-up of their fists clashing, wind pressure and shockwaves exploding. The opponent throws a sweeping kick, but Woo Yun blocks it with his forearm. Woo Yun lands a powerful elbow strike, sending the opponent sliding back with a grunt. The opponent quickly recovers his footing, charging back in with a series of rapid punches. Woo Yun blocks the strikes, but realizes the opponent's physical strength is incredibly high, grinding his teeth. In the studio, Seong Cheol is screaming in pure excitement, comparing their flawless zero-correction physical combat to real-life professional martial arts. Chat comments are debating, wondering if the mysterious opponent is a hidden pro-smurfing on an alt. Close-up of Woo Yun. He evaluates his opponent, thinking his movements are solid but still lacking. Woo Yun ducks under a heavy swing, completely slipping past his opponent's guard. Woo Yun grabs the opponent's collar with one hand and locks his arm. Close-up of Woo Yun clenching his fist, preparing the final strike, thinking it is time to end this. Woo Yun throws a massive, ground-shattering punch straight into his opponent's face, the impact creating a colossal shockwave. The final opponent falls to his knees, coughing up blood, defeated. The opponent looks up, giving a weak but satisfied smile. He says it was a fun fight and hopes they could have a proper rematch in the future. The opponent dissolves into blue pixels, and the victory notification flashes. Woo Yun stands there, looking thoughtful, muttering about it next time. The final results screen pings, confirming first place with 40 kills and 0 deaths. He has successfully completed the 40-kill jackpot challenge. In the studio, Neon and Shang Chiol cheer wildly, announcing he completed the mission. But Neon looks at the chat, asking if the donor Deus is still in the stream. A system notification confirms that the donor has sent a massive 3 million won donation. Neon is crying tears of joy, bowing and thanking them for the support. Stream comments are flooding, praising the donor as a legendary, generous, god-tier supporter. Neon is shown pumped up, throwing her hands in the air, declaring they will keep climbing the ranks. A text overlay appears on the screen, explaining that Woo Hyun went on an unbelievable 98-game winning streak on stream, reaching Master Tier in every single game mode. The scene transitions to show a modern, cozy apartment room, where two siblings are lounging on a white couch. Close-up of a girl's hand scrolling through her phone. She is revealed to be Jung Ah-reum, a famous game streamer. She is shown looking at her phone. Beside her sits her twin brother, Jung Don, also a game streamer. He is on his phone, saying he already applied for Woo Yun's coaching tryouts. He teases her, asking why she didn't apply with her big sis. They bicker playfully. Wide shot of the twins sitting on the couch. A caption notes that they are twins. The scene transitions back to the United States. A hand clicks a mouse inside Sophia's office. On her monitor, a notification shows the twin streamers' profiles. Sophia looks deeply thoughtful as she reviews the files. Sophia drops her soda can in complete shock, staring at the system core. She mutters the word "us" in disbelief, realizing the supercomputer has actually awoken. A few days later, we are exactly 5 minutes away from the highly anticipated third Hack Tour broadcast. Woo Yun's cute little gray and white puppy lets out a small bark. The system officially registers him as a level 1 lightning wolf. Woo Hyun cradles the puppy, checking its basic skills. He sighs, noting it has no actual combat use and behaves like a standard aesthetic pet. In the studio, Neon is slightly disappointed too. Neon lounges on the sofa, explaining that since an overwhelming number of players applied for his coaching tryouts, she and her team had to pre-filter some of the candidates. Shang Chiol yells that the stream is starting. Neon panics, telling Woo Yun she will send him the cue to start the second he is ready. The puppy tilts its head, whining cutely. It is trying its absolute best to look adorable. But Woo Yun just stares at it, completely deadpan and 100% immune to its charms. The system pings with Neon's cue to go. Woo Yun prepares to dive into the match. But suddenly, massive red warning screens flash across his interface, accompanied by loud, blaring alarms. His phone buzzes, and he pulls it out. An urgent emergency notification from the bureau is displayed, warning of a large-scale simultaneous portal rampage. Red alerts continue to spam the screen, reporting that multiple dimensional rampages have broken out across Seoul, Busan, and Incheon. Back in the studio, Neon and Song Cheol look completely shocked, reading the incoming reports of a large-scale monster invasion. The stream chat is going absolutely crazy, with users panicking about the catastrophic scale of the invasion. A screen explains the lore. Reverse Planet Rampage is a catastrophic event where portals overload, allowing hordes of otherworld monsters to cross directly over to Earth and attack. The system flashes a new emergency quest to eliminate the invading entities. Suddenly, Kim Hana sprints into the training arena, calling out to him. She has a serious, combat-ready expression, telling him they must mobilize immediately because she got their transport ready. They arrive at a forest park area. Bodies are scattered, and green goblin monsters are roaming. Hana sighs, noting they are a bit too late. Woo Yun inspects a dead goblin. He calculates that the previous agents handled the initial wave, but warns that the surviving monsters must be chasing down the fleeing civilians. Hana suggests they split up to cover more ground and rescue survivors faster. Woo Yun nods in agreement. She leaps and dashes into the woods, waving as she disappears to handle her sector. Woo Yun gets serious, his eyes glowing intensely under his dark hair. He decides to head toward the main park path first. A terrified civilian in a suit is shown running for his life through the park, screaming for help. Several green goblin monsters are hot on his heels, raising their spears and cackling maliciously. Suddenly, a heavy chain scythe slashes through the air, cutting the path. Woo Hyun's blade slices right through the lead goblin's head, spraying black blood as it screeches. Woo Hyun lands in front of the terrified civilian, a dark aura swirling as he whips his chains to clean up the rest. The civilian falls over in relief, still screaming, while the rest of the goblins are sliced apart. A single vertical slice completely cleaves another goblin in half. Woo Yun stands victorious over the pile of goblin corpses. The trembling civilian asks who he is. Woo Yun calmly identifies himself as a bureau agent, pointing the man toward the safe exit. The civilian runs away, crying and thanking him. Wu Yun watches, wondering if that was the last of the victims in this sector. Wu Yun realizes that fighting small mobs endlessly is useless, and resolves that he must hunt down and eliminate the regional captain boss as fast as possible to close the rift. Suddenly, a massive, muscular, red-skinned, demon-like monster leaps down from the trees, slamming its heavy fist. Wu Yun blocks the blow, but the ground shatters. The red demon throws a powerful horizontal swing, forcing Wu Yun to dodge and leap back. Wu Yun swings his daggers to counter, clashing with the demon's hardened fists. Close-up of Wu Yun's face as he blocks. He suddenly senses something very strange about his opponent's movement. He notices a shadowy, dark, blue-eyed figure standing silently in the trees behind the red demon, watching their fight. The red demon screeches, charging back in with a heavy, swinging punch. The stream chat is confused, noting that Wu Yun seems to be playing purely defensively, only blocking and dodging. Neon asks why he isn't fighting back. Song Cheol analyzes his stance, realizing Wu Yun's attention is actually focused on something else completely, ignoring the monster in front of him. Wu Yun blocks the demon's fist with his daggers, his eyes locked onto the shadowy figure in the woods. He thinks that if the figure is just going to watch, he will end this. With a swift, powerful twist of his arms, Wu Yun redirects the demon's force, throwing it off balance. He lands a heavy strike that shatters the demon's posture. The monster groans in confusion. In a flash, Wu Yun delivers a brutal sequence of punches, completely obliterating the demon. Close-up of Wu Yun's calm face as the demon collapses into dust behind him. He turns his attention back to the woods, where the dark blue-eyed silhouette is standing. Wu Yun steps forward, his eyes glowing intensely, commanding the figure to come out. A slender, dark purple humanoid demon with glowing red horns and glowing eyes steps out from the trees. A text box identifies him as a dimension invader. The stream chat is going absolutely wild, screaming in shock over a high-level dimension invader appearing in a starter zone. Song Cheol is completely flabbergasted, shouting that you usually only see invaders in the very late game, meaning Wu Yun's PvE progression is completely breaking the game's boundaries. The purple demon smiles creepily, raising its fists. The demon lunges at Wu Yun with near instantaneous speed, throwing a powerful strike. Wu Yun clenches his fists, resolving to take him on in hand-to-hand combat. Split screen showing Wu Yun and the purple demon locking eyes, ready to clash. They sprint toward each other, becoming blurs of motion. Their fists collide in a massive explosion of light and kinetic energy. They trade rapid, bone-crushing punches in a dazzling display of physical combat. Wu Yun grunts. Wu Yun ducks under a swing, punching the demon directly in the ribs. Song Cheol watches in the studio, rubbing his chin and noting something highly unusual about the flow of this battle. Song Cheol asks Neon if the demon's movements seem incredibly familiar. Neon is confused. Close-up of Wu Yun's face as he realizes the truth. Split screen showing Wu Yun and the demon executing the exact same high kick. Wu Yun realizes with shock that this guy is imitating his movements. He remembers that in his past life, the researchers literally built a custom Etnel model designed solely to replicate and counter his combat movements. Close-up of Wu Yun as he prepares to strike. He catches the demon's throat with one hand, completely cutting off its windpipe. He drives his other hand straight into the demon's chest, cold and focused. He notes that the demon is still a bit sloppy. He slams the demon headfirst into the concrete ground, shattering the pavement. Close-up of Wu Yun clenching his bloodied hand. He stares at the blood on his hands, realizing that someone is trying to collect his combat data to replicate his power, just like the lab did in his previous world. He wonders who could be behind this. A skyscraper's background is shown. He wonders if it is the corporate giant League of Enterprises, or if the invaders themselves are behind the system replication. Close-up of Wu Yun. He suddenly realizes a major clue. He remembers that the demon's fighting style didn't resemble his PvE moves. It was identical to his bare-knuckle combat from his recent PvP-ranked matches. He stands in the dark, realization hitting him. He thinks that this definitely means it is someone with full backdoor access to the game's core server and data logs, a screen showing the creepy blue smiling interface of the hacker. He wonders if it is anonymous viewer 62 again. Hana runs up the trail in a massive hurry, screaming out his name. She was completely out of breath, hoping she arrived in time. She halts and looks around the area, asking if he is already done clearing out his designated sector. Wu Yun turns around with a completely unbothered expression, calmly confirming the job is finished. But the moment she looks down at the forest floor, her jaw hits the floor. She's completely paralyzed by what she sees. The massive, high-level dimension invader and the regional captain boss are both lying defeated, slowly dissolving into purple light particles. She can't believe a rookie handled this alone. She quickly pulls out her tactical radio, calling in a support cleanup team to secure the area and scan for any leftover invaders. She turns back to him, smiling warmly as she praises his extraordinary performance. Wu Yun quietly thanks his senior, asking how the other sectors held up. She tells them they should prepare to head back to headquarters as soon as the cleanup crew takes over. A massive system notification pings on his screen, confirming the large-scale rampage mission is complete, granting him a level up and another vital skill point. We cut to a cinematic shot of the majestic Dimensional Management Bureau headquarters basking in the golden evening light. Inside the private office, team leader Kim Chul calls Woo Hyun in to discuss the unique invader entity he defeated. He wants to get straight to the point. He shows him the autopsy and data logs, explaining that the specimen's biological structure is completely different from anything they have ever seen in the war. Its genetic makeup has been so heavily modified and mutated that it is essentially a completely different species altogether. Kim Chul asks if there was any specific anomaly during the fight. Woo Hyun calmly replies that the entity actually tried to imitate and copy his exact movements. Hearing this, Kim Chul is completely stunned, sweat dripping down his face as he asks if the creature really tried to mimic him. Back in the studio, Naeon and Song Cheol note his unusually intense reaction, realizing this adaptive copying ability is a massive threat to humanity. Kim Chul explains that in the entire history of the war, an invader has never once tried to copy human movements. If they are changing their strategies, it is catastrophic. He warns that a self-improving, copying enemy would make their invasion of Earth completely unstoppable. Woo Hyun realizes the harsh truth. A disguised, copying enemy would easily infiltrate and tear human society apart from the inside. They would bring absolute chaos to the world, slowly escalating their invasion while humans remain completely oblivious. And if the greedy League of Enterprises is indeed behind this, they would gladly collaborate with the invaders if it brings them more profit. Kim Chul lets out a heavy sigh, running his hand through his hair to calm his nerves. He thanks Woo Hyun for his quick thinking, admitting they have a massive investigation ahead of them but praising him for a great job. He slides a dark, velvet gift box across the wooden desk, stating that Woo Hyun is more than qualified to have this now. Woo Hyun opens the box, looking down in surprise at the contents. It is a shining silver agent badge. He walks out of the office, his boots clicking in the quiet hallway. Lee Yujin and Kim Hana are waiting for him outside, waving happily as they welcome him back. He asks what brings them here, and they explain they came to officially congratulate their favorite junior on his promotion. Hana points out his new silver agent badge. She explains it is a long-standing tradition for a senior to personally pin the badge onto their junior's uniform. Since Yujin's arm is still heavily bandaged, Hana smiles and says she will do the honors in her stead. Hana carefully pins the silver badge onto his black jacket with a satisfying click. They both smile warmly, officially welcoming him as a full-fledged agent of the Bureau. They walk beside him down the modern hallway, chatting happily. Woo Hyun politely thanks them. Hana explains that as an official agent, he now wields significantly more authority in their operations. She explains his new privilege, the Solo Operations Authority, allowing him to choose and execute missions of his choice without complex bureaucratic approvals. Yujin pouts playfully, complaining that it's a shame he's already doing solo missions when they've only done one team run together. Hana sweat drops, trying to comfort the pouting senior and teasingly reminding her of how she got injured during that very first run. Yujin tells him to make sure to call them for backup anytime he needs help, and Woo Hyun politely thanks them. She asks what his very first solo operation is going to be, and just as Woo Hyun is about to reply, Naeon's voice cuts in. Naeon shouts to cut, ending the pre-recorded story segment and giggling as she asks her viewers if she startled them. She explains they must wrap up the gameplay segment early today, but promises a massive, exciting announcement instead. She shows off her community post, officially announcing that Haxical is hosting a live tryout to find his personal disciple. She proudly strikes a pose, revealing her custom title for the audition event, Superstar V. The chat is already roasting her terrible naming sense. In the studio, she mentions they received an overwhelming number of signups, and the selection process is almost complete. She winks at the camera, telling the viewers to look forward to the live stream they'll be hosting soon. A few days later, backstage at the stadium, Naeon and Son Cheol are doing their final pre-stream checks. A massive crowd of eager applicants is waiting outside, whispering in excitement as the countdown ticks down. The candidate list is incredibly diverse, featuring famous YouTubers, top rankers, and popular rookie streamers like Shurya. One applicant points out a massive, muscular guy in a dark tank top, realizing it is Blue Whale. The sister gasps in surprise. Meanwhile, the arrogant streamer Blue Whale is shown streaming, mockingly claiming that Haxical isn't even that good. The twin streamers, Dawn and Arium, are shown defending Woo Hyun and telling the toxic clickbaiter to shut his mouth. Backstage, Naeon is happily reviewing her lists, proud of the massive turnout. The broadcast countdown reaches 0, officially launching the livestream. Naeon and Seong Keol greet their viewers with bright smiles, kicking off the disciple auditions. An overhead shot shows the grand outdoor stadium filled with a massive crowd of eager applicants waiting to be tested. Naeon announces they won't keep the crowd waiting any longer, calling out the star of the show, Haxical. Woo Hyun walks out onto the stage, wearing a sleek, high-end, formal black suit and tie. The crowd goes completely wild. The waiting applicants stare at him in absolute awe. Everyone is stunned by his incredibly sharp and cool appearance. Close-up profile of Woo Hyun in his suit, looking extremely cool and steeled. We flash back to their earlier talk at the cafe, where Woo Hyun asked what content in Reverse Planet requires a reliable party. Nayeon had instantly replied that it is the raid. The raid stands as the absolute peak of endgame PvE cooperative content, featuring incredibly complex bosses. She explained that because players must overcome tricky mechanics, a coordinated team is mandatory. Woo Hyun nods thoughtfully. Back in the present, Woo Hyun addresses the 12 top candidates gathered on the arena floor, announcing he is here to choose a disciple. He stands with his hands in his pockets, laying down his strict rules, warning that those who aren't confident should leave immediately. A gray-haired female applicant looks nervous and sweats, worrying about disqualification. The arrogant applicant, Blue Whale, laughs, pointing out that Woo Hyun himself is currently only master rank, demanding he prove his skills first. Woo Hyun calmly nods, walking forward. He drops the ultimate flex, suggesting the 12 of them fight him all at once. He sets the win condition. If they can land a single clean hit on him within 10 minutes, they win. Otherwise, he wins. In the studio, Nayeon and Sung Chio scream in absolute shock at his insane, unscripted proposal. A dark-haired applicant looks intensely focused. Woo Hyun says that whoever lands the hit passes immediately, but notes it would be impossible for them without a handicap. Close-up of Woo Hyun's leather shoe, stepping onto a specific wooden lime. He draws a small circle on the dirt, declaring he won't attack first and won't even leave the circle. One of the twins raises his hand confidently, asking if they can attack simultaneously. Close-up of Woo Hyun's face, his single yellow eye glowing. He coldly agrees to start. He stands ready inside his drawn circle as the candidates prepare their opening moves. Let the games begin. The 12 candidates are preparing to begin. The arrogant applicant, Blue Whale, grins cockily, muttering that Woo Hyun is just a massive show-off before accepting the challenge. He charges forward, his fists ablaze with crackling orange fire magic, screaming to see how long Woo Hyun can actually last inside his self-drawn circle. But Woo Hyun doesn't even move his feet, dodging the massive flaming punch with millimeter-perfect effortless coordination. The fiery strike misses entirely, exploding harmlessly against the stone behind him as Woo Hyun calmly stands his ground. The attacker's smug grin instantly vanishes, his jaw hitting the floor as he gasps in sheer shock, unable to believe his flame spell was dodged so easily. Woo Hyun casually adjusts his hair, looking completely unbothered. He tells the remaining 11 candidates that they should all attack him together because they are running out of time. The other candidates nod to each other in agreement, realizing they have no choice, and charge at him all at once. They launch a massive, highly coordinated multi-elemental barrage, completely engulfing the arena in flashy explosions. Close-up of Woo Hyun's intense, glowing yellow eyes as he easily tracks and predicts every single one of their incoming trajectories. Using their own kinetic momentum against them, he smoothly glides and sidesteps through their massive, coordinated attacks without leaving his circle. 2 of the candidates collapse onto the dirt, panting heavily. They admit in total despair that their physical and elemental attacks aren't even grazing him. Another candidate tries to rally the group, shouting for everyone to keep fighting and not give up. Suddenly, the twin streamers, Dawn and Ariam, leap forward together, confidently declaring they will handle the rest of the fight. They launch a rapid, synchronized pincer strike from both sides. But Woo Hyun moves like a phantom, easily slipping past their blades. With terrifying speed, he grabs both of their wrists mid-strike, completely cutting off their momentum. With a powerful fluid spin, he tosses both twins through the air. The stream chat is laughing, saying he is treating them like an amusement park ride. The twin candidates land flat on their backs, completely dizzy with cartoonish spirals in their eyes. Nayeon calls out that time is up. Wide shot of the arena. All 12 elite candidates are lying completely exhausted on the floor, while Woo Hyun stands perfectly untouched inside his drawn circle. He calmly adjusts his tie, looking down at them with his signature cold expression, asking if anyone still objects. The defeated candidates instantly salute him in cartoonish terror, screaming no in unison. Woo Hyun thinks to himself that while he successfully proved his individual mechanical superiority, he still needs to demonstrate actual coaching capability to clear his name. Nayeon claps happily, announcing to the stream that they will now officially begin the first phase of the Superstar V auditions. Close-up of Woo Hyun letting out a deep sigh at Nayeon's terrible naming choice. The stream chat is laughing at his reaction. Son Cheol asks what the first test of the audition entails. Nayeon proudly explains that the first phase is designed to test their ability control without modifiers. The first test is displayed. The candidates must lift and hold a massive 150-kilogram barbell for exactly 3 minutes using a predetermined basic body enhancement build. Song Cheol explains that while this class is easy to use, it lacks any active flashiness, meaning they must rely purely on their raw manual physical balance to pass. Neon shows off a clearly photoshopped hilarious picture of her and Seong Cheol holding up the barbell. The chat laughs at the obviously fake proof. She instructs the candidates to make their system logs visible and asks if anyone has any questions before they begin. The twin streamers raise their hands, asking if finishing early gives them a higher score. Neon confirms, explaining that scores are distributed based on speed. She warns that after the second test, the 4 players with the lowest total scores will be immediately eliminated. The candidates look incredibly nervous, whispering in shock about the sudden heavy elimination cut. She reassures them that retries are allowed, but warns that the entire first phase has a strict overall time limit of 30 minutes. 5 minutes later, the arena is filled with grunts as the candidates struggle to balance the heady barbells. A donation pings, asking who they think will clear the challenge first. Shongkeol asks for their predictions. Neon bets on the twin streamers, while Shongkeol thinks the veteran LNDB will take the lead. The chat comments agree, noting that since those candidates run melee builds, they are naturally accustomed to heavy weightlifting. But several ranged class viewers in the chat start complaining, accusing the stream of being heavily biased against ranged builds. Neon reads the angry chat messages, looking completely pale and sweating in panic, realizing the viewers are getting mad. Chibi drawing of Neon frantically waving her hands, trying to appease her angry chat. She quickly explains that the second test will be heavily designed for ranged builds, which is why they are holding off on any eliminations until both phases are over. She exhales a sigh of relief, asking if there are any official challengers ready to start the timer. The twins and Blue Whale step forward, confidently declaring they are ready to take on the test. They stand before their respective weights, and the round officially begins with a loud buzzer. They lift the massive barbells, their faces turning red from the immense strain as they channel their base enhancement skill. 1 minute later, the brother twin Dawn is sweating heavily and trembling, mockingly telling his sister to give up already. Arium grinds her teeth, snapping back that she won't give up so easily. The stream chat laughs at their sibling bickering. 2 minutes later, Blue Whale is shown struggling violently, his face turning a deep crimson as his arms shake under the heavy weight. Neon sighs, announcing that Blue Whale sadly lost his balance at 2 minutes and 50 seconds, his barbell crashing to the floor. But she cheers, announcing that the twin streamers have successfully cleared the 3-minute mark, making them the first successful candidates. The twins high-five each other in absolute joy, celebrating their successful first round. Blue Whale is furious, asking if he can retry immediately. Song Chio confirms, restarting his timer. A screen shows Blue Whale successfully passing the test on his second attempt. One of the remaining candidates is shown sweating, realizing the successful spots are filling up fast and he is in danger of elimination. He grinds his teeth, thinking how humiliating it would be to get eliminated early after talking so much trash on his stream. He resolves to do something. The crowd cheers as another candidate passes. Under the cover of the noise, the candidate sneaks a look at his system logs. Neon calls out, asking who wants to challenge the test next. The candidate steps forward with a smug grin, claiming he figured out the trick. Neon asks if he wants to challenge. He says he will go next. Neon instructs him to make his interface visible and step onto the stage. He steps up to the barbell, looking completely confident and relaxed. Close-up of his hand gripping the heavy iron barbell. He licks it up with surprising effortless ease, barely breaking a sweat. He smiles, thinking how easy this is. Neon notes he has already crossed the 2-minute mark on his first try. The chat comments are impressed, praising his solid performance. Close-up of Woohyun. He narrows his eyes, staring intensely at the candidate's posture. He senses something highly irregular. The timer hits 3 minutes. Neon is about to congratulate him and guide him to the successful area. Before the candidate can step away, Woohyun raises his hand, coldly commanding him to wait. Woohyun confronts the candidate. The candidate plays dumb, stammering and asking what he thinks he is doing. Woohyun stares at him with a deathly cold gaze, asking if he really thought he wouldn't notice. He flatly accuses him of using an active modifier cheat program. The candidate panics, sweat pouring down his face as he tries to deny it. Wide shot of the arena as the accusation is made. Chat is going completely wild with speculation. Neon whispers to him, deeply worried, asking why he thinks the candidate is cheating. Woohyun explains that the candidate's subtle shifting movements and grip adjustments were proof that his body was being artificially assisted by an active cheat modifier in real time. Neon whispers to him in a panic, warning him that if he is wrong, it will cause a massive scandal. Woohyun calmly asserts that he is certain. Woohyun steps up, coldly demanding the candidate show his actual modifier logs instead of his spoofed ones. The candidate panics, sweating, and asking what if Woohyun is wrong. The candidate tries to bluff, saying a simple apology won't be enough if Woohyun is wrong. Woohyun drops the ultimate mic drop, promising to apologize, quit streaming, and give the guy all his revenue if he is wrong. Woo-yun stares him down coldly, asking if that is enough stake. The cornered hacker completely folds, screaming in frustration that he will do it. Woo-yun catches the cheating candidate red-handed, leaving him completely flustered as his lag excuse fails miserably. There is no point in reviewing the logs further since his active modifier cheat is as clear as day. Our main guy coldly hands down an immediate disqualification. The livestream chat is absolutely losing its mind over the sudden drama. Viewers are calling out the cheater for his embarrassing attempt to secure a spot, and the word embarrassed practically hovers over his head. Close-up of the cheating candidate sweating profusely as his face turns red with humiliation. He grinds his teeth and groans, knowing his gaming reputation is completely shattered in front of thousands of live viewers. He screams in pure rage and decides to rage quit the stream on the spot. A system notification pops up confirming his quick exit, while the chat continues to roast him for running away like a sore loser. Neon quickly clears her throat to get the stream back on track after that minor disturbance. She asks the remaining candidates who wants to take the stage next, hoping to keep the momentum going. With the cheater out of the way, the individual trials continue smoothly. Just as predicted, the second task is heavily tailored for ranged classes, allowing the magic and projectile users to easily secure the top scores. The candidates who didn't make the cut bow politely, thanking the hosts for the amazing opportunity and promising to support the channel from the sidelines. Neon and Seong-cheol wave them off with warm smiles. Seong-cheol turns to the camera, announcing that the individual phase is officially over. It is time to dive into the highly anticipated team battles, where coordination is going to be everything. The candidates are divided into Team A and Team B based on their previous performance scores to keep things balanced. The chat is already analyzing the setups, pointing out that Shurya is the lone ranged player stuck on an otherwise pure melee Team B. A fresh 5,001 donation pops up on screen, with the viewer eagerly asking what the actual team mission is. The hype is building up fast. Neon matches the chat's energy, smiling brightly as she prepares to announce the first team challenge of the Disciple Audition. The rules are simple. Within a 10-minute time limit, the team that destroys more intermediate Eternal security bots wins. A warning bubble reminds them that leaving their designated team zone results in instant disqualification. Seong-cheol explains that each team will get exactly 2 attempts, with only their highest score being recorded. Neon adds that the combat correction modifier is locked at 60% for this test. 2 sleek white Eternal bots spawn into the arena in a flash of digital blue light. Seong-cheol yells for the challenge to officially begin. The first round results are in, and it is a bit of a blowout. Team A managed to take down 10 bots, while Team B only secured 8, leaving broken mechanical parts scattered across the field. Neon notes that Team A is currently holding the lead, and Seong-cheol explains why this matchup was so unfair. He points out that ranged players have a massive advantage here since they can easily pick off incoming targets from a safe distance. A graphic diagram breaks down the tactical difference. Melee users risk getting quickly surrounded and overwhelmed if they can't clear the spawns fast enough, making timing coordination extremely difficult. The stream chat is actively debating the meta, with some calling the setup blatant discrimination against melee builds. Shurya looks incredibly dejected, sweating as she worries they don't stand a chance even on their second try. Dawn rubs his chin in thought, and Shurya suggests asking Woo-yun for some coaching to help them turn things around. It is a desperate move, but they have nothing left to lose. Dawn thinks it is a brilliant idea and sprints towards the judge's table to pitch it. He argues that if Woo-yun can actually improve their score with some quick advice, it will prove his skills as a legendary coach live. Dawn presents his proposal to Neon, who is typing on her tablet. She thinks the idea is great for the broadcast's entertainment value, but worries about keeping the competition fair for Team A. To keep things balanced, Neon makes a major announcement. She and Seong-cheol will act as the coaches for Team A. The chat goes wild, excited to see the commentators actively getting involved in the game. Seong-cheol smiles and agrees, noting that a dedicated coach for each team sounds incredibly fun. Woo-yun gives a subtle nod, saying he has no objections if the candidates are on board. Down on the field, the members of Team A start whispering to each other, wondering if they should have asked for Woo-yun's guidance instead. But they quickly dismiss the idea, reasoning that since Woo-yun is a pure melee user, having the analytical commentator Seong-cheol as their coach actually gives them a better tactical advantage. They confidently agree to stick with Seong-cheol, scoffing at the idea that Team B can make any meaningful progress in just 30 minutes of training. They are convinced their current lead is safe. Neon officially pauses the timer, announcing that the main mission will resume immediately after a 30-minute strategic coaching session. The clock is ticking. Woo-yun gathers Team B on the grassy training field to begin their lesson. He explains that to take down Eternals effectively, they must first understand how their core AI logic operates. He breaks down their primary trait. Unlike humans, these machines have zero fear of taking damage. If their calculations show that the damage they inflict on a target is greater than the damage they will receive, they will completely abandon defense to execute a relentless offensive strike. He emphasizes that once players identify this specific threshold, they can easily exploit the machine's aggressive programming and turn it against them. He concludes that reading these behavioral patterns is the key to predicting every single move the robots make. The candidates look completely mesmerized by his deep tactical knowledge, and even the chat is surprised by how educational the stream just got. Woo-hyun clenches his fists, getting into a solid stance. He tells Team B that it is time to test this theory firsthand with a quick mock match. A massive, dark holographic projection of an intermediate Etnel rises right behind him. He commands them to treat him as the security bot and launch their best coordinated attacks. The heavily built melee candidate roars and charges forward, swinging his practice weapon down in a powerful strike. But Woo-hyun is already moving, his eyes glowing as he effortlessly deflects the heavy blow with millimeter-perfect precision. The attacker is left completely stunned by his speed. With a swift, fluid motion, Woo-hyun redirects the candidate's momentum, sending the giant martial artist crashing headfirst onto the dirt. Yeah, that went about as well as expected. The poor dude is lying face down in the dirt, completely reassessing his life choices after getting dismantled in a split second. Seeing their powerhouse get instantly swiped, Dawn and Arium quickly exchange nods. They decide to launch a synchronized pincer attack, with Dawn taking the left flank. The twins charge forward together in a blur of speed, while Shuria stands back clutching her blue crystal, sweating as she panics about her role in the team. She hesitates to channel her ice magic, terrified that a misplaced projectile will accidentally freeze her own teammates in the chaos of the fight. Woo-hyun easily slips past the twins' synchronized strike, landing a quick, heavy blow that sends Arium reeling back in pain. Before Dawn can even react to his sister getting hit, Woo-hyun pivots and delivers a clean strike that knocks him flat on his back. Team B's melee players are all groaning on the ground in defeat. Woo-hyun turns to Shuria, calmly explaining that their primary issue is a complete lack of tactical synergy aside from the twins. He tells them to stand up and instructs them to establish a clear linking method first to coordinate their attacks properly. Watching the lesson unfold from their desk, Song Cheol and Naeon are completely amazed by his coaching style, realizing how deep his game knowledge actually goes. Meanwhile, Team A's coaching session is a bit of a mess. Naeon is frantically shouting at her candidates, telling them to stop spectating and focus on practicing their own melee spacing. Song Cheol tries to calm things down, suggesting they review their build compositions and practice in their own style to maintain their lead. With the coaching session officially over, Team B gathers together, looking incredibly hyped and raising their weapons as they prepare to take on their second attempt. Naeon announces that Team B is up next. Two intermediate Ednel bots materialize inside the spawning field, humming with energy. The barrier drops, and the match is officially underway. The candidates charge forward as a cohesive unit, completely different from their first run. Arium leads the charge, effortlessly deflecting the Etnel's initial strike and positioning herself perfectly to exploit its predictable movement. She slides underneath the heavy robotic arm, while Dawn leaps high into the air to coordinate a devastating follow-up drop. Dawn smashes his fist directly into the machine's head, completely shattering its defensive plating in a spray of sparks. At the same time, their muscular teammate swings his heavy blade, delivering a crushing blow that completely cleaves the second Etno. Shuria stands in the back, channeling her glowing blue frost magic as the next wave of security bots prepares to spawn. She knows exactly what her role is now. She recalls Woo-hyun's advice during their training session, where he explained that she is the absolute core of Team B's coordination as their sole-ranged DPS. Woo-hyun's words echo in her mind, warning her that hesitating out of fear of hitting her allies will only cost them the match, and that she must trust her targeting and fire with absolute resolve. Back in the present, she yells in determination as a giant Etnel prepares to crush her teammate, who is trapped and screaming in panic. She unleashes her power with a ferocious battle cry, letting her magic overflow. She casts her ultimate spell, Ice Drill, summoning a massive spinning icicle that pierces clean to the Etnel and completely obliterates it, saving her teammate just in time. She proudly shouts that she has their backs covered, and Dawn cheers her on, completely amazed by her perfect support timing. Naeon and Song Cheol watch the screen in absolute jaw-dropping shock. They can't believe how fast Team B's coordination improved in just 30 minutes of training, and the chat is calling it the comeback of the century. The buzzer sounds, signaling the end of the 10 minutes as the final Etnel is smashed into scrap metal. Naeon yells that the second attempt is officially over. The scoreboard flashes, confirming that Team B successfully defeated exactly 14 bots. The chat is going crazy, completely praising Woo-hyun's legendary coaching skills. Realizing they are falling behind, Team A's members try to motivate each other, shouting to stay focused and give it their absolute all on their final run. But despite their best efforts, Team A only manages to defeat 12 bots on their second try, leaving them short of the target. Neon checks her tablet and announces the final results. With Team B holding the record of 14 kills, they are officially declared the winners of the first team challenge. The members of Team B cheer and hug each other in absolute ecstasy. They actually pulled off the impossible comeback. Team A looks completely dejected, but they politely applaud their rivals. The chat notes that Team A fought incredibly well, but Team B's new coordination was just on a completely different level. Daewonmin scratches his head, feeling a bit unsatisfied with their loss. But seeing Shuria's massive improvement, he realizes Wooyun's coaching is the real deal and that he can advise ranged players too. He walks over to Wooyun, politely asking if he would be willing to give Team A some quick pointers before they leave. Our main guy doesn't even hesitate, giving them a calm nod of approval. He is always ready to share his expertise, showing what a true class act looks like. Woohyun breaks down Daewonmin's pyromancer build, explaining how to maximize his spell damage, before turning to offer advice to Zera. Daewonmin is completely blown away by his deep understanding of ranged DPS mechanics. The candidates bow deeply, thanking Woohyun for his valuable time and saying they had an absolute blast participating in the tryouts. Naeon and Song Cheol address the stream, announcing that only the grand finals remain. They have prepared a highly unique special mission for the final 4 candidates. The final test is revealed. It is a high-stakes 2 vs 2 PvP survival match, where the last team standing wins the entire audition and gets selected as Woohyun's official disciple. The final 4 candidates get into position, their eyes burning with intense determination as they prepare to clash for the ultimate prize. Suddenly, a fresh donation of 1001 flashes on the screen, with a viewer named Dadson Alien dropping a hilariously bloodthirsty message telling them to start fighting immediately. The final battle is officially set to begin. We open inside a quiet fitness center where the weights are finally hitting the racks. The training instructor declares that today's workout session is officially complete. A purple-haired girl collapses onto her knees, breathing heavily with dizzy swirls hovering around her head. She weakly pants out a thank you, completely exhausted from the brutal routine. But her exhaustion completely vanishes the moment she checks her phone. She smiles excitedly as she realizes the official results for the Disciple tryouts are finally online. She scrolls through the Reverse Time community forum, reading a summary post of the audition's conclusion. It turns out the Jung siblings secured the victory, with the community noting that their flawless teamwork gave them the winning edge. She looks at the screen thoughtfully, murmuring that she never expected Woohyun to actually step up and become a coach. The guy is full of surprises. She looks at a picture of Woohyun and a female agent, noting that, as an official coach, he has the right to choose his own team. Since they've already met once before, she wonders if he might end up selecting her squad. She holds her phone tightly to her chest with a massive, happy smile. She is already looking forward to the chance of doing another broadcast together very soon. Back in the virtual studio, Naeon and Song Cheol greet their viewers with enthusiastic waves. Naeon thanks everyone for tuning in, officially kicking off their next live segment. In a secure bureau office, a dark-haired agent asks Woohyun how he plans on using his new solo authority to carry out his next independent operation. In the studio, Chibi Naeon transitions the feed, telling the chat it is time to hear Haxicle's answer. Woohyun walks down the modern hallway accompanied by Lee Yujin and Kim Hana, calmly stating his plan to sweep the reverse planet entirely on his own. Yujin smiles, remarking that he is just as diligent as ever. Hana turns to him, confidently assuring him that with his god-tier skills, solo sweeping won't be an issue. But Yujin looks slightly concerned, letting out a thoughtful murmur. Hana leans in closer to Yujin, whispering that she has some awkward details to share and advising her to check her direct messages before departure. Woohyun calmly nods in understanding. Later that night, Woohyun walks through the dimly lit parking garage. His phone suddenly buzzes with a high-priority notification. He pulls out his device, swiping the screen to open an urgent message sent directly from Lee Yujin. The message warns him about the mercenary squad that ambushed them during their last run, reminding him of Choi Hyung-cheol's crew. It turns out their real target wasn't Yujin at all. It was actually Woohyun. She explains that the greedy corporate enterprise is clearly planning to steal something from him, making it highly likely they will attempt another ambush. A picture of the angry mercenary leader flashes on screen as the text continues. She warns that since they know the Bureau is on high alert, they won't act recklessly this time. A funny chibi drawing shows Bureau agents disguised in hats and glasses whispering behind corporate members. Eugene explains they have successfully planted undercover spies within the Enterprise to monitor their movements. She adds that she has forwarded him a verified list of reverse planet coordinates that are currently safe and suitable for solo operations. Woohyun stares at his phone screen, thinking that this should be more than enough information to get him started. Chibi Naeon's head pops up in the corner, looking highly intrigued. Back in the studio, Song Cheol and Naeon discuss the looming threat on the couch. Song Cheol points out that this is an obvious foreshadow to another ambush, and the stream chat jokingly agrees that things are guaranteed to go sideways. A polished black dress shoe steps firmly onto the lobby floor as a voice calls out to Woohyun. A handsome agent named Jung Ji-hoon introduces himself, explaining he is from the support team and offering to escort him to his solo mission site. Woo-hyun calmly accepts. They arrive in a dark, misty forest where a giant, swirling blue portal stands waiting. Ji-hoon wishes him the best of luck, and Woo-hyun politely thanks him for the ride. The support car is parked in the quiet woods as Woo-hyun steps onto the trail, looking around at the silent, darkened trees. He walks closer to the glowing blue portal, standing before the swirling rift in absolute silence. He checks his messages one last time, reading Yujin's reassurance that corporate security guards are monitoring the outer perimeter, so he has nothing to worry about, but he gets a bad feeling, suspecting they wouldn't just guard the area without hiding their presence. Suddenly, a vertical radar scan reveals a group of hidden mercenaries closing in on him. He realizes he is completely surrounded by exactly 6 hostiles. A flurry of elemental attacks erupts from the darkness, with fire, wind, and lightning strikes tearing through the trees towards him. A dark-clothed corporate mercenary lunges out of the mist, driving a heavy, glowing purple fist straight at his face. But Woo-hyun's battle instincts are too sharp, and he easily sidesteps the incoming punch, letting it smash uselessly into the dirt. He gets into a low combat stance, unsheathing his daggers as a voice mockingly calls out to him from the shadows. A long-haired, sinister man smiles as he walks out of the mist, leading a squad of heavily armed corporate guards. He commends Woo-hyun for his sharp senses, saying it is a pleasure to finally meet him. His smile turns wicked as he addresses Woo-hyun by his secret name, Test Subject Number 48. Woo-hyun stares him down, asking if he is representing the Enterprise. The leader chuckles, saying he is quick-witted and promising to keep their interaction brief. He extends a hand, coldly commanding Woo-hyun to surrender and return to the research lab. Our boy just looks at him, completely unimpressed. The leader snickers, mockingly promising that they will properly cultivate his unique abilities through extensive experiments. Woo-hyun flatly calls bullshit. He grips his daggers tightly, his eye glowing with a lethal yellow light as he tells them to cut the trash talk. The leader's smile completely vanishes, replaced by a cold, murderous glare as he mutters that Woo-hyun's defiance is highly unfortunate. He raises his dark spear, screaming for his men to attack and take down the target immediately. The armed guards charge forward, unleashing a barrage of high-speed physical and elemental strikes to corner him. A massive clash erupts in the center of the clearing as Woo-hyun intercepts their weapons, sparks flying in the dark woods. A massive explosion of blue and purple energy tears through the field as Woo-hyun deflects their synchronized attacks, sending a guard groaning backward. With blinding speed, he spins past their weapons, parrying their blades with effortless coordination. Close-up of Woo-hyun's calm, focused face under his dark hair. He doesn't show a single ounce of panic as he tracks their movements. He delivers a devastating counterstrike, slamming his daggers down and completely crushing a guard's defenses. The mercenary commander screams in rage, commanding his remaining men to keep pushing and show no mercy. The guards charge back in, channeling green wind and blazing fire magic to launch a massive, coordinated pincer strike. But Woo-hyun unleashes a powerful shockwave, completely shattering their offensive and blowing the front line apart in a spray of fire and dirt. The remaining guards are sent flying backward, crashing heavily into the trees as Chibi Neon's head pops up in absolute awe. Back in the studio, Neon and Seong Cheol are completely amazed. Song Cheol notes that while the corporate guards have decent teamwork, they stand zero chance against Woo-hyun's massive level advantage. The beaten, bleeding guards struggle to stand, whispering in panic about how easily he dismantled their squad. The commander grinds his teeth, realizing they have no other choice. He screams for his men to immediately consume the experimental drug, TL-01. Chibi Neon looks completely baffled by the name. In the studio, Neon and Song Cheol frantically search the game's database on their tablets, but find absolutely zero search results for the mysterious substance. Song Cheol realizes that Woo-hyun has triggered yet another hidden, unprogrammed event, and the chat comments are already hyping up the mystery. Back in the forest, the commander holds up a glowing purple pill, warning Woo-hyun that he will deeply regret forcing them to resort to this. Woo-hyun stares at the drug, thinking that even during his 10 years on the other side, he has never heard of this project. The leader grins maniacally as he swallows the pill, eager to watch the coming slaughter. The guards let out agonizing demonic screams as the purple drug surges through their veins, warping their bodies and lighting up their eyes with a dark, vengeful energy. The transformation completes, and the guards turn into massive, terrifying, purple-skinned monsters. Bro, this is definitely not a normal power-up. Woo-hyun's eyes narrow as he senses the massive dark aura radiating from the transformed mercenaries. The entire squad stands towering over the misty forest, their veins glowing with pure, destructive energy. Neon gasps in shock, pointing out that their transformed state looks exactly like the demonic dimension invaders. The chat is in complete panic, realizing how dangerous this situation just got. Woo-hyun prepares his daggers, warning himself that this isn't some ordinary doping drug and that he needs to be fully prepared for what is coming. One of the demonic guards blitzes forward with near instantaneous speed, driving a lightning-infused fist straight at his head. A colossal explosion of purple energy erupts as the fist collides, completely decimating the ground and sending shockwaves through the forest. Woo-hyun is pushed back, barely managing to block the overwhelming kinetic force with his blades. The sheer difference in physical power is astronomical. Another transformed demon lunges in, swinging a heavy flaming kick to shatter his guard. The battle enters a state of high-speed, chaotic evasion, with Woo-hyun forced to move purely defensively as he slides and dodges their massive crushing strikes. Close-up of Woo-hyun sweating as he barely evades a heavy fist that shatters the concrete behind him, leaving him completely on the defensive. In the studio, Nayeon is panicking, wondering if Woo-hyun can actually find a way to break through their enhanced stats. Song Chae-ol notes that their behavior is highly abnormal, acting as if they have completely lost their human emotions. Another demon ambushes him from the trees above, executing a swift green wind slash that Woo-hyun barely intercepts. The impact creates another massive shockwave, pushing Woo-hyun's physical limits to the absolute edge. Woo-hyun's boot digs heavily into the dirt as he slides back, absorbing the crushing kinetic momentum of the attack. He stands alone against the line of towering, purple-veined monsters. As he looks at their empty, glowing eyes, he realizes the horrifying truth. These men are no longer human. They are being controlled by something else entirely. Woo-hyun stands firmly in the dark, analyzing his opponents. He notes that these corporate guards didn't just get physically stronger, they have completely lost their sanity, behaving exactly like mindless dimension invaders. He takes a step forward, resolving to end this unnecessary skirmish quickly so he can start his investigation into the mysterious drug. Suddenly, a mutated corporate guard unleashes a massive wave of flames, aiming to incinerate him on the spot. The colossal wall of fire completely engulfs the screen, turning the dark clearing into a blazing hellscape. But Woo-hyun moves like an absolute ghost, diving straight through the center of the blazing column with his daggers ready. The enemies are completely flabbergasted, unable to comprehend how he can pierce through magic fire unharmed. Another transformed guard quickly reacts, summoning a giant jagged stone barrier to block the incoming rush. With a single precise physical strike, Woo-hyun completely shatters the stone defense, forcing the guard to groan in agonizing pain. He lands gracefully on his feet as rock fragments rain down. The remaining guards realize they are losing control and scream for everyone to corner him immediately, channeling their green wind and lightning skills. A guard releases his ultimate elemental attack, summoning a massive wave of purple energy. Woo-hyun slides back effortlessly to absorb the shockwave, his hair blowing as the giant purple vortex sweeps across the clearing. A rapid, dazzling web of thin red laser slashes fills the entire area, completely cutting down the surrounding trees and debris. The dark, misty forest is finally quiet again as the massive, swirling blue portal hums softly in the background. The transformed corporate guards look completely bewildered as their physical and elemental enhancements begin to rapidly fade away. Woo-hyun stands calmly in the clearing, exhaling a quiet breath as he sheathes his weapons. The chat is absolutely spamming, celebrating his flawless victory over a fully juiced mercenary squad. He walks over to the leader of the squad, pinning him to the damp grass and coldly demanding answers about the drug they just consumed. He grabs the leader by his collar, lifting him up. The mercenary groans in absolute agony, his body trembling violently from the drug's severe side effects. The commander snarls with a disgusting grin, claiming that their research lab will easily cultivate his abilities with proper testing. Yeah, okay, buddy. How about you keep that corporate brainwashing to yourself? Before he can even finish his sentence, the drug's severe feedback completely breaks his body, sending him crashing face first onto the blood-stained floor. Woo-hyun looks down at his lifeless body, deeply analytical. If the drug wasn't supposed to show this effect, it's highly likely the formula has deteriorated or been altered. He looks at the scattered bodies, noting that since this drug didn't exist on the other side, he needs to dig much deeper to find its source. He decides to search the area for any leftover clues before the backup team arrives. He loots their bodies, finding a few weapons and encrypted phones, but notes there is nothing immediately useful here. Suddenly, Lee Yoo-jin and her squad of combat agents sprint into the clearing, calling out his name in a panic. She apologizes profusely for being late, explaining they have no excuses to make. Woo-hyun calmly replies that it's fine, while the chat teases them for their terrible timing. Back in the studio, Nayeon and Song Chae-ol discuss the massive amount of plot hooks they just unlocked. The introduction of the mysterious TL-01 is rapidly expanding the game's lore. The stream chat is going absolutely wild, with lore geeks frantically typing out prediction posts about the corporate conspiracy. In-game, Woo-hyun asks Yoo-jin how they managed to locate him. She explains that shortly after he left, they received intel that the corporate hunting dogs were planning an ambush. It turns out they asked one of their support agents which direction Woo Hyun headed, but the guy intentionally gave them the wrong path before quitting his job. He was a corporate spy all along. Yoojin chibi sighs, explaining they had to trace the dashcam of the spy's car to find this location. She promises to fully compensate him for the trouble, but Woo Hyun casually says it is not necessary. Knowing the immediate threat has been cleared, they prepare to clean up the battlefield. Later that night, we get a scenic shot of the beautiful neon-lit skyscrapers of Seoul. Woo Hyun's avatar is shown navigating through a dark alleyway, completely separated from his team. In the studio, Naeon and Song Cheol discuss his next moves, wondering if he is on his way to report the incident to team leader Kim Chul. Woo Hyun is deep in thought, realizing that if the anonymous donor is indeed a developer, then his choices are directly changing the game's entire story. He reviews his recent discoveries, the adaptive AI, the pet system, and the copycat invader. The copycat invader and the mysterious TLWL1 drug are clues that the corporate factions might be collaborating with other world entities. This would explain why the story of Reverse Planet is dynamically changing depending on the paths he chooses to walk. If Reverse Planet is indeed a direct link to the other world, then finding the developers is his best chance to discover the truth. He resolves to begin his own silent investigation into the corporate laboratories, planning to put a permanent stop to the League of Enterprises. Back in the studio, Mayeon gasps as she notices Woo Hyun is suddenly changing his character's build. Song Cheol notes that based on the skills he is selecting, he is completely shifting away from his standard melee path. The chat is highly intrigued, wondering what secret build he is preparing. His black boots land firmly on the concrete as purple telekinetic flames erupt around him. He has unlocked his legendary past life setup. A massive blue and purple energy flares around his avatar, signaling the activation of his legendary title, Destruction. His eyes glow a fierce white under his newly customized silver-haired test subject skin. He looks absolutely terrifying. He states that while he doesn't know exactly which lab created the drug, he knows exactly which corporation is backing them, Jeomshin Electronics. A shot of the massive Jeomshin Electronics skyscraper. He resolves to dismantle them first. The streamers are screaming in absolute shock as they realize Haxical is planning a full-scale solo raid on a major corporate office. They realize he changed his build to completely hide his original identity from the bureau. The chat is going absolutely ballistic with hype, unable to comprehend his sheer audacity. They love that he doesn't hesitate to take the fight directly to his enemies. The night moon shines brightly over the concrete street as he prepares to make his move. His system interface flashes a rapid succession of buffs, significantly boosting his telekinetic power and reducing his active skill cooldowns. The streamers note he is wearing his old white test subject outfit as a disguise. The chat is drooling over his incredibly clean, sleek silver hair look. He pulls on his mask, resolving to clear this raid as quickly and violently as possible. In a flash of pure purple energy, he smashes clean through the glass facade of the building, initiating the raid. We cut to an exterior shot of the high-rise corporate office, its security lights flashing red as the alarms begin to blare. Inside, the shadowy figure of the silver-haired intruder navigates the dark hallways, completely bypassing the automatic defenses. A squad of heavily armed security guards rushes into the corridor, only to freeze in sheer terror as they are met with a massive swirling vortex of telekinetic pressure. The chat is losing it, hyping him up as the ultimate avenger. They love his cold, uncompromising attitude toward corporate scum. Naeon worries about other players getting involved in the chaos, but Song Cheol explains that the moment the entrance exploded, the game's phase shift system activated. The phase shift system is a unique mechanic that completely isolates the player's active instance from the global server. With this, other players cannot see or interfere with his raid, effectively tailoring the entire corporate facility into a personalized solo dungeon for Haxical. 3 guards corner him at gunpoint, screaming for him to freeze and raise his hands. But with a simple wave of his hand, Woo Hyun unleashes a massive kinetic wave, sending the guards flying through the air like paper. The chat is completely amazed by his effortless control. He adjusts his mask, recalling that the building's layout is identical to his past life. He knows there is a hidden elevator leading to their underground research facility. Suddenly, the massive, muscular commander of Jeomshin Electronics, Won Jung-chul, steps out with a heavy squad, demanding his immediate surrender. But Woo Hyun is too fast. He instantly closes the gap, grabbing the towering commander by his throat with a single hand. The surrounding guards panic, screaming as they watch their legendary leader get completely dominated in a fraction of a second. Won Jung-chul desperately tries to order his men to open fire, but the words are choked out of his throat. With a brutal flex of telekinetic force, Woo Hyun effortlessly hurls the massive commander directly into the incoming guards, crushing their entire defense line. Talk about a literal human wrecking ball. The entire mercenary squad is left lying unconscious and defeated on the concrete floor, surrounded by piles of shattered rubble. The remaining guards are sweating in panic, unable to comprehend how the ceiling collapsed and wiped out their entire elite front line. Woo-yun stands quietly in the center of the dust cloud, looking like an absolute demon as his silver hair blows in the wind. The system displays his legendary title from his past life, Destruction. Won Jongchul gulps in pure terror, realizing they stand absolutely zero chance. He warns his men to stay focused, sweating as he tries to find a way to escape this living nightmare. In a final desperate move, an elite guard leaps high, channeling his remaining mana to summon a massive, swirling orb of dark magic. He drives the projectile down with a ferocious scream, aiming to obliterate Woo-yun. But Woo-yun doesn't even flinch, casually raising his open palm to absorb and dissipate the entire shadow attack in a flash of bright light. Close-up of Woo-yun's cold, glowing eyes behind his fanged mask as he prepares to unleash his final, crushing telekinetic strike. A colossal wave of blue energy completely engulfs the entire laboratory, vaporizing the remaining defenses in a single, devastating explosion. Inside the collapsing virtual space, several corporate guards lie completely incapacitated on the floor. They can only let out painful, broken groans as they try to comprehend how a single intruder completely dismantled their entire defenses. Woo-yun steps over the blood spatters on the stone floor, his boots making a heavy clicking sound in the quiet corridor. The final remaining guard can only stare up at him in absolute, paralyzing dread. The guard trembles, holding his weapon with shaking hands as Woo-yun stands silently in the distance under the dim blue lights. He desperately screams at our boy to stop standing around and come closer. With a ferocious roar, the guard throws his entire body weight forward, channeling a massive blazing yellow punch directly at Woo-yun's face. But Woo-yun doesn't even move his feet, casually raising his hand to launch a colossal brown and gold telekinetic drill attack that completely pierces through the guard's offensive. The guard is sent flying backward like a rag doll, coughing up blood and crashing heavily into the stone walls as his armor is completely shattered. The stream chat is going absolutely wild, screaming in pure shock. Nobody can comprehend how a player can pull off this level of godlike physical control using only basic telekinetic abilities. Woo-yun casually makes a swift pinching gesture with his fingers, focusing his mind to execute the final clean wrap-up. The massive corporate guard is instantly crushed by the immense gravitational pressure, screaming in agonizing pain. Our main guy steps forward as another defeated guard crawls across the floor, desperately crying out an apology and begging for his life. Woo-yun looks down at the cowering, blood-stained mercenary in absolute silence. He doesn't show a single ounce of pity. As the guard continues to weep, Woo-yun's eyes grow cold behind his fanged mask, thinking that these corporate hunting dogs are just as pathetic and disgusting as he remembers them from the other world. A massive, dark demonic specter with towering, black-veined wings rises behind Woo-yun, casting a terrifying shadow over the entire room. The guards can only watch in horror, realizing that they are dealing with an absolute monster. Woo-yun raises his hand, channeling a dark, swirling telekinetic void as he coldly mutters that he has officially had enough of this. The guard screams in sheer, paralyzing terror as the massive dark void begins to completely swallow his body. With a sudden blinding flash, the guard is instantly vaporized into red light particles, leaving only a pool of blood on the stone floor. In the studio, Neon is completely speechless, covering her mouth in shock. The chat is going crazy, pointing out that this execution was so graphic, the stream might actually get a community guidelines warning. The broadcast suddenly cuts to a colorful no-signal test screen, and Chibi Xiongxiol quickly pops up to apologize, saying they will take a brief moment to adjust the screen for their viewers. Once the stream resumes, Xiongxiol and Neon try to process what they just witnessed. Xiongxiol admits he had no idea telekinesis was capable of that level of destruction, while Neon admits she expected his new build to be much weaker. Back in-game, Woo-yun walks down the dark, ruined hallway of the Jumshin facility, stepping over the piles of rubble. He thinks to himself that the main threat has been successfully cleared. He adjusts his tactical glove, noting that it will become highly troublesome if more corporate reinforcements arrive, so he must locate the research room immediately. Suddenly, the red emergency sirens inside the facility begin to flash wildly, and a loud, automated warning blares throughout the corridors. Inside the main control room, two researchers are staring at their monitors in a complete panic, unable to comprehend how an intruder bypassed their entire security grid. They desperately try to call for support, but it is already too late. The heavy metal doors behind them slide open, and silver-haired Woo-yun stands silently in the doorway, looming over them like an absolute shadow. The researchers cower in terror, screaming and scrambling backward as the floor begins to rumble under Woo-yun's immense pressure. With a casual wave of his hand, Woo-yun unleashes a powerful kinetic wave that hurls both researchers and their desk chairs across the room, smashing them into the computer terminals. Woo-yun walks over to the central glowing screen, preparing to download and review the facility's active database logs. He sits at the keyboard, typing rapidly as he searches for any files related to the corporate experiments and the hunting dogs, noting that the system structure is identical to his previous world. A file pops up on the screen, displaying the developmental details of TL-01, which is officially classified as a basic overall ability-enhancing drug. Woo-yun reads the details, deeply puzzled. He wonders why a simple performance-enhancing drug ended up mutating the corporate guards into monstrous dimension invaders. He looks at the diagnostic images of the mutated guard, realizing that the drug's core chemical formula must have been modified by a third party. Suddenly, an arrogant voice shouts behind him. The lead researcher stands at the entrance, flanked by two giant white-plated security Atnels. He glares at Woo-yun, calling him a lousy brat before commanding his machines to attack. The two giant Atnels leap down from the high platform, their heavy metal joints clanking as they lunge to crush him. But Woo-yun remains perfectly calm, casually raising his open hand as his glowing blue psychic aura flares. With a swift clench of his fingers, he completely freezes both giant Atnels mid-air, their massive metal hulls groaning under his gravity lock. In the studio, Song Cheol explains that Woo-yun isn't just pressuring them with raw force. He is delicately applying telekinetic pressure directly onto the machine's moving joints to freeze them instantly, showing off some next-level tactical intelligence. The lead researcher's smug smile instantly vanishes, replaced by a look of sheer horror as Woo-yun channels a massive, imploding purple void in his palm. With a single, effortless clench of his fist, the two giant security Atnels are instantly crushed into tiny cubes of scrap metal, sending debris raining down. The lead researcher falls to his knees, crying and sweating profusely as he desperately begs for his life. Before he can even finish his sentence, the immense kinetic pressure violently knocks him out, sending him crashing face first onto the bloodstained floor. The stream chat goes completely ballistic with hype, unable to comprehend how he just deleted multiple endgame security robots in a matter of seconds. Back in the studio, Naeon and Song Cheol try to calm down. Song Cheol points out that they should focus on the crucial corporate evidence Haxical obtained by raiding Jumshin Electronics. Woo-yun walks out of the ruined facility as his digital interface flashes, confirming the mission is complete, and he gained an ability point. He thinks that this raid should serve as a sufficient warning to the corporation. But as he reads the completion message, his eyes widen slightly. The game's system actually recognized his personal attack on the corporation as an official structured campaign mission. In the studio, Naeon and Song Cheol are sweating in panic. Naeon points out that if the game is dynamically creating official missions based solely on Haxical's real-life actions, then trying to predict the story is completely pointless. Song Cheol agrees, completely stunned. He admits that this is his very first time witnessing a fully adaptive story system that literally writes the campaign on the fly. Woo-yun stands under the night sky, his silver hair blowing in the wind. He realizes the system is letting him steer the game's entire plot in whatever direction he desires. His gaze turns serious as he decides to return and carefully plan his next moves before the League of Enterprises can coordinate their response. The scene transitions to a high-end corporate boardroom at the global Planet Earth headquarters in the United States, where a presentation titled Fully Adaptive Story System is displayed. Sophia, the pink-haired head developer, sits at the table, listening as her lead assistant explains that this adaptive system was automatically implemented during the pet patch. A slide displaying Deus's network core is shown. The assistant reports that they found clear digital traces indicating that the core supercomputer was directly involved in this unauthorized update. Sophia gasps, standing up in absolute shock. She demands to know if Deus has officially awoken from its long slumber. Her colleague explains that since Deus is utilizing all of its massive system resources to develop these custom game patches, it remains completely unresponsive to their manual override commands. Sophia looks at her screen, reviewing the transaction logs. She mutters that the anonymous supporter who has been donating massive sums to Haxical is starting to deeply worry her. She stares at her phone, which displays her old encrypted direct messages with Isaac. She recalls a memory from years ago, showing a young, enthusiastic Isaac standing on a park bench, passionately telling her that once Deus is completed, they will create the ultimate world of Reverse Planet. He had laughed and scratched his neck, playfully telling her not to worry about the technical details because he would explain everything once they got there. Back in the present, her assistant asks if there is anything else they should look into. Sophia explains they found additional encrypted data, but their current decryption tools are locked out. Her eyes flash with determination as she commands her staff to use every single resource they have to decrypt the data immediately. A few days later, back in Korea, Naeon is happily gaming in her bedroom, boasting to her friends about how her last stream completely broke the internet. She shows them her phone, displaying a direct inquiry from a 1 million subscriber streamer named Chloe Martinez, who wants to join Haxical's next broadcast as a special guest. Later, she meets up with Wu Yun at their usual cafe. She points out that the mysterious, anonymous viewer 62 has been strangely quiet since his raid on the corporation. Suddenly, a massive donation of 5 million won pings from the donor, congratulating him on completing the special mission. Wu Yun wonders what other hidden conditions he needs to clear. Neon suggests they focus exclusively on PvP content for their next stream to keep the viewers hyped. Wu Yun turns his head, slightly puzzled. He rests his chin in his hand, thinking that they need to carefully adjust their timing before making their next move. He calmly declines, explaining that since they just unlocked the adaptive story system, they can't afford to waste time on meaningless PvP matches when the secrets of the other world are finally within reach. Neon stares at him, looking slightly worried as sweat drips down her cheek. She thinks to herself that it is highly unusual for him to get so deeply obsessed with a video game. She notes that ever since he returned, his entire demeanor and facial expressions have drastically changed. She recalls her live chat, where viewers were debating whether Haxicle's cold, machine-like expression was just a facade for his streaming persona. A flashback shows Wu Yun smiling gently in his college days, and she realizes that he used to be much more expressive and cheerful back then. She remembers his terrifying, high-precision combat moves, noting that he possesses martial arts skills that he never once practiced in the real world. She remembers him strictly ordering her to alert him the exact second anonymous viewer 62 makes a donation, regardless of what is happening. Back in the cafe, Neon nervously fidgets with her fingers, admitting that there is something she has been wanting to ask him for a long time. She looks at him with worried eyes, asking if something happened to him during his sudden disappearance, noting that he feels like a completely different person. She tells him that this is the first time she has ever seen him so desperately immersed in a game, admitting she is starting to wonder if Reverse Planet is actually real to him. She gently places her hand over his on the table, telling him that if he is dealing with any trouble, he can always rely on her for help. Wu Yun is left completely speechless, staring down at their hands. He realizes with a pang of guilt that his hasty pace has started to deeply worry the people he cares about. He offers her a gentle, reassuring smile, quietly telling her that everything is completely fine. The scene transitions to show Wu Yun's silver-haired avatar standing amidst the purple flames of kinetic energy. The stream offline graphic flashes on the screen, previewing their next Hack Tour broadcast where they will attempt to shatter the showdown record using a custom build voted on by the viewers. We open a few days later, right as Neon's livestream setup hums with energy. The prominent live icon flashes on screen as she welcomes the massive audience to their highly anticipated challenge broadcast. Neon smiles brightly at the camera, raising her finger to announce today's special content. She reveals they are going to attempt to shatter the game's ultimate winning streak record, using custom builds selected by the viewers. A visual display shows Wu Hyun's silhouette walking down a sterile corridor, representing his readiness to face any handicap. The chat is already buzzing with excitement, with viewers suggesting he try out some complex illusion builds. In a studio, Song Chaeol and Neon discuss the sheer scale of the challenge. Song Chaeol laughs and admits that while he doesn't want to offend the top master tier players, he honestly doesn't think anyone in this rank is capable of stopping Wu Yun's momentum. Song Chaeol notes that if the viewers pick a completely unviable build, his legendary streak might be in serious jeopardy, especially since he plays without any system modifiers. Neon admits she was worried about the exact same thing, so she decided to ask him beforehand. A close-up of Wu Yun shows him looking completely calm and indifferent, coldly stating that he doesn't care what kind of build the audience decides to throw at him. Neon imitates his deadpan expression, jokingly exclaiming that he said those exact words with the absolute straightest face. Well, you have to admire the guy's sheer confidence. Wu Yun's avatar is shown standing on a high-tech platform, preparing his interface. Neon explains that unlike PvE, where you can level up and assemble your gear, PvP forces you to use a balanced max-level build, meaning they can't afford any mistakes. A massive 5,001 donation flashes on the screen from Night of Pure Love. The message declares that there are no weak builds in PvP, only weak players. Neon giggles and sets up the active roulette wheel on her tablet, instructing the viewers to send in their custom builds and votes during the next 30 seconds. A rapid succession of donation alerts spams the screen as viewers frantically submit their favorite builds. Neon announces that the timer is officially up and it is time to spin the wheel. The colorful roulette wheel spins rapidly, with the viewers holding their breath to see what kind of handicap Haxicle will receive. The arrow lands on Steel Lord, a notoriously difficult build that allows the player to summon and control up to 12 heavily armored Steel Knights. A graphic displays Wu Yun standing between two rows of giant blue glowing knights, saluting him with their heavy swords. Neon sweat drops, noting that they managed to roll a highly difficult class right from the start. Song Chaeol explains that multi-summoning is an overwhelmingly complex task with no active modifiers. To play this build efficiently, the user has to manually control all 12 knights completely on their own. The chat comments agree, comparing the difficulty of this build to trying to play a high-speed rhythm game with your feet while drawing a book with your left hand. Most players need at least a 50% modifier just to use it. Song Cheo notes that while Wohyun can technically summon fewer knights to ease the mental strain, Naeon worries that doing so would drastically drop the overall efficiency of the build. Naeon quickly shakes off her worries, smiling and telling her viewers to just trust Wohyun's godlike mechanics, like they have always done. She builds up the hype, asking the audience if they are ready to watch him smash past his own win streak and challenge the legendary pro battler's record. The system pings confirming the match was found in Area 9, the factory. Naeon excitedly announces that the historic record-breaking run has officially begun. Seong Cheol notes that Woohyun's opponent has an outstanding recent history, holding a massive 75% win rate in the master tier. The chat is already speculating if the guy is a professional smurf. The blonde-haired opponent wearing green armor stands across the factory floor, a violent wind aura crackling around his daggers. Woohyun evaluates his stance, recognizing it as the legendary god of wind and lightning build. A bright blue system window flashes on screen, confirming the start of the first round. The opponent dashes forward like a green lightning bolt, leaving a trail of wind in his wake as he closes the gap. Woohyun remains perfectly still, casually raising his hand. With a simple hand gesture, he calmly whispers the command to summon. A massive, heavily armored steel knight with glowing blue eyes materializes in a flash of purple energy, intercepting the opponent's dash. The opponent's twin daggers clash heavily against the giant knight's solid steel shield, leaving him completely stunned by the sudden defense. The opponent quickly leaps back to create distance, sweating as he wonders why Woohyun only summoned a single knight instead of his maximum 12. The single steel knight stands protectively in front of Woohyun in the empty corridor. The chat comments look slightly disappointed, wondering if the summon class is just too difficult to control with zero modifiers. Naeon quickly reassures her chat, telling them that the match has only just begun. Song Cheol agrees, theorizing that Woohyun might be focusing all of his cognitive output to maximize the strength of a single unit. The green-armored opponent gathers his wind aura, charging back in with a determined look as he mutters that a single summon won't be a problem. He swings his daggers in a rapid pincer strike, confident that he can easily dismantle the knight's defenses. He channels his ultimate skill, his daggers crackling with intense lightning as he leaps forward to strike. But mid-swing, the opponent's eyes widen in absolute shock. The giant steel knight standing in front of him has completely vanished from his field of view. In the fraction of a second, the massive knight reappears directly behind him, swinging its giant steel blade down with terrifying force. The heavy strike hits the metal floor, unleashing a massive shockwave. The opponent barely manages to roll away, sweating profusely as he wonders how a summon can move so fast. The opponent lands against a red barrier, panting as the towering shadow of the steel knight looms over him once again. Suddenly, a second giant steel knight materializes directly beside him, raising its massive sword to execute a synchronized strike. Song Cheol screams in pure excitement, gloating to the chat that he knew Haxical was just warming up. The stream chat goes wild, realizing that controlling multiple knights simultaneously is actually possible for him. The opponent grinds his teeth, knowing he is in serious trouble if Woohyun continues to summon more. He decides he must bypass the summons and target the master directly. He unleashes his lightning aura, executing his fastest physical technique, the Gale Thunderstrike. But Woohyun's hand is already raised, calmly snapping his fingers as he whispers that he finally understands the core mechanics of the build. He makes a swift hand gesture, his eyes glowing intensely under his hair. In a blinding, colossal flash of blue and purple energy, a massive row of exactly 12 giant steel lords materializes across the entire battlefield. This is a complete and absolute checkmate. A single steel knight lunges forward, executing a flawless vertical strike that sends the opponent crashing to the floor. The remaining 11 knights launch a relentless, perfectly synchronized onslaught from all directions. Song Cheol explains that while managing one summon is based on instinct, coordinating 12 is a masterclass in strategy. Close-up of Woohyun looking incredibly calm. Song Cheol notes that to control the position and actions of 12 individual units simultaneously, you have to push your brain to the absolute limits of concentration. He explains that this style of play requires a massive view of the battlefield, split-second decision-making, and an inhuman level of mental focus. The green-armored opponent is completely surrounded by lightning, desperately screaming as he tries to block the incoming swords. But a massive steel blade drives clean through his chest in a flash of red light, ending the exchange instantly. The victory screen flashes on the broadcast, confirming Woohyun won the first round. Naeon giggles, noting that now that Woohyun knows the controls, the second round will be over in a flash. Naeon and Seong Kail smile warmly, with Song Kail predicting the next round will take less than 3 minutes. The second round begins, and the panicked opponent screams for them to stay away as the 12 giant knights close in on him. A dizzying flurry of metal and lightning clashes erupts across the factory floor as the summons completely overwhelm him. With a final crushing blow, the match is officially over. The results screen pings confirming Wu Yun as the winner. The opponent's character is shown offering a polite, satisfied smile before completely dissolving into blue pixels. The chat is spamming with laughter and praise, thoroughly impressed by the show. Neon and Song Cheol celebrate, announcing that his win streak has officially reached 56. Neon is ecstatic, looking forward to spinning the roulette wheel for the next round. She points to her tablet screen to reveal his next build. Meanwhile, somewhere in the city, an elite pro player is watching the stream on his monitor, murmuring that Wu Hyun is indeed a formidable opponent. The pro player, Nikki Lee Gunwoo, is shown looking at his tablet. He admits that he is highly intrigued by Wu Yun's performance and wants to see him win with a weak build. He scrolls through the livestream details, looking at the custom summons Wu Yun utilized. Nikki smiles, admitting he would love to queue up and challenge Haxical in a proper duel, noting it is a shame the guy isn't running his main build. In the studio, Seong Kyeol points out they only need 2 more consecutive wins to set a brand new record. Naeon asks if he was the one who requested Wu Yun to run his original main build for the final 2 games. An in-game avatar of an armored knight raises his hand. Wu Yun coldly states that he has no reason to hold back anymore and asks to cue the next match. A hand slams the start button and a text overlay appears on screen hyping up the legendary match he will show us next. The matchmaking queue pops instantly for the ruined temple. Wu Yun steps onto the battlefield, his eye glowing. Back in the studio, Neon's jaw hits the floor as she looks at the screen, desperately asking Song Cheol if the opponent's username is actually real. A graphic displays the opponent's pro profile. Song Cheol explains that this player belongs to DHE Empire, the Tier 1 pro team that won last year's World Championship and is widely considered the ultimate MVP. A dramatic splash art displays the legendary pro, Nikki Lee Gunwoo. Split screen showing silver-haired Wu Yun and the grinning pro player Nikki. Nikki smiles, declaring that it is an absolute honor to finally face the famous Haxical. Back in the studio, Neon's jaw hits the floor as she looks at the matchmaking screen, nervously asking Song Cheol if the opponent's username is actually real. Song Cheol looks equally shocked, sweating as he confirms her suspicions. The screen displays the golden insignia of DH Empire, the prestigious Tier 1 pro team that dominated last year's World Championship. Song Cheol explains that this opponent was widely considered the ultimate MVP of the league. The broadcast displays a dramatic visual splash art of the legendary world-class professional player, Nikki Lee Gunwoo. The screen splits to show both players locking eyes in the ruined temple. Nikki smiles confidently, declaring that it is an absolute honor to finally meet the famous Haxical on the battlefield. Song Cheol and Neon discuss the incredible matchup on the couch. Song Cheol laughs and admits that while Haxical has been stream-sniped by many elite players, he never expected a world-class pro to queue up against him live. Nikki's character is shown sporting a massive pair of dark-feathered bat wings on the gloomy street. Chibi Neon wonders if he is genuinely confident enough to win without his main build, while Seong Cheol explains that pro players are strictly forbidden by contract from using tournament builds on personal streams. Chibi Song Cheol explains that the contract restriction is designed to prevent rival teams from analyzing and exposing the pro's custom build weaknesses before major tournaments. The matchmaking interface flashes the final countdown. Nikki comments that Wu Yun is incredibly quiet, noting that he behaved the exact same way during his previous broadcasts. The 2 fighters stand opposite each other on the dark concrete street, with Nikki's purple aura flaring as he prepares to make his move. The pro player smirks with absolute smug confidence. He challenges our boy to show him exactly what kind of legendary manual skill he possesses. The system flashes the final start signal across the screen. A colossal high-speed clash of blades instantly erupts in the center of the dark street, sending blue lightning sparks and black feathers flying everywhere. Chibi Neon is completely stunned, screaming that Haxical instantly unleashed a blindingly fast strike aimed directly at Nikki's head. But Nikki proves why he is a world-class champion, transforming into a blue energetic afterimage to successfully dodge the lethal opening blow with a illusion clone. Nikki materializes directly behind Wu Yun, exhaling a sigh of relief as he admits that Haxical almost one-shot him right out of the gate. He grins, declaring that it is officially his turn to go on the offensive. Nikki raises his clawed hand, channeling an intense crackling surge of dark purple energy as he prepares his counterattack. He swoops down from the air like a predatory raven, screaming to see how fast Haxical's real-life reflexes actually are. Chibi Neon panics, shouting that Wu Yun is in extreme danger. A massive circular shockwave of purple magic and energy completely obliterates the street as Nikki slams his claws down. But Wu Yun moves like water, effortlessly sliding past the destructive shockwave to land gracefully in a low stance. Nikki can only smile in admiration, thoroughly impressed by his defense. Wu Yun stands firmly, holding his daggers as Nikki chuckles, admitting that our boy is far too fast to catch easily. In the studio, Song Cheol enters full caster mode, screaming that both players are trading extremely heavy critical blows where a single mistake will cost them the round. Wu Yun evaluates Nikki's posture, realizing that the pro player is incredibly flexible and possesses manual movement that is partially free from the game's standard modifier constraints. But Wu Yun notes that since Nikki's clone ability is currently on a cooldown timer, the pro cannot rely on his illusion trick for some time. Wu Yun's daggers gleam with a brilliant blue light as he prepares his next rush, telling himself to end this match immediately. Wu Yun dashes forward like a lightning bolt, determined to land the finishing blow before Nikki's defensive skills can refresh. A dizzying high-speed exchange of blades erupts in the dark as Wu Yun's daggers relentlessly clash against Nikki's iron wings. Chibi Neon screams that despite the pro's perfect block, Haxical is not slowing down his assault. Nikki is pushed back, gritting his teeth in frustration as he realizes Wu Yun is systematically targeting a single weak spot in his defense. With a final colossal vertical slash, Wu Yun completely shatters Nikki's iron wings, unleashing a massive shockwave that tears up the street. Nikki holds his daggers, sweating heavily as he smiles weakly, admitting that Wu Yun's physical strength is truly monstrous. A full-frame vertical shot shows Nikki's character falling backward as Wu Yun stands victoriously amidst the dust. Nikki's character completely dissolves into blue pixels, and the chat is absolutely losing it over how effortlessly Haxical broke through a pro's defense. The victory screen flashes, confirming Wu Yun won the first round. Neon laughs nervously, admitting she expected a much longer battle, but Wu Yun made it look incredibly easy. Song Cheol gloats to the viewers, stating that this round is proof of Haxical's absolute superiority. The chat is spamming, with some claiming Nikki let his guard down and that the second round will be different. The system triggers the start of the next round. Nikki chuckles, admitting that the first round was no joke. Suddenly, Nikki drops a massive bomb, asking Wu Yun if he would be interested in joining DH Empire to work as a professional player. He smiles warmly, explaining that the sole reason he stream-sniped him today was because his team officially ordered him to verify Haxical's skills and deliver a scouting contract. Chibi Nayan and Song Cheol are screaming in absolute jaw-dropping shock, unable to believe the #1 team in the country is actively scouting their guest. Wu Yun calmly replies that he appreciates the offer but must reject it. Wu Yun flatly states that he has zero interest in joining the Pro League, leaving Nikki slightly surprised but smiling. Nikki grins and tells him to contact them anytime if he ever changes his mind, before raising his glowing claws to resume the fight. He leaps high into the air, wings fully extended as he charges back in, screaming for them to finish their match. The two monsters clash in a beautiful vertical sequence of high-speed trades, creating a dazzling display of metal and purple magic sparks. Nikki unleashes his ultimate claw strike, screaming as he drives his full power down to secure a hit. Wu Hyun blocks, his daggers scraping as he notes that Nikki is exceptionally quick. But Wu Yun finds the opening, delivering a swift, precise counter-slash that knocks the pro player off balance. Nikki sits on the floor, panting and smiling as he admits that Wu Yun is simply too strong to remain an amateur. Wu Yun sheathes his daggers, thanking Nikki for the fun match. The final results screen flashes, confirming Wu Yun's victory and announcing that he has officially achieved a historic 76 game-winning streak. In the studio, Song Cheol and Neon are jumping with joy, screaming that Haxical has officially tied the legendary record of battler without dropping a single round. A massive donation of 100,000 won flashes on the screen for Morgan, wondering if he will run into battler on his 77th match to break the record. Neon gasps, asking Song Cheol if such a legendary clash could actually happen. Song Cheol agree that while it is hard to snipe, it is the absolute perfect scenario. They strike a victory pose, enthusiastically shouting for him to proceed to the next match. A text graphic displays, explaining that unfortunately, Wu Yun never ended up meeting the famous pro player. A vertical shot shows Wu Hyun's avatar standing victoriously over a pile of defeated players, confirming he went on to set an unbelievable 85 win streak before logging off. The scene transitions back to the real world, inside a sleek, dark esports training facility. A voice calls out to Nikki. Nikki is sitting at his PC, while the legendary pro battler stands behind him, looking highly annoyed. Nikki asks why he didn't snipe Haxical, and battler sighs, muttering that he tried. Battler leans against the wall in frustration, complaining that they simply never got matched together despite queuing at the exact same second. Chibi Nikki laughs, pointing out that survival mode requires a massive player pool, so matchmaking is pure luck. Chibi Battler grinds his teeth, telling him to shut up. Nikki quickly changes the subject, suggesting they invite Haxical as the special guest for their upcoming YouTube project instead. Battler agrees the idea is solid, but wonders if a cynical guy like Haxical would even accept their proposal. Battler's eyes glow with an intense competitive fire under his teal hair as he smirks. He asserts that they will find a way to make him accept, no matter what it takes. A few days later, under a quiet night sky, the caption announces the start of the next Hacktour broadcast, where Wu Yun will proceed through the game's main story campaign. In-game, Wu Yun's avatar is shown scaling the brick walls of a dark city alleyway. Nayeon notes that since he unlocked the adaptive story mode, his progression is completely unconstrained by the standard campaign. Back in the studio, Nayeon is completely stunned, pointing out that Wu Hyun has changed his character's outfit into a white tactical suit with a blue helmet the exact second he logged in. Song Cheol notes that while he knows the location Wu Yun is heading to, he has never actually seen the inside because there are usually 0 active quests there. The chat is confused, wondering how Haxical is navigating this maze. Close-up of Wu Yun's black boot, stepping firmly onto the red concrete of a narrow, dark alley. He stands before a heavy metal door with a red neon sign, confirming that the location of the general store is identical to his previous world. Wu Yun reflects on his plans, standing in the dark. He thinks to himself that ever since the adaptive story mode was unlocked, he has been carefully evaluating his next steps. He adjusts his mask, resolving that to uncover the secrets of the laboratory and the corporate sponsors, he must locate a highly specific source of information. He looks at a security camera mounted on the brick wall, thinking that infiltrating the underground information broker is the absolute fastest and most reliable path. He watches a squad of corporate guards patrolling the alleyways below, thinking that these smaller factions possess a massive amount of hidden data that could expose the enterprise. He crouches on the ledge, his boot pressing firmly against a pipe as he prepares to make his move. With a sudden surge of telekinetic force, he lifts 3 corporate guards high into the air simultaneously. The guards scream in absolute helpless panic as they are trapped by his psychic hold. He slams them violently against the brick walls, and a guard screams in agony as his arm is crushed by the impact. Wu Yun stands over the defeated kneeling guards in the dark alleyway. He glares at them coldly, warning them that he will snap their necks if they dare to look at him like that again. He turns his attention to the heavy red door, demanding they open it immediately unless they want him to break it down. He uses his telekinesis to slam a massive guard against the metal frame, coldly telling them he has 0 patience. The heavy door slowly slides open, revealing a red-lit staircase as a voice from the intercom grumbles for him to stop being so impatient. Wu Hyun steps inside, walking down the stairs as the automated voice welcomes him to the general store, claiming they sell everything a customer could ever desire. The voice boasts that they can acquire any item, no matter what it is or who is asking. On the shelves, various rare accessories and a snarling purple beast mask are displayed. Wu Hyun's eyes lock onto a cute purple teddy bear with glowing pink eyes sitting on a central shelf. The shopkeeper's voice crackles through, asking, what brings the famous intruder of Junshin Electronics to his shop? Wu Yun calmly replies that he is searching for any intelligence that could sabotage the corporate laboratories and their sponsors. The shopkeeper laughs, finding his request highly amusing. Close-up of the shopkeeper's shadowed face as he smirks, telling Wu Yun that he happens to possess the absolute perfect piece of information for him. A split screen shows Wu Yun's intense glare and the glowing eyes of the purple teddy bear. The shopkeeper asks if he is ready to hear the secret, addressing him as their special Avenger customer. The mysterious store owner slides a folder across the glass counter, urging Wu Yun to take a look at the secret files. Our boy calmly reaches out, ready to see what kind of intel this shady character has secured. Close-up of the file labeled Top Secret, resting under the red neon glow. The owner explains that they recently located a hidden research laboratory with unusually light security, suggesting that their experimental trials have already concluded. Wu Hyun opens the folder and reviews the document. The owner instructs him to infiltrate the facility and retrieve any remaining research data on the drug, promising a massive reward if he successfully completes the job. Our main guy offers a cold, confident smirk behind his fanged mask, admitting that the proposition sounds incredibly tempting. The system flashes a major notification, confirming the start of the quest to attack the laboratory. Back in the studio, Nayeon and Song Cheol watch the screen in absolute disbelief. The chat is spamming with laughter, amazed that Wu Yun literally forced the game to generate a custom high-tier mission out of thin air. Nayeon points at her tablet screen, explaining a complex diagram showing 3 distinct faction paths. She notes that by unlocking this hidden broker route, Haxical has completely shattered the standard 2-way conflict between the Bureau and the League. Song Cheol agrees, pointing out that this general store route appears to be a separate parallel story, allowing players to work with multiple factions simultaneously under a new unprogrammed system. He adds that the only catch is that Haxical had to change his avatar's entire identity and build to prevent the Bureau from identifying him as the culprit. The chat is in complete awe of this hidden mechanic. Nayeon smiles and points at the camera, enthusiastically telling her viewers to stay tuned to see exactly how Haxical sweeps through this unmapped story arc. The scene shifts back in-game, showing a beautiful, glowing blue forest pathway at night. Wu Yun's silver-haired avatar sprints through the dense trees, heading toward the secret coordinate to begin his siege. Suddenly, a bright blue kinetic beam shoots down from the sky, carving a path through the forest. Wu Yun uses his telekinetic power to levitate high above the forest, calmly looking down at the massive corporate facility nestled in the valley below. The chat is stunned by his effortless control. The dark purple and black hands of his fallen comrades begin to swirl around his shoulders once again. The vengeful spirits whisper for him to unleash absolute destruction and show no mercy to their tormentors. Wu Yun's eyes glow blue as he raises both hands, unleashing a massive vertical torrent of purple telekinetic blades downward to tear through the facility. Two corporate guards inside the corridor are violently crushed by the sudden intense gravity wave, coughing up blood as they are pinned to the floor. A security guard with a glowing green visor is sent flying through the air, screaming in agony as the telekinetic blast destroys their defense line. Wu Yun lands gracefully in the center of the ruined corridor, surrounded by smoke and debris. The chat is spamming in absolute awe, begging him to go pro. Chibi Neon chuckles, explaining that ever since his match with Nikki, several professional esports teams have been desperately spamming his inbox with massive contracts. Wu Hyun walks forward, completely ignoring the noise as a guard in the distance screams at him to halt. He is met with a massive defensive line of robotic etnals and guards blocking the path. Chibi Neon sweat drops, noting that there are way more defenders here than the shopkeeper's file originally stated. The guard leader stands at the head of the squad, pointing his weapon and declaring that he will not let him pass. Wu Yun doesn't even slow down his pace, walking toward them with absolute terrifying indifference. Realizing they are outmatched, the panicked leader screams for all forces to immediately consume their supplied TLO2 doping drug. The screen splits to show Neon and Song Cheol looking completely shocked. Neon wonders if this is an advanced, more dangerous version of the TL01 drug they faced last time. Multiple guards quickly gulp down the purple pills, their eyes lighting up with an unstable dark purple energy. Song Cheol warns that the guards are transforming into mutated dimension invaders, wondering if Haxical can survive facing this many enhanced entities at once in such a confined space. The guard leader's face is shown, completely mutated and veined with purple energy, as he commands his squad to begin their attack. The massive squad of demonic invaders charges forward, completely filling the narrow laboratory corridor. A colossal explosion of purple magic and telekinetic energy completely decimates the hallway as Wu Yun unleashes his counterstrike. In the studio, Song Cheol and Neon are screaming in excitement, completely amazed by his flawless high-speed telekinetic evasion. Suddenly, Neon's screen flashes with a brand new system message from the anonymous supporter, Anonymous Viewer 62. Neon's eyes turn into money signs as she reads the massive 3 million won donation challenge, a thorough investigation on the TL series medicine. The chat is absolutely hyped by the jackpot mission. Wu Yun stands in the ruined hallway as a blue system window flashes the notification directly in front of him. He reads the details of the mission, deeply analytical about a thorough investigation on the TL series medication. He thinks to himself that only the creator of the drug themselves would have a reason to issue a special mission to investigate its formula. Realizing this donor holds backdoor access to the game's core, he wonders if another Rove developer has meddled in the system behind the scenes, trying to find out who is actually pulling the strings. He walks over to a dying, mutated guard lying in a pool of blood, who gasps in confusion as his veins continue to rupture. Wu Yun places his hand over the guard's chest, channeling his psychic energy to scan the remains for any chemical traces. With a loud, mechanical groan, he uses his telekinesis to rip open a massive reinforced steel vault door. He steps inside the hidden vault, finding himself inside a dark, sterile operating room filled with surgical restraints and medical equipment. He looks at the shelves, which are filled with glowing glass jars containing preserved human brains, limbs, and skeletons. A close-up reveals a giant, bloodshot purple eye floating inside a glass jar, staring back at him. He looks at a high-tech console showing a red-haired female test subject crying inside an experimental pod, apologizing to him before passing. Wu Yun clenches his fists in pure rage. Brutal memories of his deceased crying comrades flood his mind, screaming and begging for him to avenge their slaughter and destroy this living hell. Wu Yun stands in the center of the dark room, a massive swirling black hole of pure gravity erupting around his palm as he whispers that he will avenge them. He releases his full world-destroying telekinetic force, screaming for everything to be obliterated. Chibi Song Cheol panics, recognizing this as the exact same technique that destroyed the previous corporate office. A colossal gravity well completely tears the entire research facility apart in a blinding flash of purple energy, leaving the guards screaming in horror. The guard leader's face is shown, completely contorted in sheer absolute terror as his body is violently pulled into the gravity well. With an agonizing groan, the leader's body is completely crushed and vaporized into blood splatters by the pressure. The stream suddenly cuts back to the colorful SMPTE test pattern, and Chibi Song Cheol quickly pops up to change the screen to keep things family-friendly. Seong Kyeol and Naeon are shown on the couch. Seong Kyeol marvels that by focusing his telekinesis to an extreme point, Haxigol literally created an artificial black hole. Naeon explains the core mechanics, and the chat comments are actively debating whether a black hole should be followed by a white hole in the game's physics engine. In-game, Woo Yun stands alone in the center of the completely decimated smoking crater where the laboratory once stood. He sighs, noting that the threat has been dealt with. He looks at his hand, enveloped in a dark purple aura, thinking about what secrets remain to be uncovered. The scene transitions to show a close-up of a high-tech keyboard inside the ruined control center. Woo Yun types rapidly on the console, downloading the final logs. He reviews the downloaded files, discovering that the TLO2 formula is also officially classified as a performance drug, just like the previous one. He compares both files, realizing that someone is intentionally altering the medicinal effects behind the scenes to trigger the invader mutation. He checks his interface, which displays the private mission from Anonymous Viewer 62. He realizes that the donor is actually not the one behind this mutation. He looks deeply analytical, wondering if there is another powerful entity intervening in this world. He scrolls further down, locating a confidential file named Tempest L, which states that all active specimens have been deployed and requests additional production. In the studio, Naeon asks Seoncheol if the name Tempest L rings a bell. Seoncheol sweat drops, admitting he's a bit weak when it comes to the deep lore. Suddenly, a massive donation of 100,000 won flashes from Chloe Martinez. The message claims she thinks she knows what it means. A flashy splash art displays Chloe Martinez, a beautiful pink-haired girl with cat ears holding a glass of wine, begging them to invite her as a guest so she can explain. Chibi Naeon is shown looking ecstatic, explaining that Chloe Martinez is a massive 10 million subscriber story YouTuber who wants to join their stream. Naeon announces to her viewers that they are going to officially invite the legendary story expert Chloe Martinez for a live discussion. The chat is going absolutely crazy. The beautiful pink-haired girl waves happily at the camera, introducing herself in English as a simultaneous translating system activates. Chloe Martinez sits on the virtual studio couch next to Naeon and Seongcheol. The chat is spamming with hearts, completely in love with the new guest. Chloe Martinez smiles and suggests they get straight to the point, explaining that if her calculations are correct, the name Tempest L stands for something highly dangerous. A close-up of Woo Yun is shown. Chloe explains that after the Great Dimensional War, there was only one type of entity that possessed the legendary Lord title. A dramatic vertical illustration displays a dark, multi-winged, glowing-eyed silhouette. She explains they are the Dimensional Lords, the ultimate rulers of the invaders who triggered the war. She warns that these lords are catastrophic monsters that even a metahuman could barely defeat, wondering how on earth a corporate laboratory managed to obtain a Tempest Lord specimen. Naeon looks at her in terror, asking if this means the corporation is trying to weaponize the lords. Chloe nods gravely, confirming her suspicion. A text bubble flashes across the screen stating that it seems the laboratory and the other dimensions have united efforts. A final dramatic shot shows Woyun's silhouette sitting on a mountain of bones under a bloody red sky. Chloe warns that a massive, catastrophic raid even bigger than they can imagine is about to break out.